Hi, welcome back guys. This is your sensei, back with another fanfiction. This is the first part of What If Naruto Becomes a Wizard. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. By a waterfall with two stone people, on one of them we see a blonde guy, his name is Naruto, and on the other one we find a guy with black hair and his name is Sasuke. Naruto said, "Come on Sasuke, let's head back to the village, don't make use force." Sasuke, who had an amused look, said, "As if you can dope," then charged his hand for a Chidori. Naruto, seeing he has no other reason, made a racing and then both charged at each other. Sasuke punched right though Naruto's, while Naruto lowered the power of the racing in at last minute. And both landed in the water, and the current pushed them to shore. Just as their sensei showed up, looked at both, then went straight to Sasuke. He picked him up, then went to leave, but stopped when Naruto said, "What are you doing, Kakashi-sensei? What about me?" Kakashi looked at the boy, then said, "You are going to die now," then throw a kunai at Naruto, then left. Naruto woke up in a room that was pure white. He looked around and saw a drop-dead gorgeous woman in a white dress looking at Naruto. And she said, "Greetings Naruto, you are not supposed to be here, but somehow I'm not surprised that you are here." Naruto looked at the woman and said, "So I really am dead anyway? Who are you anyway?" The lady was surprised, said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I am the one you call Kami. Least to meet you, Naruto-kun." Naruto's eyes went wide. Then he said, "So are you going to judge me, then send me to hell?" Kami gave a little chuckle, then said, "Not at all, Naruto-kun. I am going to give you a second chance at life should you accept it. But the world will be different, as you was the champion of light that your world needed, and the world that you are going to, if you accepted one, doesn't have one." Naruto tilted his head slightly to one side and said, "What is this champion of light?" Kami said, "A champion of light is someone that is born time and time again in their own world when great threats arrive that disturbs the balance of the world." Naruto thought about it for a few minutes, then asked, "If I do this, what are the difference?" Kami said, "Well, for starters, there is no chakra, but they do have a power that is similar to is called magic, and not everyone can use magic. There are several names that the wizards have for non-magical folks, so we are going to stick with muggles, okay?" When she saw Naruto nod, she continued, "And muggles don't believe in magic, but there are some that do, and that is because they have a family member that is a witch or a wizard, and the other main thing is this world is more advanced than your world." Naruto took a few moments to think it though, then said with conviction in his voice, "Okay, I will do it." Kami clamped her hands together and said, "Wonderful, now on to the important bits." Then she waved her hand, then next to Naruto a little fox with 10 tails appeared. The 10-tailed fox looked around, saw Naruto and said, "Hey kid, what is going here?" Naruto rubbed the back of his neck and said, "Well, here's the thing, Kurama." Naruto then Kurama what Kami had told him, and that's about it. "Only you would get this type of offer," Kurama said, then turns to the goddess, then said, "So what going to happen to me?" Kami looed at the little fox, then said, "Well, that is your decision, Kurama." "Well then, if that's the case, I want to stay with the kid," Kurama said. "What if you come with me? Then there is no way to get back, and I thought you wanted to go home and be with your Biju siblings," Naruto said. "And you are like a son to me. I might not have held you, but it was me you came to when you had problems, and I have watched you grow up." Kami, who had a smirk, said, "Oh Kurama, I am surprised you haven't noticed it yet." "Noticed what yet?" the 10-tailed fox said. Naruto took a long look at the fox, then noticed something, then said, "Kurama, you have 10 tails." Kurama looked behind him and saw that he indeed did have 10 tails, but before he could say anything, Kami said, "I know that you would choose to stay with Naruto, so when I summoned you I merged all the tailed beasts and made you the new 10-tailed, but unfortunately you won't be keeping the power, as your world need the Biju to protect it in case something happens, and the ninjas can't handle it as you Biju are its guardians, and every world has something like this." Then she held out her hands, and in flash of light there was a lifeless dummy replica of Kurama. Then Kami waved her hand, and Kurama turned into a of light, and then it split in two. One went into the replica, then it disappeared, and the other one went into Naruto, and before Naruto could voice his concerns, the goddess continued, "Don't worry, I put 2 very special seals on the new guardian. One stops people trying to steal his chakra, and other one prevents him being sealed." Naruto sighed, relieved that the new guardian was never going to be sealed, then turned to Kami and said, "Okay, is that all, Kami?" Kami said, "Not quite, Naruto. First I am letting you use both magic and chakra." Then she held out both hands, and in a flash of light from both hands, in one hand there was a book, and in the other there was a circle of light. And in the light there was 12 stones. Then Kami continued, "These are my gifts to you for the 2 reasons. The first is accepting this request, and for staying true to yourself and not sucked to the darkness." She first handed him the book and says, "This book hold all the jutsus that your world has created to the moment you died, and I placed a spell on it so that when you touch it you will gain all the elements, including the sub-elements that are Kekkei Genkai, and only you can touch it unless you hand it to them." Naruto then grabbed the book, then it disappears, and a book Kenji appears on his forearm. Then Kami continued, "Now these are powerful artifacts called talismans, and there are 12, and each one has its own power. The rooster talisman give you the power of levitation and telekinesis. The ox talisman gives you super strength. The snake talisman is the power of invisibility. Rabbit talisman grants you super speed. The sheep talisman's power is astral projection. The dragon talisman power is combustion. The rat talisman power is animation. The horse talisman grant you healing and regeneration. The monkey talisman power is shapeshifting. The dog talisman give you immortality and rejuvenation. The pig talisman grant you heat vision. Tiger, the talisman power is spiritual balance." Then the talismans went into Naruto. "Cool, can't wait to try them out," Naruto said after a That can wait until you are reborn, Naruto. Right now, I have two very important people that wants to meet you, Kami said, then steps to one side to reveal a blonde-haired man and a red-haired woman. Naruto looked at the two people and knew who they was and said, wait Kami, are you sure that the fourth Hokage and the Red Death wants to meet me? Kushina looked at Naruto shocked and said, didn't the Hokage tell you who we are, Naruto? Naruto shocked his head and said, no, we learned who you two are in the academy. Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage, took on an army and won in a matter of minutes thanks to his flying thunder god technique, and you Kushina Uzumaki, the red hot habanero, because of your fiery anger that promised death to anyone that pissed you off. Minato looked at Naruto shocked and said, is that all, Naruto? Which Naruto nodded. Then Minato said, you see, Naruto, we are your parents. Shocking Naruto. After a few minutes, once he came out of his shock, he went up to his parents, then hugged them. They talked for a long time, mostly about Naruto's life, but eventually the happy family reunion had to come to an end. Kami came and said with a heavy heart, all right, Naruto, time to go. Naruto looked over to his parents and said, well, goodbye, Mom, Dad, then left with Kami as they went to where they came from. Kami was looking around the wizarding world looking for a suitable couple for Naruto. Then she found James and Lily Potter, who looked devastated. So she went over and said, hello, is everything all right? Lily looked at the goddess, not sure whether or not to trust her, but there was something in the back of her mind saying to tell her, so she said, just came from the doctors for some test, and it turns out I cannot get pregnant. Kami then said, I have a solution about your problem, so how about we go somewhere more private? Getting a nod from the two wizards, then the trio left. When the trio got to the Potter estate, James looked at Kami, then grabbed his wand, points it at Kami, and said, all right, who are you? Don't casually walk up to someone and ask them for what is wrong, then say you have a solution to something when the wizard doctors can't do it. Kami just chuckled, then says, you're right, James, I didn't just do that out of chance, I chose you, and I mean what I said. I do have the solution to your baby problem. Lily looks over and says, what do you mean by you chose us, and who are you, miss? Kami sits down and says, simple put, I am Kami, and I have chosen you to rise a special boy who deserves a second chance. Lily thought for a moment, then asks, before we decide, can we please see a glimpse of his life? Kami grant Lily her request. After showing them a day, James lowers his wand, then says, we accepts it, Kami. Kami nods her head and says, good, but you cannot tell anyone who and what Naruto really was, and Lily and James agreed to it. It is Halloween and it is the middle of the night in some street when the lights started to go out. When all the light was out, an elderly man walked out and started to wait. Then he heard a meow, looked over to where the cat was, then said, should have known you would be here, Professor McGonagall. The cat then transformed into an elderly woman who said, hi, Professor Dumbledore, are the rumors true? Yes, they are true, the good and the bad, Dumbledore replied. And what of the boy? McGonagall asked. Hagrid is bring him, Dumbledore replied. You think it is wise to trust Hagrid with something as important as this? Asked McGonagall. I trust Hagrid with my life, Dumbledore replied. Then they heard a sound from behind them. They both looked and saw a light from a motorbike coming and descending towards them. The bike landed and stopped in front of them, and the rider got out, and he was taller than them, and he said, Professor Dumbledore, sir. Professor McGonagall. Any problems, Hagrid? Dumbledore asked. No, sir, the little fella fell asleep as we was flying over Bristol. Then hands him over to Dumbledore. As Dumbledore held the boy, looked up at Hagrid, who had tears in his eyes, said, now Hagrid, no need to cry, you will see him again. Dumbledore walks to a house, McGonagall following, said, are you sure it is wise leaving him here? I have watched them all day, they are the worst kind of muggles, they really are. The only family he has left, Dumbledore interrupted McGonagall. The boy is going to be famous, there won't be a child who won't know his name, McGonagall stated. All the more reason he is better off here and growing up in the muggle world until he is ready, Dumbledore said. Then he put the baby on the doorstep, then placed a letter on him, then said, good luck, Naruto Potter. Time skip. Naruto wake up to his aunt banging in the door to his bedroom that was located under the stairs and saying, get up, then unlocks the door, then says, now, then she bangs it one more time, the walks of. As Naruto quickly got ready, his overweight cousin came down the stairs in a hurry, then stop and bangs one of the steps while shouting, wake up, cousin, we're going to the zoo, then run down the steps. Then he pushes Naruto back into the cupboard. When Naruto got into the kitchen, his aunt said with stern tone, finish cooking the breakfast and don't burn it. Naruto rolled his eyes and said with a mock polite tone, of course, ma'am. Petunia glared at him and said, watch the tone, boy, then take Dudley into the living room. Not giving Naruto time to dish up, his uncle was saying, hurry up, boy, where's my coffee? Coming, uncle, Naruto replied. Dudley, who saw the amount of presents, turned to Vernon and asked, how many are there? You have 35 presents this year, Dudley, my boy, Vernon said proudly. Dudley, who did not like the answer, shouted, I have 35 this year, but last year I got 36. While Naruto was pouring his uncle's coffee, rolled his eyes and thought, spoilt bastard. Ah yes, but you see, some of the presents are bigger than last year's. Vernon tried to calm his son. I don't care if some of them are bigger, Dudley shouted. Petunia came up behind Dudley and said, how about we get 2 more presents at the zoo, Dudley? Dudley agreed. Then the Dursleys had there and left Naruto only scraps. Then when Naruto was about to enter the car, Vernon closed it and said, now boy, you listen, and listen good, there will be no funny stuff or you will not eat anything for the remainder of the week, understood? Yes sir, Naruto replied. Then Vernon walked to the driver's side and Naruto got in the car. At the zoo, the Dursleys was looking at a snake, and Dudley and Vernon was trying to move, then got bored, and the Dursleys moved along, but Naruto stayed and talked to the snake. Sorry about the dumbasses, I called my relatives, I think they should be behind this glass, not you. Snake raised its head and said that was funny speaker, surprising Naruto. Naruto with wide eyes said, I'm okay, I am now talking and understanding a snake. Cool, so what is a speaker? The snake said, you have an extremely rare magical ability that gives you the ability to understand and talk to snakes, and the ability is called parselange. Before Naruto could chat with the snake, Dudley rushed over, shoving Naruto out the way. Then Naruto glared at his cousin, then as if by magic the glass disappeared, causing Dudley to fall in the snake pan, and the snake slivered out. When the snake was out, he looked at Naruto and said, thank you, speaker. Not a problem, Naruto said. Then the snake slivered away, causing havoc. When a wet Dudley tried to get out the pen only to find the glass was back, Naruto snickered at the panicked look that his aunt and uncle had. When everyone was back, Vernon, who had a tight grip on Naruto, asked what the why hell happened there. Naruto, used to pain because of his past life, said, I have no idea. One moment it was there, the next it was gone like magic. Vernon then shoved Naruto in the cupboard bedroom. That said, there is no such thing as magic. When Naruto was let back out, he went to pick up the mail. Looking though the notice that one of them was addressed to him, he handed the rest to his uncle, started to open it when Dudley snatched it and said, hey Dad, Naruto has a letter. Hey, the letter is mine, you don't see me snatching yours, Naruto said, a little peeved about having his first letter taken. Nonsense, boy, who would send? Vernon said, then shut up when he saw who it was from, then burnt the letter. For the rest of the week Naruto kept on getting the letters, but his aunt and uncle kept on destroying them. On Sunday morning, and Vernon, who was sitting in a chair, said with a bit of glee, fine day, Sunday, the only good day of the week. And do you know why? Dudley said. Boy just shrugged before Vernon said, that is because there is no post on Sunday, and so there will not be a single letter coming in this house. And as if by karma, a single letter shot out of the fireplace and past Vernon's face. Then there was a rumble, then tons and tons of the fireplace. Naruto quickly grabbed one, then run to his room. Vernon was in hot pursuit and grabbed Naruto before he entered his room. Then he shouted, that is, we are moving to a place where they can never find us. A few days later, in an old wooden house, everyone but Naruto was asleep, and Naruto was sleeping on the dusty floor drawing a cake with 11 candles. He looked at Dudley's watch that just stroked midnight on 31st of July. He looked at the cake and said, well, might not be a proper cake, but beggars can't be choosers, so make a wish. Then he blow the cake. Well, Kit, happy birthday, came Kurama voice. So when are we getting a magic letter? Thanks, Kurama, and you and I have been getting the letters all week, but the assholes have been destroying them. And before anyone could, there was knocking at the door. Vernon and Petunia came down while Vernon was holding a shotgun. Then the door fell and in the door was two people. One was in Professor McGonagall and the other was Hagrid. They walked in and Hagrid said, sorry about that. He put the door back while McGonagall went up to Naruto. Vernon said, leave this place now, as you are breaking and entering. Hagrid, not liking Vernon's attitude, walked up to Vernon and said, dry up, Dursley, you great prune. Then bent the gun up and Vernon, scared, accidentally pulled the trigger. McGonagall was talking to Naruto. Hello Naruto, how are you? I have been good, Professor McGonagall, Naruto replied. McGonagall was shocked, said, how do you know me? We have only met once, and you was a baby, Naruto. Naruto not sure what to do, but Kurama said, tell her, Naruto, she was the only one concerned about leaving you with your assholes relatives. Okay, thanks, Kurama, Naruto thought, then turned his attention back to McGonagall, then said, I will tell you, Professor. But only you, as I feel I can only trust you. McGonagall then nodded and took out her wand, then waved it, causing everyone but herself and Naruto to collapse asleep. Then Naruto told her everything from having both his memories and powers from his past life to the power that Kami gave him to being a Jinchuriki. Shocked by what she had been told, the professor raised her wand and said, I, Minerva McGonagall, swear on my magic not to tell anyone what I have learned and will learn from Naruto Potter. You know you didn't have to do that, right? Naruto said. I know I didn't have. I wanted to just to show you your trust in me isn't misplaced. Now shall we go? Naruto said. McGonagall replied. Sure, but wouldn't it be an idea to wake up Hagrid? Naruto said. McGonagall nodded, then waved her wand, and Hagrid woke up, and before he could say anything about the sleep spell, the professor said, I am sorry about that, Hagrid, but Naruto wanted to tell me in private. He will tell you when he is ready. Now then left. Go and get Naruto ready for Hogwarts. Hagrid, understanding, just nodded, then left with Naruto and McGonagall. It has been a couple days later since Professor McGonagall and Hagrid came to pick Naruto to get him ready for Hogwarts, and the trio are in London when Naruto turned to Professor McGonagall and to ask, hey Professor M, where are we going? Minerva looked at Naruto and said, we are going to meet a family whose daughter is also starting this year. Then we will be going to Diagon Alley to get the stuff for school year. After going into a pub, the barkeeper said, hey Hagrid, you want the usual? Not right now, I am accompanying Professor McGonagall on Hogwarts business. Speaking of which, is there a muggle family called Granger? Hagrid replied. The barkeeper took a moment to think, said, yes, they are in the corner. Minerva said thank you to the barkeeper, then went over to the corner, said to the family, greeting, are you the Granger family with the muggle-born daughter? The father said, yes, that is us, pleased to meet. Now then, shall we go? Minerva asked, getting a nod from everyone. Then she led them to the back. While heading to back, Naruto noticed the daughter was a bit nervous, so he went up to her and said, hi, my name is Naruto, what's yours? The girl nervously looked at Naruto and said, my name is Herman Granger. Well, Herman, why so nervous? Naruto asked. Just nervous because of this whole new world, as I never had too many friends because I am always wanting to learn, Herman replied. At this, Naruto got a mischievous look and whispered in her ear, but loud enough for the adults to hear, sweet, now I know who to come to cheat on my homework, getting a chuckle from her parents and Hagrid. Minerva was about to scold Naruto but noticed he was joking about to ease Hermione's nerves, and when the group got to a wall, Minerva took her wand and hit a few bricks. Once she was done, the bricks opened up and Minerva said, "Welcome to Diagon Alley. The first stop we go to is Gringotts." They went into Gringotts and headed to the head cashier. The cashier looked up and said in a gruff voice, "Hello, I am Snapfist. How may I help you?" Minerva said, "Yes, I need to make 2 stops. One is to Hogwarts Vault to help Miss Granger here, and Mr. would like to make a withdrew." The goblin looked over the counter, it looked at the blonde, then looked at Minerva and said, "Of course, but we need him to take a test, and if he is who he is, does he have his key?" "Cool, I get to take a magic test," said an excited Naruto, then a second later calmed down and looked at the goblin and asked, "And how does that work, and also what key?" "I have his key because his parents trusted me enough," Minerva said as she reached into her pocket to get the key. Then she turned to Hagrid and said, "Hagrid, as I will be with Mr. Potter taking the test, can you get the money for the Hermione?" Naruto and Minerva followed Snapfist to a private meeting room. Once everyone was sitting at the desk, Snapfist went down one of the drawers and placed a sheet of paper and a knife on the table, then said, "Now, Mr. Potter, I need you to place a few drops of on this paper, then it will tell us who you say you are." "Okay," Naruto said, then grabbed the knife and sliced the tip of his finger, but will the horse talisman not to activate once the test had the necessary? He let the talisman activate. Once Snapfist was done reading the test, he excluded himself by saying, "Excuse 1 sec, but I need to get the director of Gringotts." Naruto, curious what his test said, asked, "Is there a problem?" Snapfist replied, "No, well, yes, there are a couple of problems, but we can easily set them straight." Then he went out of the office. Naruto looked at Minerva and asked, "So what do you think is going on?" "No clue, but whatever it is, it's get to be big for him to get the director," Minerva replied. Then she remembered something and said, "Naruto, you never said what the powers of the talisman, so mind telling me while we wait?" Naruto thought for a moment, then said, "You're right, I never did. Okay, I'll tell you their powers. The rooster talisman is levitation and telekinesis. The ox talisman is super strength. The snake talisman is invisibility. Rabbit talisman is super speed. The sheep talisman is astral projection. The dragon talisman is combustion. The rat talisman is animation. The horse talisman is healing and regeneration. The monkey talisman is shapeshifting into any kind of animal in the known's animal kingdom is the Muggle world. The dog talisman is immortality and rejuvenation. The pig talisman is you heat vision tiger. The talisman is spiritual balance, and that is all." Minerva was shocked but snapped out of it quickly, then said, "Well, that's some power you've got, and that is not including your chakra." Before either one could say anything, the door opened and Snapfist came in, followed by another goblin, and the latter said, "Greeting, Mr. Potter and Professor McGonagall. I am the director of Gringotts, and my name is Ragnarok." Naruto walked up to the director and said, "It's nice to meet you, and I don't mean to be rude, but what the heck is going on?" Ragnarok gave Naruto the paper with the test results and said, "Best you see for yourself. Name Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze Potter. Dob 1010155531072005. Father Minato Namikaze James Potter. Mother Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze Lily Evans Potter. Godfather Juria Sirius Black. Heir by inheritance House Uzumaki Namikaze, House Potter, House Peveril, House Gryffindor, House Hufflepuff, House Ravenclaw. Heir by conquest House Slytherin. Inheritance Potter Vault, Peveril Vault, Gryffindor Vault, Hufflepuff Vault, Ravenclaw Vault, Slytherin Vault, Hogwarts School. Magical potential blocked by APWBD. Naruto handed the results to Minerva and asked Ragnarok, "What does that mean?" "What it means, Mr. Potter, is that your potential has been blocked by Albus Dumbledore," stated Ragnarok, before saying, "It also means that you are the rightful heir to 6 houses, and 4 of which are the founders of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft, Wizardry, and so stated in the wills of 1 Godric Gryffindor, 1 Helga Hufflepuff, 1 Rowena Ravenclaw, and 1 Salazar Slytherin. Should someone inherits all 4 founders' houses, they inherits Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, but to rightfully inherit it, 2 conditions must be met. The first condition stats the person must attend Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and the second condition is they must keep the open, but you cannot take the seat of Wisengamot and the main vaults until you are of age at 17, but you have your trust vault." Cool, and I don't think that the 2 conditions will be a problem, as I am going to attend said school starting this year, and I have no problems keeping the school open for future generations, Naruto said. Ragnarok nodded, the sent Snapfist to get the deed to Hogwarts, then turned to Naruto and asked, "Now, Mr. Potter, can you please explain to me why you have 2 names in the mother and father?" "Okay, I can trust you, but you can't tell anyone or else," Naruto stated with a glow and smoke coming out his mouth and a glowing eyes. Ragnarok, not one to be intimidated easily, was downright scared of the 11-year-old boy and fond of him, so he nodded. "Okay, then you see, I am originally from a completely different universe, hence why there are 2 sets of names, and the reason I am here is because Kami gave me a second chance, but I must become a champion of light." Ragnarok took a moment to process what he just heard, then asked, "What is a champion of light?" "A champion is someone that is decided by the gods to protect the world when the balance is off," Naruto replied, then asked, "Hey, how can I get rid of the blocker that Albus placed on me?" "We can remove it for you, but it will cost you," Ragnarok replied as Snapfist came in with the deed and handed it to Naruto. That's fine, let's go and withdraw some money and then get rid of the blockers, Naruto said. Nice, then I will have it ready for when you come back. Now Snapfist, please take Mr. Potter to his vault, Ragnarok said. After a little they came back, and true to Ragnarok's word, everything was set up to remove the blockers in Naruto, so Naruto paid Goblin and entered the room. In 5 minutes Naruto came out, then he and Minerva went to meet Hagrid and the Grangers outside the bank. Hagrid first noticed them and said, "What took you so long, Professor McGonagall?" Minerva sighed and said there was a bit of a problem, but it has been sorted. Then looks at Naruto and Herman. Now then, let's get your school stuff. A few hours later the group was almost finished, as Herman said, now just need wands. Well then, let's head over to Ollivander's, as there is no place better, Hagrid said. When they went in, they was met the owner, who said, "I was wondering when I would be seeing you, Mr. Potter. I am Ollivander." "Nice to meet you." To Naruto shook his hand. Ollivander smiled, then went to a desk while saying, "Now then, let's get you both a wand, shall we? So who is first?" Without hesitation Naruto said, "Ladies first." Ollivander smiled and said, "My, what a gentleman." After sorting Herman with her wand he moved to Naruto, but none of the wand Naruto tried weren't capable. Then Ollivander thought for a moment, then mumbled, "I wonder." Then he went into the back shortly, came out holding a majestic looking box, then took the lid of, then turned the handle to Naruto, who picked it up, and there was a soft breeze and the lamp started to fur when Ollivander said, "Yoicks." Naruto looked at the wand maker and asked, "Is everything all right, old man?" Ollivander looked at Naruto and said, "You are very lucky, Naruto, and your magic potential is unlike I have ever seen." "What do you mean by that?" Herman asked. "What I mean is that, young miss, is that no one know where or who made that wand was made, and we all had agreed on a few things. One of thing is the core is a phoenix feather, but not a normal phoenix, but a blue one, and we don't know what type of wood was used, so we believe the wood is from a mythical tree," Ollivander explained, leaving 3 people with their jaws unhinged. When the 3 people picked their jaws up, Naruto and Herman paid for the wands and a maintenance kit. The group was heading out when Naruto felt something like a pull when Minerva noticed Naruto and asked, "Are you all right, Naruto?" Naruto looked at Minerva and said, "I'm fine, Professor, just want to need to go in there," then point to a pet shop. Minerva looks at the pet store, then looks back at Naruto and asked, "Why is that, Naruto?" "Not sure, Professor, but I feel some kind of pull pulling me there," Naruto replied, getting a nod from the professor. Minerva looks at Hagrid and says, "Looks like we have one more place to go." "All right, Professor," Hagrid replied. When the group went into the pet store, Herman and her parents went to look at the cats, with Hagrid accompanying them. Meanwhile, Naruto was looking for whatever is giving him a tug. After some time he found what was tugging him, and it was an egg, so he picked it and took a closer look at the egg, which was royal blue with darker blue flames at the base. Seeing the egg, Naruto looked at Minerva and said, "Hey Professor, I found it. Do you know what this egg is?" Minerva gentle took the egg and looked at it, then said, "I don't know, but Hagrid might know," then shouted, "Hagrid, please come here." Once Hagrid walked over, he said, "What can I do for you, Professor?" Minerva gave Hagrid the egg and said, "Do you know what this egg is?" Hagrid took a look at the egg, and after a few minutes of looking he handed the egg back to the professor and said, "Sorry, Professor, but I don't know what kind egg this is." "That's okay," Hagrid said. The professor took the egg and gave it back to Naruto. Naruto was heading to the cashier, saw Herman cuddling a ginger kitten, then smirked when he got to the till and saw a middle-aged woman and said, "Hello, I would like to pay for this egg." "Of course, sir," the cashier said. Once Naruto had paid for the egg, the cashier said, "Is that all, sir?" Naruto took his signature grin and said, "Yes. I would like to buy the ginger kitten the ginger is playing with, along with everything to take care of it. Then can you please give it back to the girl, but don't tell her that I am the one buying it for her until you hand the kitten back to her, okay?" Then paid for everything for the kitten, then went over to Minerva and said, "Hey Professor, I am all done here, so I am going to wait outside and wait to see the look on Herman when she realized that I just pranked her." "What do you mean by that, Potter?" asked the professor. "Tell you outside," Naruto replied. Then Hagrid and Minerva went outside. Before Naruto continued, "You know the kitten that Herman was playing with?" Gaining 2 nods. "Well, I brought it and going to give it to her as a thank you gift for being my first friend." Meanwhile, the lady went over to Herman and said, "Excuse me, miss, but someone would like to buy the kitten." With a sad look, Herman gave the kitten to the lady. Few minutes the lady walked back over to Herman and gave her a box, and the lady said, "Here you go, miss." Herman looked in the box and was surprised to find the kitten that she was just playing with. She looks at the store owner, and her mother said, "But I thought someone paid for him." The lady looked at Herman and said, "Somebody did, and I was instructed to give the kitten to you, and it was Naruto that paid for him." Herman was surprised by this, walked over to Naruto and gave him a hug and said thank you, then gave him a light punch, then said, "That was for what you just did. And if I told you that I got you the kitten, then it wouldn't have been a surprise," Naruto replied. "Fine, you win, Naruto," Herman said, pouting. Minerva clapped her hands, gaining the 2 soon-to-be students, and said, "Okay, we are done now, take these and don't lose these." She then handed both of them a ticket, then said, "Be there at the end of the mouth," then took Naruto to the Dursleys, while Grangers went their own way. Time skip. Naruto is in King's Cross Station wondering how to get to platform 9¾ and was about to use his sheep talisman to look around and let Kurama take over when he heard it's the same each year, packed with muggles. Looks around and sees a woman holding a girl that looks 9 or 10, followed by 4 boys. The oldest one looked like he was 16 or 17, then next 2 looked like they was twins, and the last one was his age. The mother says platform 9¾ this way, so Naruto decided to follow them. When they came up to a pillar, the mother turns to the boys and says, "Percy, you first." The oldest looking boy walked right up to the pillar and walked, thought it, then the mother turns back to the boys and said, "Fred, you next." One of the twins said, "Is not Fred, I am." The other twin said, honestly woman, you call yourself our mother. The mother said, oh sorry George. As George walked past his mother, he turned to her and said, just kidding, I am Fred. Then he run, and the proper George was close behind. Naruto thought, think I will get along with those two. What do you think, Kurama? Just don't invite them in here, I can just handle one moron. I don't think I can do handle three, Kurama replied. Both chuckled. Once the last boy was through, Naruto went through the barrier. Once Naruto placed his luggage minus the mysterious blue egg in the cargo car, he went and found an empty booth. He set the egg on the table and sat down and unsealed the chakra book about sealing. After about an hour after the train left the station, there was a knock. Naruto looked up and saw the boy that was outside the barrier, who said, excuse me, do you mind if I join you? Everywhere else is full. Sure, there is more than enough, Naruto replied, then went back to his book. Once the boy sat down, he said, nice to meet you, I'm Ron Weasley. Naruto looked up from his book and said, nice to meet you to Ron, I'm Naruto. Naruto, are you Naruto Potter? Ron asked, gaining a nod from Naruto before continuing, blimey, so is it true? That all depends on what it is, Naruto replied. Do you really have the scar? Ron asked. That is true, Naruto said. After a while, Naruto was munching on some sweets that he had brought and offered some to Ron, which he accepted, and gave some to a rat. When Ron noticed Naruto looking at the rat, he said, oh, this is Scabbers, and he has been in the family for years. Yet this George taught me a spell to turn him yellow. Then he got his wand out. Naruto remembered the George pranking his mother with his twin and thought, hey Kurama, how much do you want to bet that the spell is a dud? With your luck, kid, that's a sucker's bet, replied the Ten-Tails. Just before Ron could do the spell, they heard excuse me from the door. Naruto looked up and saw Herman. Hey, Herman, how have you been? Naruto asked. Hey, Naruto, I've been good thanks, Herman replied. So, what do you need, or did you just decided you couldn't wait till we get settled and before you came looking for me? Naruto asked. Herman looked confused for a moment, then remembered what she was doing right. Have any of you two seen a toad? A boy named Neville has lost his. Naruto remembered his summoning with the toads, thought to Kurama, hey Kurama, do you think it's possible to summon a summoned toad? It might be possible, kid, as the summoning jutsu is a space-time jutsu, so here is what I suggest you do. Firstly settle and then talk to Professor McGonagall and ask her if you could use a large bit of space, Kurama replied. Will do, Naruto thought, then turned his attention back to Herman and said, sorry Herman, but I haven't seen a toad. Oh okay, Herman said before noticing Ron had his wand out and said, I see you're about to do a spell, mind if I see it? Ron just shrugged, then coughed and said, sunshine daisies, buttermellow, turn this stupid fat rat yellow, but nothing happened to the rat. Naruto, trying hard not to laugh, said, sorry to tell you this, but you are a moron, as the spell might be a dud, and I saw the prank they did to their mother this morning and knew they were like me. Not liking being called stupid, Ron said in a harsh tone, and what are you? Ignoring Ron's tone, Naruto said with pride in his voice, I am a prankster. Before anyone could say or do anything, they heard a cracking sound and looked at the egg that is on the table and saw Bluebird's head poking out of the egg, and Naruto carefully broke and removed the eggshell, saw it was a boy and him Zazu, and decided to show Professor McGonagall tomorrow, then said, well, better put this little fellow with Hedwig in change, then turned to Herman and said, don't you have something to do, Herman? Herman went back to Neville to inform him that no one has seen his toad. When then train stopped, Naruto heard Hagrid's voice saying, first years of the train first and step over here, and when all the first years was the train, Hagrid said, all right, this way please. Then he lead them to boats and said, all right, no more the four to a boat. When all the boats was full, the boats began to move on their own and was heading to a castle. When they got to the castle, they was met with Professor McGonagall, and Hagrid said, here you go, Professor, the first years. Professor McGonagall looked at Hagrid and said, thank you. Hagrid then turned to the first years and said, okay students, welcome to Hogwarts. I am the deputy headmistress and teacher of charms, Professor McGonagall, please follow me. Then she lead them up a few flights of stairs into a set of doors and stopped, then turned to the students and said, in just a moment you will join you classmates that just behind these doors. But first you will need to be sorted into one of 4 houses. Before the professor could say anything else, there was a croak, then someone shouted. Trevor then went to pick up the toad, got the toad in hand, looked up and said, sorry Professor. The houses are Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw and Slytherin. Now I will see if they are ready. Then went into the hall and closed the doors. The moment the doors closed, a white-haired boy walked over to Naruto and said, well, looks like the rumors on the train are true. Naruto Potter has come to Hogwarts. Everyone was murmuring, and Naruto, being the Joker, was looking around, said, really, Naruto Potter here now? Where is he? After looking around a few times, he looked at the boy and said, so what can I do for you, Scaredy-cat? I'm Malfoy, Draco Malfoy. Malfoy said, nice to meet you, 7 wannabe. I am Naruto. Naruto said, getting a chuckle from some of the Muggle-born and the halves. Not liking being made fun of, Draco said, and here I was going to offer you some guidance on people to befriend, then offers Naruto a hand. Naruto looked at Draco and said, well, thanks for the offer, Malfoy, but I am pretty sure I am capable of doing that myself. Before Draco could say anything, Professor McGonagall came up and tapped him on the shoulder, and Draco went back where he was. Then the professor said, the sorting ceremony is ready, but first the houses will be like your family. Any triumphs will get you gain you points, and any rule breaking you will lose points, and at the end of the school year the house with the most points will win the house cup. Now come. Then the professor led the new students into the main hall. Along the way, Naruto heard Hermione says, I read in Hogwarts a history that the roof is actually just enchanted to mimic the sky. When everyone was in front of the teacher's table, Minerva said, "All right, gather round. When I say your name, you will take a sit on the stall, and I shall place the sorting hat, and it will sort you into your house." After a while, the professor said, "Naruto Potter." Naruto walks up to the stall and sits down on it, and the professor places the hat on Naruto and says, "Well now, Aunt, this is a surprise. It's very rare I get someone whose mind I can't get into. Sorry about that. I will try and get my mind open for you." Naruto whispers to the hat, then he thinks, "Hey Kurama, mind letting the hat do its job?" After a few moments, the Tentails replies, "All right, but it better put you in the house that represent your ninja way. Thanks, and you might be able to do that yourself," Naruto thought. Then he whispers, "Now you should be able to do your job." "Well now, isn't this a surprise? Your potently is greater than any I've ever met, and what's this? You have something that is bound to your very soul, and you were reincarnated as a champion, and as for your toads, I am pretty sure that you can do it now." "Then which house should I put you in?" the hat says. "You better put him in a house that is honor, or else I will take that kid over every night and hunt you, and when I do, I will rip you to shreds," says the fox. The sorting hat, scared, says, "Well then, Fox, since you put it nicely, it better be Gryffindor." And with that said, McGonagall took the hat off Naruto, and he heads to the Gryffindor table. Along the way, Naruto says to the fox, "Was that really necessary, Kurama? And we both know that you wouldn't have done that." The fox chuckles and says that may be true, but that piece of enchanted cloth doesn't know that before long all the new student was placed. The headmaster stood up and said, "Now before we begin the feast, I have a few announcements to make to the first years the Dark Forest, and our very caretaker Mr. Filch has reminded me that the right-hand side on the 3rd floor is out of bounds. Now let the welcoming feast begin." A few hours later, the Gryffindor was being led into the common room by a prefect who said, "Now then, I am Percy Weasley. And the rooms are the boys are up the stairs down and to the left, and the girls are the same but to the right." Then he just walks off. Naruto, wanting to talk to Professor McGonagall, goes out and looks for her, but just he was almost out when Ron asked, "Hey mate, where are you going?" Naruto looks at Ron and says, "I need to talk to Professor McGonagall real quick," then goes out the doorway, then activate his rabbit talisman, then starts to run around the school, and after a couple of minutes he sees her, then stops a few meters in front of her, turned to her and says, "Hey Professor, what can I do for you, Mr. Potter?" asked the professor. "Yes, is there a small field where I can try a jutsu?" Naruto asked. Minerva looked at Naruto and said in a warning tone, "What kind of jutsu?" Naruto, catching the tone, said, "Don't worry, it isn't a dangerous properly, it's just a summoning type, so as long as I don't summon a big one it should be alright." The professor raised an eyebrow and asked, "Why do you think that it will work?" "Well, according to Kurama, it is space-time type jutsu, so I was wondering if I could summon them, and if I can talk to people from my original universe," Naruto replied with a downcast look. The professor saw the look and knew and said, "Alright, I can take to a decent area. After all, I am curious about this summons and what animal it is. So does this weekend sound good? That way it give you a couple of days to settle down and you can get it done before lessons start on Monday." "Cool, thanks Professor, see you in a few days," Naruto said. "Now run back to the common room and get some rest," Minerva said. Naruto was about to activate the rabbit talisman, remembered something, turns to the professor and said, "Oh yes Professor, the egg hatch on the train, so mind if I bring him to you in the morning?" "Sure, Naruto, meet me in front of the main hall, say about 11 in the morning?" the professor asked, and Naruto nodded. Then the professor said, "Now off to bed." Naruto then activated the rabbit talisman, then speed to the Gryffindor common room, and the professor walked to her room. Time skipped the next morning. Naruto was in the Gryffindor common room heading out with Zazu, who was in a spear cage brought to meet up with Minerva, when he heard, "Hey Naruto, where are you going?" Naruto turns around and sees the boy that lost his toad and said, "Hey you Neville, right?" Neville nodded and said, "That's right. Just heading to the hall to meet Professor McGonagall to find out what kind of bird Zazu is," Naruto said while showing Neville the blue bird, then had a thought, then said, "Hey Nev, why don't you come with me?" "You don't mind?" asked a surprised Neville. "Nah, I don't mind, otherwise I wouldn't have asked," Naruto said. "Thank you, Naruto, I was wondering what kind of bird it is," Neville said. And with that, both boys left the common room and headed to the hall to meet Professor McGonagall, and when they both got there they saw that said professor was already there, and Naruto said, "Hey Professor, sorry for keeping you waiting. I decided to invite Neville as he was wondering what kind of bird Zazu is and he seemed to need a friend." "Afternoon Potter, and to you to Longbottom, and that was a nice gesture Naruto. We are going to see Hagrid, as I am still sure he will know what kind of bird it is," said the professor. Then the trio walked to Hagrid's hut, and they got there the professor knocked. When Hagrid answered the door and saw the professor and the two boys, he said, "Greeting Naruto, Professor McGonagall, what bring you lot to my little hut, and please come on, and just about to make some tea, would and of you like some?" While stepping aside, catching a glimpse of the bird in the cage, then said, "Hey Naruto, did that bird come from the egg you brought was we was in Diagon Alley?" Naruto holds Zazu up for the half-giant to see and says, "Yeah it is, and that is why we are here, to see if you can name what kind of bird it is." Hagrid took a closer look at the bird, and after a few minutes he said, "Well Naruto, I do believe you have a very rare phoenix, a blue phoenix, and this kind of phoenix is said to have two kind of elemental powers, one of which is blue fire, which is hot, then any flame, and ice, which is said to be so cold that it is at absolute zero." After hearing this, everyone was shocked but was broken out when Naruto said, "Sweet, that is awesome, so any take on how to keep one healthy?" And for the next hour or so everyone was chatting about various things, and the professor had already left to sort out her classes for the following week. Time skipped the weekend. Naruto was eating lunch when Professor McGonagall walked and said, "You ready, Potter?" "Been ready for a couple of days, Professor," Naruto said with excitement in voice as he jumps out of his seat. Ron, wondering what's going on, asked, "Hey mate, what's going on?" Naruto looks at Ron and said, "I will properly tell you one day, Ron." Then he walks out of the hall, then he stops and waits for the professor. Once she passes, follows her while they walk. Naruto thought, "Hey Kurama, what do you think of Ron? I get the feeling that he might be a shallow friend. If you want my honest opinion, kid, he doesn't seem to be the brightest person, and you can do better than him as a friend, as I am getting some mild negative emotions from him. And when I say you can do better, I mean like that Neville boy. True, all the oi needs is some confidence, or Granger girl that you seemed fond of," replied the Tentailed with a teasing tone towards the end. "So I become friends with Neville and Hermione and give Ron a trial run?" Naruto asked, missing the tone. Kurama took a few moments to think and said, "Sounds like a plan." After a few more minutes of walking, both professor and student came to a clearing, and the professor said to Naruto, "Is this big enough for you, Naruto?" Naruto looked around and said, "Yes, it is." Then he walks a far bit from the professor, then thinks, "Dear Kami, I hope this works." Then does the hand signs for summoning and said summoning jutsu. Then there was a puff of smoke, and when it cleared there stood an orange toad with purple markings around his eyes, mouth, and stomach, and looked around and said, "What just happened?" After a couple of minutes the toad notices Naruto and said, "Naruto, that really, you know it can't be, you're dead. Wait, does that mean I'm dead?" Naruto, laughing at the sight before him, he failed to notice the professor walking up behind and said, "Now Naruto, I am assuming it worked, judging by the panicking toad." Naruto manages to calm down, turns to the professor and said, "Yes, Professor, it worked. Now I have to Gamakichi and explain the situation." Then he turns to the panicking toad and seeing how he is and knowing that it will be a hassle, he uses the roost talisman to levitate the toad and says to the toad, "Now calm down, Gamakichi, you are not dead and neither am I." The toad looks at Naruto and said, "What do you mean that we aren't dead, Naruto? We buried your body." "Well, now that a story, now I am going to put you down and I want you to stay calm and then I will tell you, okay?" Naruto asked, and Gamakichi nodded, and so Naruto told him that he was alive when Kakashi arrived. Then getting killed by Kakashi, meeting Kami, then getting reborn in a world of magic. Gamakichi, who was having a hard time believing Naruto but found that it was properly the only way that Naruto could still summon the toads, then said, "Okay Naruto, I am going to go back and talk to Dad and let him know what is going on." Naruto was about to say okay but said, "Hey Gamakichi, how about you take me with you, and I can tell the boss toad all about what has happened." After a few moments Gamakichi said, "Sure, I don't mind, and it will save me a headache about making that you are alive and in a different universe." Before Gamakichi could do anything, the professor said, "Wait Toad, mind if I come with you and Naruto?" Gamakichi looked at Minerva and said, "Who are you?" "I am Minerva McGonagall and I am a professor at the school that Naruto is attending." "Nice to meet you," Minerva introduced herself. "Well, nice to meet you, Minerva. I am Gamakichi and I am the heir to the Toad clan and I don't think it would be a problem," Gamakichi said, then returned home along with Naruto and Minerva. When they both got to Mount Myaboku, Gamakichi said, "Well Naruto, you have been here before, so I will be saying this mainly to Minerva. Welcome to Mount Myaboku. Now if you two will follow me, I will take you to my father." Then Gamakichi started to hope along to where his father was. After a couple of minutes they came to a massive toad that was a dull rusty red with a brighter red around his eyes, lips, and Gamakichi stopped and said, "Yo Pops, guess who I found?" "What is it now, Kichitatsu? Not playing with you now," said the massive toad. Before the little toad could say anything, Naruto walked up to the massive toad and said, "Well, I guess it's nice to see you again, Gamabunta." Gamabunta looked down upon hearing Naruto's voice and said, "Kichi, what is going on here?" "Well, Pops, I think it would be best as if I let Naruto and Minerva tell you," replied Gamakichi. Naruto looked at Gamabunta and said, "Well, Chief, I will tell you, but I need you to do something first." The chief toad looked at Naruto and said, "And what might that be, Naruto?" Naruto gave Gamabunta a sad foxy smile and said, "Do you think you could bring Jiraiya and Tsunade here, as I am sure they need to know what really happened?" After a few minutes Gamabunta knows that he might be right, as he was the only other person that was at the Valley of the End, said, "Okay Naruto, I will do it." Then he sent a toad to get Tsunade and reverse summon Jiraiya. After 5 minutes Naruto was hiding and both people was in front of Gamabunta, and Jiraiya said, "Okay Bunta, why have you summoned me and Tsunade here?" Gamabunta chuckled and said, "I believe he should be the one to explain what's going on." "What do you mean, Bunta?" asked Jiraiya. Before anyone could say anything, Naruto walked out from behind Gamabunta and said, "Hey Bachan and you two Urasen," and shocking both of them. Then he runs over and hugs both of them and said, "I have missed you both so much." Tsunade gets out of Naruto's hug and grabs him by the collar, lifts him off the ground and says in a pissed voice and demanded, "Okay brat, who are you? Drop the Jinjitsu now." Minerva walked out and said, "Wait, that is really Naruto, and if you put him down, he will tell you what happened." Tsunade drops Naruto on the ground and says, "Okay brat, start explaining." "Okay Bachan," Naruto said, pissing Tsunade even more. Then he explained what happened before he died and getting reborn in a word with magic. When Naruto was done, Tsunade walked up to Naruto and gave him a big hug and said, "I am glad to see you again and I miss you so much, then let's go." Jiraiya walks up to Naruto and says, "Glad you were reborn with you chakra and able to summon the toad. Now we can talk the letters and able to tell us what really happened at Valley of the End. Now we can bring Kakashi and Sasuke to justice." Well, it's been nice to see you both again and glad to see that you're both doing well, Naruto said, then handed Tsunade a bunch of letters and said, I wrote these so you can give them to my friends and to tell them what I have been up to in this world. And while I was writing them I was hoping with all my heart that this would work, and they spent hours talking about things that has happened, and Minerva told Tsunade and Juri all about the world that Naruto was a part of. When it was time to say goodbye, Tsunade walked up to Minerva and said, Minerva, I know we got off on the wrong foot, but I would like to say sorry and please look after Naruto. He has, and I bet that he will always go the extra mile to protect his friends and do what is right even if it means breaking the rules, so please promise me that you will look after him. Minerva had heard some of Naruto's childhood, was appalled by what the village had done, now understood why Naruto does what he does, said, I will try my best, but that might be hard as I am a teacher so I can't show favoritism. Happy and understanding, Tsunade said, that is fine as long as you try, then goes over to Naruto and said, I do believe this is yours. Naruto then takes of her necklace and give it back to Naruto. Naruto looks at the necklace and said, but wasn't thins on my original body? Yes, it was. I sent an Ambu to retrieve it when Kakashi lied about you being dead when he got there, but don't worry, that will be corrected when I get back, Tsunade said with a grin. Then they went to their own universe, Naruto feeling better now that he can talk to people from his home universe, but at the same time sad that he can't see them as they need to sign the Toad contract, and Tsunade and Juri are happy that they know what really happened to Naruto and no plan to bring the guilty to justice. When they both got back to school, Naruto got back. He went to his house common room and read some jutsu while the professor was in her office thinking about what she learned about Naruto. It was the first day of school term and Naruto was in his first lesson, which was transfiguration. He was sitting alone at his twin deck looking at a tabby cat that was sitting on the professor's desk when the door and Ron came though and sat next. Naruto. Ron looks at Naruto and said, thank God that the professor's not here yet. Naruto finally looked away from the cat to look at Ron and said, you would think so, Ron. Where are you? Why hell about I don't see the professor here, so therefore she isn't here, Ron said smugly. Naruto just sighed and said, you are an idiot. You know that, Ron, this is a transfiguration class, right? Which Ron nodded. And what is this class going to teach you? Ron smiled and said, and you call me an idiot? What this class is turning one thing into another. Right, and there is this thing that very few witch or wizard can be, and that is called being an animagus, Naruto said, then turned his attention back to the cat and said, isn't that right, Professor McGonagall? The cat jumped off the desk and turned into said professor, looked at Naruto and said, how did you know that the cat was me, Mr. Potter? Well, because I don't know much about this world yet. I went into the library to read a few books, some basic, others not so much. One of the books was about rituals, and it had the animagus ritual, so I read about it. Looks complicated and way out of my skills, so I know I won't be trying to do that. Plus it is also a type of transformation, and there being a tabby in class when a professor should be, Naruto explained. I must say I am impressed, Mr. Potter. 10 points to Gryffindor, said the professor. Then she turned to Ron and said, now Mr. Wesley, why was you late? Got lost, sorry, Professor, Ron replied. Then for the next hour the professor was teaching. When it was time for the next lesson the class was leaving when the professor said, Mr. Potter, a word please. Sure, Professor, Naruto said, then turned to Herman and said, hey Herman, please tell Snape that I might be late. Why? Sure, Naruto, Herman replied, then walked off to the next class. Naruto walked up to the professor's desk and said, what can I do for you, Professor? It is about the animagus ritual, the professor replied with a worried tone. Naruto replies what she means and said, well, Professor, you don't have to worry about a thing you seem to have forgotten. I have the power of the monkey, which similar to that ritual, and it is less dangerous but more powerful. The ritual allows you to turn into one animal, but I have the power to turn into all animals in the Muggle world, so I am better off if you ask me. Minerva, seeing Naruto has point, said, okay, I see you pint, and I also believe you are better off, but what if someone found out about your talismans and chakra? I say I don't care, after all it's not like they can harness my chakra. True, I can unlock others if I trust them enough, and as for the talismans, they can't get them no matter what they do, Naruto said. Why is that, Naruto asked Minerva. Well, simply put, you need to be a master of a type of magic that nobody uses, and also a master of potions, which I will need to study at some point in the future, Naruto said. What type of magic is that, Naruto, and why is that, asked the professor. The type of magic that is needed to get the talismans is Kai magic, and there are some Kai magic that requires potions, and that is also included to get the talismans, Naruto explained. Thanks, Naruto, for telling me all this. Now off to your next class, said the professor. It is not a problem, Professor, Naruto said. Then he headed to his next class, which was potion. When Naruto got to his potions class, he knocked and then walked in, and the professor said, Mr. Potter, our new celebrity thought you was good enough to skip a class. Not at all, Professor, it was just that Professor McGonagall wanted to have a word with me about something, Naruto replied. Tell me, Mr. Potter, what would I get if I added powdered root of asphodel to an infused of wormwood, the professor asked. Why are you asking me? It is literally the first potion class I have been in, and if you don't know then this class is doomed, Naruto said before saying, Al, by the way, you would get a sleeping potion so powerful that it is called the Draft of the Living Dead. Correct. Now where might I find a Bezor, asked the professor. Isn't that a stone that is taken from a goat's stomach, Naruto asked. One more question, what is the difference between Monkshood and Wolfsbane, the professor asked. The location that they are found, other than at nothing, and why don't you ask someone else like Herman some questions, or are you one of those professors, Naruto asked. So, you haven't let your fame get to you, Potter, said the professor. Of course not, why would I? Plus there is the fact that I only found out that I was famous a few days after my birthday, Naruto said. It was the flying lesson and the professor said, "Welcome to your first flying lesson. Well, what are you waiting for? Everyone stand on the left-hand side of their broomstick, stick their right hand over the broom and say up." When Naruto said up, it went up first time and he didn't use his rooster power. He looks at Hermione, who was having trouble, and he told her, "Listen Hermione, you need be confident. When you say up, say it with your heart's fire." Hermione looks at Naruto and said, "My what now?" "Your heart's fire. When you say a spell you must speak with passion and don't hold back, so take a deep breath, find your center and say up," Naruto explained. Hermione, deciding to take Naruto's advice, took a deep breath and said up, and the broom went into her hand. First time she smiled, looked at Naruto, and said, "Thanks for the advice, Naruto." "No problem, Hermione," Naruto said. After a few more minutes, everyone had their brooms. The professor said, "All right, now I want you to mount it and also have a firm grip, so you don't slip off when I blow my whistle. I want you to kick off the ground and hover for a few seconds, lean slightly forward, then back on the ground. Then she blow the whistle. The broom that Neville was on started to go haywire. And when it ended, Madam Hooch took Neville to the infirmary. Malfoy picks up Neville's that he had gotten earlier that day and said maybe the fat lump had given this a squeeze. He might have remembered to land on his arse. Naruto, not liking how Malfoy was talking about Neville, said, "Give me the Malfoy. And here I was thinking about leaving it somewhere for Longbottom to find, so the answer is no." Malfoy said, got on his broom and said maybe the roof might be a good spot, then flew away. Naruto was about to get on his broom, but Hermione said, "Naruto, stop. You heard what the professor said, and beside you have no idea how to fly." Naruto looks at Hermione and said, "I have always been more of a practical learner anyway," then took off. Hermione said, "What an idiot." When Naruto got up to Malfoy, he said, "So what are you going to do?" Malfoy looks at Naruto and said, "I am going to do this," then he throw it. Naruto took no time and shot past Malfoy, causing him to momentarily lose balance thanks to Naruto training in his past life, and before coming to Hogwarts could easily see that he speed up to get in front of it, turned and catch it, but not before turning around on his broomstick. But what he failed to notice was he was in front of a window with Professor McGonagall seeing him catching. A few minutes after he landed, Professor McGonagall and said, "Naruto, Potter, please come with me." Malfoy said, "Looks like you're in trouble." "Wouldn't be the first time I've been in trouble, Malfoy," Naruto replied. Once out of earshot, Naruto asked, "Is there something I can do for you, Professor?" "Naruto, I want you to be honest with me. Did you use your rooster power to get the?" asked the professor. "No, I did not, Professor. That would be too great, and I want to keep my other powers a secret and not reveal them until I have to. Plus, if I did, you think I would be on the broom?" Naruto replied. "Okay, that was a really good point. Okay, then please come with me," the professor said. Then she took him to another class. She turned to him and said, "You stay here," then walked into the class and said, "Sorry, Professor Quirrell, could I borrow wood for a little bit?" The professor said, "Sure you can," and a boy got up and followed Professor McGonagall, and when she got back to Naruto, she said, "Potter, thins is Oliver Wood, who I have found you a seeker." A few days later, Naruto was in the courtyard with the captain of the Quidditch, who was explaining the rules and the types. Quidditch is easy to understand. The teams has 7 players, 3 chasers, 2 beater, which you've met the Weasley twins, a keeper, me, and a seeker. There are 3 types of S. The one to score points of call the quaffle bends down and opens the trunk, then picks up the biggest one before continues. The chasers handle this and throws it, though one of those 3 hoops points to the posts in the distant, then says, "But it's not that easy. Is they a keeper guarding them with me so far?" "Yes, I am," then points at the S and asked what kind of S are the ones that moves. Oliver picks up a bat and hands it to Naruto and says, "You better take this," then releases one of the S. It shot up, then it came down. When it was in range, Naruto swung the bat and hit the, sending it a far bit away. Oliver whistled and said, "Impressive, Naruto. If being a seeker doesn't suit you, you would make an excellent beater." It was Halloween and Naruto was sitting in his charms class listening to the teacher going on about the levitation spell when he said, "Now you try." Naruto decided not to do anything because of his rooster power. He hears Hermione helping Ron out, but he did not take it well and spent the rest of the lesson sulking. Naruto and Ron was on the way to the next class. Ron said, "I tell you, mate, she is a nightmare. I am not surprised she doesn't have friends." Hermione, who was walking behind them, brushed past Ron with a look like she wanted to cry. Naruto saw this, turned to Ron, grabbed him and lifted him off the ground and said, "Listen here, Ron, and listen good. I gave you the benefit of the doubt, seeing you could be a good friend, but all you did was criticize the things I read and not put any effort into do anything. And you are wrong about Hermione. She does have a friend too at the moment, me and Neville, so unless you can put your wounded pride aside, don't come anywhere near me." Then drops him, then thought, "Hey Kurama, do you think I should go after Hermione?" "Not now, Kate. Give her some time by herself before looking for her," replied the Tentailed, knowing that Naruto will worry about the girl, but Kurama knows that Naruto was not sure what to do. At dinner time, Naruto was looking for Hermione but could not see her, so he turned to Neville and said, "Hey Nev, do you know where Hermione is?" Neville looks over to Naruto and said, "I heard from Parvati Patil that she was in the girls' bathroom crying all afternoon." Before Naruto could say anything, the doors opened and Professor Quirrell came running through, shouting, "Troll! Troll! There is a troll in the dungeon. Thought you ought to know about the troll." Then he collapsed. While all the student minus Naruto, who was still eating calmly, was panicking, Professor Dumbledore shouted, "Quiet." When the students calmed down, the headmaster said, "Now then, prefects will lead their house back to their dormitories in a calm order manner, and the professors will come with me to the dungeons." When the Gryffindors was about halfway to their dorm, when Naruto realized something, then he turned and grabs Neville and pulls him out of the line and said, "Nev, we have to leave right now." "What is going on, Naruto?" Neville asked, knowing that Naruto do not tend to break the rule without reason. It is about Hermione. She doesn't know about the troll, so we need to find her, Naruto said. Now seeing the emergency, Neville said, come on, let go, though I won't be much help. The troll has left the dungeon. Do not worry about it, Neville. If that is the case, then I will be the one that will distract it while you get or run with Hermione, okay? And don't worry about me, just run to a safe distance, and we will work on your confidence. Answer day, Naruto said with a tone that Neville never heard from Naruto. Okay, Naruto. Neville said they was on their way to the girls' bathroom when they heard foot, and Neville said with a scared tone, I don't think the troll's in the dungeon now. Then they saw the troll walk past and go into the girls' bathroom, causing them to run. As soon as they got there, Hermione screamed. Naruto, seeing that Hermione got nowhere to go and seeing that there is no room to get past, he said, Neville, in a minute, grab Hermione and do what I said. Scared out of his mind, Neville said, and how do you expect me to do that, Naruto? There is no way I can get past the troll. Look, Neville, I know you are scared, but it will be alright. And I promise I will explain what is I promise, and I always keep my promises, Naruto said just as he saw the troll swing his club at Hermione, then done some hand signs, then said substitute jutsu. Then Hermione stood where Naruto was, and Naruto was where Hermione, and he took the hit that was meant for Hermione, which sent him into a wall. Hermione, who was confused about what just happened, saw Naruto go flying into a wall, shouted in a panicked tone, Naruto. And Neville was just as confused about what Naruto just done. The troll, being dumb, turned around looking at Neville and Hermione, and Neville, who was shaking with fear, took his wand but dropped it when the troll swung his club at him. As the troll missed, he hit a wall, but what nobody saw was a large bit of debris landed on Neville's wand, and when the troll was about to swing again, Naruto got up and said, alright, P-Brain, now you are in trouble. Then the troll turned around and tried to swing his club, but Naruto used his rooster power, and the troll's club stayed in the air, surprising both Hermione and Neville, as Hermione didn't have her wand out and Neville had dropped his. But as they looked at Naruto, they saw even he didn't have his wand out. Then the club moved towards Naruto, and he grabbed the club with the power of the ox, then flew up to the troll's head, and Naruto lifted the club above his head and said, well, say good night, ugly, then with all his might and hit the troll on his head, killing it, then walked over to Hermione and Neville. Hermione and Neville stood there trying to believe in what they just saw, but Hermione was first to snap out of her shock when she saw Naruto walking over, then asked, is it dead, snapping Neville out of his shock. Naruto looked at the troll and said properly. Before anyone could say anything, 3 professors showed up, and Minerva, shocked at the sight, said, explain, the 3 of you. Hermione was about to speak when Kurama said, Kit, you need to say what really happened here, cause the girl you are fond of is about to lie. Thanks, Kurama, Naruto thought back, then said, Hermione, no need to lie, then turned to the professors and said, you see, Professor, me and Neville came here to warn Hermione about the troll, as she was in here crying about a comment that Ron made earlier today, but when we get here the troll had left the dungeon. Then why didn't you let a professor or your prefects know, asked the professor. Well, the professors was heading to the dungeon, so we thought that the troll was still there, and we only one prefect, and that is the head prefect, and he seems like the person that care more about the rule than someone life, replied Naruto with Hermione and Neville nodding behind him. Seeing that Naruto has been truthful, Professor McGonagall turned to Hermione and said, now Miss Granger, can you tell me what did Mr. Weasley say? Hermione, looking nervous, looked to Naruto and he gave her a reassured smile and nodded. Then Hermione turned back to the head of Gryffindor, took a deep breath and said, well, Professor, it started in our charms class. I tried to help Ron out, but he didn't appreciate it, and after class he said to Naruto, she is a why nightmare. I am not surprised she doesn't have friends. Then I brushed past him, upset that he would say that after I tried and helped him. Once Naruto knew that Hermione finished, and he said once she was gone, I turned to Ron and said that he was wrong, as she has 2 friends, me and Neville, then told him unless he lets go of his wounded pride not to come near me. Then I wanted to look for Hermione, but something told me to leave her alone for a bit. Okay, well then 5 points to both you and Neville for coming to the aid of a student who might not be standing here now. Now off to bed, the 3 of you. You have had a tiring day, said Professor McGonagall, and the trio headed to their common room. When the trio got to the common, Naruto looked at his friends and said, okay, listen, you 2, I don't want to let anyone know what you saw today, okay, and I will tell you everything tomorrow, okay, and they both nodded, then went to bed. It is the day after the troll incident, and Naruto was reading his book that Kami gave him in the Gryffindor common room, waiting for Neville and Hermione so he can explain what he did yesterday. When the entrance opened up and the head of Gryffindor walked though and spotted Naruto, she said, Mr. Potter, I would like to talk to you about last night. Before Naruto could say anything, the 2 people he was waiting for came and heard what the professor said. Hermione said, but Professor, we did tell you what happened. Naruto looked over and said, it is okay, Hermione, she knows that I was lying about what really happened last night. Then turned to the professor and said, well, the first part was the complete truth. Me and Neville did go to the girls' bathroom to warn Hermione, and she was there because of what Ron said about her earlier in the day, and when we got to the corridor the troll was walking into the bathroom, and me and Neville got there with wand at the ready. The troll had Hermione cornered and was about to swing his club at her, and seeing there was no other way I could get Hermione out there without her getting harmed, so I told Neville that I was going to do something, and when it was done he was supposed to grab Hermione and run. Then I substituted with her just as the troll swung his club, which hit me on my left side, which sent me into the wall by the doorway and got buried. Then once I managed to dig myself out, I got the troll's attention, which caused it to try and swing at me, but with Rooster I kept it levitated the flow up and grabbed the club, then with the power of the ox swung the club with all my might and hit it on the head. The professor gave a little nod and said, well, that explains who the troll died. Both Snape and Quirrell think that it was a levitation spell gone. Now confused Hermione said, Professor, what is going on here? Then she turned to Naruto and said, what this about rooster power and ox power? Naruto turns to Professor and said, can I answer that? Before you answer, the Professor nodded. Then he turned to Hermione and said, that is part of what I am telling you later. Hermione, which received a nod. Seeing her chance to speak, the Professor said, well, I am here for 3 reasons. I have already sorted. Another is with Mr. Longbottom and the last is with Mr. Weasley. Naruto said, Professor, do you want go and get Ron while you talk to Neville? That would be appreciated, Naruto replied Professor McGonagall. Then Naruto left the common room and headed up the steps to the boys' bedrooms to wake up Ron. When he go to Ron's bed and starts to wake him up, Ron groaned as he opens his eyes to see Naruto. He says, what the why hell do you want? Hey, wake team, Professor McGonagall wants to talk to you about something. She is downstairs right now waiting, so I wouldn't keep her waiting for long, Naruto said, then left the room and goes to common room to see Neville getting chowed out by an old lady while Neville holds a broken wand and says, hey, what is going on? Everyone looks at Naruto, and the old lady that was chowing Neville out said, just telling off my grandson for breaking his wand that was his father's last night. Look, lady, I get it, but there is one thing you are forgetting, Naruto said, as he was quite sure the wand got broken during the troll incident last night and the lady did not know. Then what would that be? Asked Neville's grandmother. Do you know how it got broken? Naruto asked. The old lady opened her mouth to speak, then closed it, then began to think. After a few moments she said, no, I just assumed it was just Neville being Neville. Well, to tell you, somehow a troll got into Hogwarts last night and our friend didn't know about it, so we went to warn her but the troll got to her first. The wand must have gotten broken in the struggle, Naruto said, then turned to a downcast Neville and asked, can I look at the wand please? Neville gave Naruto the wand, then Naruto put the wand together. He activated the power of the horse, completely repairing the wand, shocking his friends and Neville's grandmother. Then he picked the wand up and handed it to Neville, then turned to the Professor and said, Professor, is there a place we could go so I can have a private chat with my friends? Then he looks to the doorway and said, that also includes you 2 knuckleheads. The door opened and reveals the Weasley twins. Then Fred said, how did you know we was here, Naruto? I will tell you how I know later, was all Naruto said. Neville's grandmother walked up to Naruto and said, thank you for bringing out my grandson's inner lion out. Not a problem, and I can guarantee that as long as he and I are friends, that lion will come out to play more often, Naruto said. Professor McGonagall said, you can use my classroom, Naruto, but can you check what is taking Ron a long time? Sure, thanks, Sensei, Naruto said as he went back to the bedroom only to see Ron had gone back to sleep, then said as he walked over, okay, then you want to do it the hard way, fine, then I am going to drag you downstairs. Then he grabbed Ron's shirt, used the ox talisman, then dragged him to the Professor, then lead his friends to the classroom after saying bye to Neville's grandmother. Once the group got to the classroom, Naruto checked that there was nobody outside, then closed the door, then put a privacy seal over it so they couldn't be overheard. Then he walked over the teacher's desk and sat on it, then said, okay, before I start, believes in reincarnation. When nobody put their hand up, he asked Hermione, why not? Well, for starters, the whole thing about when you die you are reborn seems unlike, and as you know me, I will believe it if I can see it, Hermione replied. Well, then you all might as well as believe it because you know someone that has been reincarnated, Naruto said. This news shocked everyone, and Fred asked, all right, mate, who is it? Me, Naruto said. This better not be a prank, Naruto, George said. It is not, and I can prove it, Naruto said. Then thought you ready to do this, Kurama? Ready as I will ever be, Naruto. But it will be nice to talk to other people other than you, replied the fox. Then Naruto then activated the astral protection talisman to leave his body and saw that he was visible, which shocked his friends, but when they saw Naruto's body move, they all fainted, which caused Naruto and Kurama to doubly over with laughter. After about 5 minutes, Naruto and Kurama was still laughing, but not as bad when they saw that their friends was waking up. Then they both told them about who and what was controlling Naruto's, their past life, the powers of the 12 talismans to chakra. Then once they had all asked Naruto all the question they could think of, they headed to the Great Hall for breakfast after promising not to say a word to anyone. Time skip. Over the month, Naruto had his first Quidditch match against Slytherin, which Gryffindor won, and that there is a Cerberus dog named Fluffy who appears to be guarding something, and whatever it is between Headmaster Dumbledore and some guy named Nicholas Flamel. It is the first day of Christmas holidays, and Hermione was saying bye to her friends, and Naruto promised to still look for any clues on Nicholas Flamel. It is now Christmas morning, and Neville woke Naruto up by shouting from the common room, and seeing as he wouldn't have any presents, he strolled down to the common room and saw Neville, Fred, and George waiting for him, and he said, morning guys, when he saw what the twins was wearing, rouge jumpers with a cream G and F, then said, nice jumpers, are they homemade? The twins had a mild look of disgust and said, Fred said with a downcast voice, yeah, it is homemade, our mother make one for us every year. Naruto, catching that tone and look, walked up to them, then a 2-finger slap without ox power, then said with a pissed tone, I caught the tone, and the look you two gave, yeah, hit properly is embarrassing. But at least you get something that your mother poured her love in it, and that is worth more than anything in the entire multiverse, and take it from someone who grew up being an orphan in 2 lifetimes. Fred and George both looked at each other with a look of shame as they knew that Naruto was telling the truth. Then George said, you're right, Naruto, we have been getting these for as long as we can remember, and I guess that we never thought about what Mom think when she makes them for us, and on another you have presents. Shocked by this news, Naruto asked, okay, just to make sure I heard you, you said I have presents. Neville then said, yes you do. Naruto then went to the tree and picked on up. He noticed that it had a note, so he read it out loud. Your father left this in my protection before he died. At his time it was returned to its rightful owner. Use it well. Then opened the present and saw that it was a cloak. Holds it up and said, cool looking cloak, right guys? And receives a nod from all three of them. Then Naruto puts it on. When he saw his friends with looks of shock, he looks down and see that he is only a head that says cool invisibility cloak. These are worth a fortune. Then there was a voice from the bedroom doorway. Now isn't that a little bit funny that you, someone who supposedly doesn't get any presents, gets one of the most expensive things in the world? And the group looks over and sees Ron. Naruto, not liking the tone, said, and what the hell is that supposed to mean, team? Oh, nothing, just finding it hard to believe that you get no presents, Ron said as he walked away. After that he got a broom polishing kit from Neville, a pranking set from the twins, few books about various subjects. The next one surprised him as it was a Rouge homemade jumper with a cream H. Then looks at the twin and asked, did your mother really give me a homemade Weasley jumper? Fred said, yes, sorry about that. We might have told her that you didn't really like Christmas due to how you was raised, but we didn't expect her to make one for you. Naruto did not know what to say, but he was happy. Then he went for the last one, which also came with a note that said, thought these might come in handy at some point for you and your friends. Naruto opens the present and sees it as a red mask with white beard with what seems to be unruly eyebrows and a mustache. Fred and George sees the mask and Fred said, nice looking mask, Naruto, perfect for Halloween, so come on and put it on. Naruto, thinking what harm can it do, stuck it on, and the moment he did, 9 masks came out. Mask that Naruto was wearing, then the mask disappeared. The 9 masks other formed 9 Oni figures. Each one was wearing ancient Japanese armor, causing Neville to hide behind a chair. The first Oni was Rouge and looked normal. Next one was Purple, who had razor-like fingers. Next to him was a yellow one with bat wings. Then you had a green one that looked like a sumo. One was blue and looked like he was a samurai. One was orange that looked like a squid. The next one was dark gray and looked like a crab. Then you had one was dark yellow and was the smallest one, and the last one was red and was like a mantis. Naruto asked, okay, what is going on here? The blue one said, stepped forward, bowed, and said, greeting Lord Naruto. Once we are done explaining what we are, I will tell you what is going on, but Kami said that you and your friends might need our help, so she sent us to you to help you. And for what we are the 9 Oni generals, and we each can summon ninja-like shadow spirits from the shadow realm called Shadowkin. I am the leader of the Oni generals. My name is Ikazuki, and I can summon the Samurai Khan clan. Then out of a nearby shadow a figure wearing a dark blue, metallic samurai armor. They have grayish blue skin, but only their hands are visible. They wear dark red belts and have one glowing red eye. They are 1.5 times taller than a regular human. Then went back into the shadow. Once the samurai was gone, the Rouge one stepped forward, bowed, said, greetings my lord, I am Rariku, and I can summon the Ninja Khan clan. Then out of a shadow a figure that has grayish blue skin and glowing red eyes, wearing black ninja suits with dark red and blue accents that cover most of their body and face. Then went back into the shadow. Once the ninja was gone, the Purple one stepped forward, bowed, and said, greetings my lord, I am Murasaki, and I can summon the Razor Khan clan. Then out of a shadow a tall figure that had a pointed head with one glowing red eye. They wear black suits with dark red accents that cover all of their body. They have dark red belts and brown ropes covering their forearms and hands. Instead of fingers, they have 5 giant, razor-sharp claws. Their legs are also pointed. Then went back into the shadow. Once the razor was gone, the yellow one stepped forward, bowed, and said, greetings my lord, I am Kiro, and I can summon the Bat Khan clan. Then out of a shadow a figure that has dark, grayish-blue skin and one glowing red eye. They wear black suits that only cover their torso. They have 3 sharp fingers on each of their hands and wear dark red belts. Their most remarkable feature is their giant, bat-like wings. The wings are lighter in color and are connected to their backs. Then went back into the shadow. Once the bat was gone, the green one stepped forward, bowed, and said, greetings my lord, I am Midori, and I can summon the Sumo Khan clan. Then out of a shadow a figure that has grayish-blue skin and red eyes, are twice as tall and 5 times as wide as regular humans. They wear black suits with dark red accents. Then went back into the shadow. Once the sumo was gone, the orange one stepped forward, bowed, and said, greetings my lord, I am Orangey, and I can summon the Squid Khan clan. Then out of a shadow a figure that has 2 sets of tentacles which they can extend drastically. They have grayish-blue skin and black suits. Their abdomen and tail are skin-colored. They have 7 glowing red eyes and 2 vertically oriented fang-filled mouths, and was probably the scariest out of the 9 clans. Then went back into the shadow. Once the squid was gone, the dark gray one stepped forward, bowed, and said, greetings my lord, I am Kuro, and I can summon the Crab Khan clan. Then out of a shadow a figure that was 1.5 times taller than a regular human. It has long legs and incredibly well-built bodies. They wear black suits that entirely covers them. They have 1 glowing red eye. The Crab Khan are the only asymmetrical Shadowkin tribe, as their left arm have crab-like pincers while their right arm have stabbing claws and no pincers. Then went back into the shadow. Once the crab was gone, the dark yellow one stepped forward, bowed, and said, greetings my lord, I am Masugurin, and I can summon the Mini Khan clan. Then out of a shadow a figure that was the smallest of the Shadowkin. They look like little sharks on legs. They are the only Shadowkin without eyes. Then went back into the shadow. Once the Mini was gone, the red one stepped forward, bowed, and said, greetings my lord, I am Akka, and I can summon the Mantis Khan clan. Then out of a shadow a figure that has mantis-like arms and 4 legs that have spikes on them all over. They are completely black with a dark red triangle-shaped shoulder pad. They have one glowing red eye then went back into the shadow, and Neville, being less scared, slowly came out. Once the mantis was gone, Ikazuki nodded to the other generals. Black smoke surrounded them, then their bodies disappeared, only leaving the masks. Then Ikazuki said, now to explain the mask that Naruto put on. Free our mask. But Kami gave us the ability to manifest one time to explain to you what is going on or what we can do, then we peacefully go back into our masks that Naruto can give us to someone who is worthy. Fred, who was intrigued by this development, said, so what does that mean, mate? What that means is that at the moment Naruto can choose who gets the masks, and should they put it on they will be able to summon the Khan clan. For example, should Naruto give the plump boy my mask, he will be able to summon the samurai to do his bidding after he puts it on, Ikazuki explained. Wait, what was the mask that Naruto put on? Neville asked. Well, to simple put, that was the mask on the king of all, Oni Terakudo, and the orders that Naruto gives us takes priority, Ikazuki replied. George asked, so if he gives a mask to me and I use the Khan to pull pranks, the moment Naruto says enough is enough, the Khans wouldn't pull pranks, right? Current, and you can summon only that Khan clan while Naruto can summon all of them, and should someone that Naruto didn't choose, we will take them over and run amok, and only potion brewed from Kai magic can remove the mask, and with that all done. Until we meet again, Ikazuki said. Then black smoke surrounded him, then his body disappeared, only leaving his mask. Naruto went to pick up the mask and said, well, that was something different, gaining a chuckle from his friends. By the end of the day, Naruto told his friends that he will wait for Hermione to come back before he gives them a mask, then sealed them away. Now they was chilling in front of the Gryffindor fire, playing jokes and pulling pranks on each other while drinking hot chocolate, when there was a poof of smoke. When the smoke cleared, it revealed Gamakichi, who said, yo, what's up? Neville looks down at his drink, then turned to the twins and said, what did you two put in our drinks? Fred said, we didn't do anything. Before anyone could say anything, Naruto talks up to the toad and said, hey, what's up, Gamakichi? What brings you to this universe? Oh, nothing, just here to deliver 2 parcels, one from Jiraiya and the other is from Tsunade, Gamakichi said as he gave Naruto 2 scrolls, then went back to his home. George said, what was that, mate? Naruto, who went back to where he was sitting, said, that was a summoning toad that I can summon, and he came here to give me something from home. Then he looked at the scrolls to see what they gave him. Tsunade gave him rightfully his minus the cat, and Jiraiya gave him a copy manuscript of his book and gave him permission to them on his side, and the 4 boys agreed that as his one Christmas neither of them will forget. That is a wrap. A few nights after Christmas, Naruto is in the restricted part of the library looking for anything on Nicholas Flamel, but so far he found nothing on the guy, but he did find something that caught, but he decided to ask Professor McGonagall about it. Some other time he then took a book out of a shelf, and when he opened it the book started to scream, so he quickly closed, but the scream from book caught the attention of someone. As there came the voice of Filch the caretaker. In a panic, Naruto ran off, leaving the lantern that he was using, and the snake appeared in his eyes, and he went invisible and went past the caretaker. Along the way, Naruto heard voices coming his way, so he went into the nearest door and waited inside the room he was in. He deactivated the talisman and found a mirror and decided to look at his reflection, but what he saw surprised him as he saw himself, but he wasn't alone, as standing behind him was our people that are much older than him, 2 female on his left-hand side and 2 males on his right-hand side. Kurama, who was connected to Naruto, saw what Naruto saw, said with a sad tone as he knew who the 2 adults are. Well, kid, it might have been 25 years from your past life and 10 years in this time, but you get to see both of your parents look like. So that must mean that this is a magic mirror that shows what one's true desire in the mirror, and as I have always wanted to see both of them, Naruto said, all depressed. He then sat down and stayed there looking at his parents from this life, and it passed for about an hour. Then he gets up and checks if the coast is clear, then he headed back to his house. The next day, Naruto was heading to ask Minerva about the thing that he read the light before he knocked on her office door. Then he heard her say, come in. Naruto went in and said, hey professor, can I ask you a question? The professor looks up to see Naruto, then said, sure I can, Naruto, but first can you answer something that has been on my mind for a while? Sure, I will try my best, Naruto replied. Please explain to me what is Kai magic, asked the professor. Naruto thought about it, then he said, sure, I don't mind telling you about Kai magic. To put it simply, it is magic that when trained properly, even muggles can do magic, though they properly won't be as powerful, but magic is still magic. I see, so that is Kai magic. I must say it sounds impressive, Minerva said. Now what is it you wanted to know? Okay, what is a horcrux? Naruto asked, shocking the professor. Coming out of the shock, Minerva said, where did you hear that word, Naruto? Read it in the library, but it didn't say what it really was, Naruto said. Minerva looks at Naruto, then said, a horcrux is the word used for an object in which a person has concealed part of their soul. Well, you split your soul, you see, and hide part of it in an object outside the body. Then, even if one's body is attacked or destroyed, one cannot die, for part of the soul remains earthbound and undamaged. Naruto thought for a minute, then said, so what I go out of that is that you commit a horrendous act which split your soul in half, then you can place one half into something or someone. That is correct, Naruto. Why do? Minerva asked. It's just all my life my scar, it has been bothering me because of the horse, and I didn't want to send Kurama out looking inside my mindscape just in case there was something dangerous attached to it. Even though he is powerful, I cannot and will not send a friend if to fight something that might hurt them no matter how powerful they are, Naruto said. So, what are you going to do, Naruto asked the professor. Well, first Kurama will go looking for what had attached to my scar, then hopefully he will get rid of it. Other than that I don't know, Naruto replied the moment he said that the great beast inside of him goes on a quest to find and get rid of what is attached to Naruto's scar. Naruto gets up and begins to leave, but not before saying, well, see you later, Minerva. As the school year passes on Naruto, Hermione and Neville could not find anything about Nicholas Flamel, and Kurama's search was better as he found that Naruto was a horcrux, but that was not all he found. He even found Lily Potter and Evans was semi-alive, and the trio said that the most possible answer was that Naruto used the goat talisman to save his mother before Voldemort's killing curse actually killed her, thus saving her. Now all they need to do is find her body. Then was the goat to send her spirit back into her body, with Minerva has been helping with the Naruto and his friends in the Great Hall revising for the final exams, and Ron, who was next to them, playing with some cards. After Ron and Hermione little argument, Ron throw the cards on the table, Harry read what was on the card, showed it to Hermione and Neville, then they all headed to the library and found out that what Fluffy was guarding was the Philosopher's Stone. That night they headed to Hagrid's hut, and when he answered the door he said, sorry, but I am not in the mood for entertaining people at the moment. When Hagrid tried to close the door, Naruto said, this is about the Philosopher's Stone, and we know that Fluffy is guarding it amongst other traps and enchantments. You might as well come. And then Hagrid said, still believe that Snape is still trying to steal it. We're not sure that it is actually Snape, but we believe that someone is, but you have to admit he is the most suspicious, Hermione said. Before Hagrid could reply, there was a rattling sound, and it was coming from a cauldron that was on the fire. Then, faster than anyone had guessed, Hagrid moved faster than they had seen the entire year, went over to the cauldron with oven mitts on, pulled what appears to be an egg out and places it in the table, and a dragon hatched from it, and Hagrid named him Norbert, and the dragon hiccuped and set Hagrid's beard on fire. While putting it out he sees someone looking thought the window, then he says, who's that? The trio looks at where Hagrid was looking to see Ron, then he quickly runs away, and Naruto say, well, Hermione, looks like you are going to get in trouble by Ron. He then turns to Hagrid and to say, well, we would lie to stick around, but we each have a pill to swallow. See you soon, Hagrid. Then they left. When the trio got to the castle, they were met by Professor McGonagall with a smug-looking Ron behind her. Then she said in a stern tone, my office, now the lot of you once inside the deputies. When the 4 students was standing in front of her desk, when she said to everyone, well, I'm disappointed in all of you, more so with you, Miss Granger, and you as well, Mr. Longbottom, but not really with Mr. Potter, as he is always up to something. It's like I am always telling you, Sensei, I am a fox. Naruto, who had his signature grin on, said, so I'm going to take 50 points for each of you, and all 4 of you will be having detention, which will be held tomorrow night. Understood, the professor said. Yes, Professor, everyone replied. The following night the group of 4 was waiting for someone when Filch came and said, all right, you lot, I will take you to Hagrid, as he will be taking care of you this fine evening, as he has a task to do in the dark forest. As came out of his hut all sad, then said, oh, for Pete's sake, man, pull yourself together, you are about to go into the great forest. Ron, who was now scared, said, wait, I thought you was joking about the forest. I heard that there is a pack of werewolf in there. Oh, trust me, Ron, there are more than werewolves in there. There are some dark creature and some light creatures, plus I read that there is a secret cave somewhere in there that was made by one of the founders, Naruto said, partially bouncing, as he is like to try and find secret places. After about an hour of walking the group stopped, then Hagrid bent down and felt something on the ground, then turned to the students and showed them a silver-like substance on this hand, then said, see this. This is what we are here for. This is unicorn, and it is fresh and badly hurt. There is something here that is hunting them, and that is what we are here for, to stop whatever is hurting the unicorn. Hermione, you and Neville, you're with me. Naruto, you and Ron. Before Naruto could say anything, Ron said, fine, but we get Fang. Okay, but he is a cowardly dog, Hagrid said. Then he went to his right, and Hermione and Neville following behind him, leaving Naruto and Ron to go the other way. After about 15 minutes, Ron said, oh, come on, Naruto, let's just ditch this and do something else. Not a chance. Know that there is an injured animal, then I will find it and keep it safe and kick the ass of anyone who dares to think that is a good idea to hurt a creature. So you can sit here or off, I don't care. I am going to look for this unicorn, Naruto said. But don't you want to try and find this secret cave, Ron said, trying to persuade Naruto into stopping. Now see here, Ron, unlike you, I always keep my promises, and I always try and help those that need help, for that is my ninja way, Naruto said. Then he carried on walking. A short while later the duo continued to walk when suddenly they heard Fang growling, so they looked and saw a hooded figure bent sucking on the of the unicorn. Then all of a sudden Ron and Fang run off both in different directions. Fang headed towards the other group while Ron somehow headed to the school screaming, catching the attention of the hooded figure. Naruto, not scared, stood his ground and said, all right, asshole, as you just gave me something that I can laugh about for the next few days, I am going to give you a choice. You can leave and save you ass a good beating, or I kick your ass 6 ways from Sunday for hurting unicorns, while hoping that the bastard in front of him would choose the latter, and he got his wish as the hooded person glided over to him. Before Ether could do anything, a centaur came out of nowhere and scared them. Then the centaur came over and said, greeting Naruto Potter, but you must leave here at once. This forest is not safe here, especially for you. Naruto, not caring what the centaur saying because he was pretty hard to kill off, walked over to the unicorn to check if it was still alive, which it still was but just barely, then said, "Oh thank Kami, she is still alive but she won't last much long. Guess I have no choice but use the power of the horse." Then the horse talisman appeared in his eyes, then he channeled the power to heal the unicorn. Then half a minute later she stood up, then she nudged him, then what shocked the centaur, she gave Naruto horn which instantly regrew, then trotted off, but not before Naruto bowed and said thank you. Now then, that's that problem solved. Now let's see if the founders' secret hideouts are real. He put the horn in his pocket, then headed to another location. But the unicorn got his attention, so he looked over and saw that the mare wanted him to follow her, so he did, and the mare let Naruto ride her. The centaur, who just stood there unable to believe what he just saw, first saw Naruto Potter shrugging of his warning about the dark creatures that wants to take the boy's life in name of their master like it was just a normal day. The second was that the unicorn that would not survive the night suddenly jump up like nothing happened and was instantly healed. The third thing was the mare gave Naruto her horn, which was something that was never heard, and the last thing was the mare wanted to show the boy something and let him ride her. About 5 minutes later, Hagrid and the others minus Ron, as he was heading back to the castle, showed up. They looked around for Naruto and the unicorn but couldn't see them, so Hagrid walked up to the centaur and said, "Hey Firens, what happened here is Naruto and the unicorn." Firens shocked the shock, then said, "Hello there Hagrid, I can tell you, but I am still have trouble believing what I saw." Neville looked at Hermione and said, "Want to make a bet that Naruto done something that is said to be unheard of or downright impossible?" "That is a sucker bet, Nev, as we both know that normal doesn't apply to Naruto," Hermione replied. Hagrid looked at Hermione and Neville and said, "Quirk, you two remember this is a dangerous place." Then he turns to Firens and asks, "So what happened here, Firens?" Firens told Hagrid what had happened. When he was done, Hagrid said, "Well, that is interesting. Guess I will have to ask Naruto how he managed to have a unicorn from certain death." Then he looks at Hermione and Neville and said, "All right, you two, come on. Detention is over. Let's get out of here." Firens walked up to Hagrid and said, "But Hagrid, I do not think Naruto knows the important fact that comes with the horn, that a unicorn given up willingly." "You're right, he doesn't, so I will tell him next time I see him," Hagrid replied. Satisfied with the answer, Firens walks off. Confused about what was going on, Hermione asked Hagrid what was all that about and what is the fact that the centaur was on about. "You see, Hermione, there are unlike normal pets like your cat and Neville's toad unicorns pure that no one has ever owned one, not a single witch or wizard, though many have tried. Each time a unicorn was captured that night it just disappears. Then one day someone discovered that no one can own one unless it willingly give you its horn, which grows back almost instantly, and how someone discovered that no one even to this day." "So, you mean that Naruto now owns a unicorn if the unicorn gave Naruto its horn?" Neville asked, and Hagrid nodded. Meanwhile, with Naruto, the unicorn was heading to a steep hill that had a cave entrance. Naruto jumps off, then said, "Thank you for the lift, you should get back to your herd." However, the mare shook her head in a sad motion. "One that Naruto, perfectly, you don't have a herd, do you? You and your parents got separated from them and you live here in this forest, then the hooded being killed you mother or father few weeks ago." Getting a nod from the mare, "Well then, let's hope there is room for you inside." Then he headed inside. The unicorn was following. After exploring the cave, Naruto and the unicorn came across a set of doors and both decided to go inside, and was met with a griffin. However, this griffin was different as a quadruped, chimeric Pokemon with traits from a variety of creatures. It has a mammalian head with mechanical parts. Covering most of its head and neck is a thick, silver mane that extends down over its blunt snout is metallic on the bridge of its nose and upper jaw. It has a triangular black nose framed by 3 red lines, pointed ears with bright pink and black insides, 1 visible fang on each side of its lower jaw, and a slight overbite. Its eyes are bright silver, have no visible pupils, and appear to be surrounded by an empty, black space. When the griffin saw Naruto, it got ready to attack. Naruto, thinking quick, used the monkey talisman and turned into a lion, then said, "Wait, I am not here to cause trouble." The griffin looks at Naruto and said with a feminine tone, "Then what bring you here of the secret chamber of Godric Gryffindor?" Naruto, who read about Griffin, thought it might be a good idea to tell her the truth, said, "Well, the simple put curiosity. I had heard and read that all the founders of Hogwarts had a secret chambers within the castle walls, though." The griffin, still looking at Naruto with a critical eye, said, "What will you do now that you have found secret chamber of Godric Gryffindor?" "Well, first would be to get out of here, then look for the other 3, so are some kind of special griffin, as you don't look like a normal one?" Naruto asked. "You're right about that. I am an artificial griffin created to kill all known magical creatures. However, thanks to Godric, I became the creature I was truly meant to, but please call me Silverly, and in return I became his familiar," replied Silverly. "Nice to meet you, Silverly. I am Naruto Potter, and according to the goblin I am the heir to all 4 founders, 3 by birthright and 1 by conquest," Naruto replied. Silverly looks at Naruto shocked and said, "So that mean you have been given the deed to the castle?" "That is right, I got it from Gringotts, but there are 2 conditions I need to meet to truly get the castle, but I don't mind following them," Naruto replied. Silverly looks at Naruto and said, "Okay, need to ask what is up with the unicorn." "Not sure really. After I used one of my powers to save her, she came over to me, then her horn fell into my hand, then she showed me the secret cave that is in the Forbidden Forest, and here I am," Naruto replied, shocking Silverly. "Naruto, you are aware that if a unicorn willingly give a horn to someone, it means that you now own them?" Silverly said. "Wait, so does that mean that if I wanted to, I could take her up?" Naruto asked. The artificial griffin nodded and said yes I did, but it is unheard of as they are very picky about giving people their horns as nobody had a heart pure enough. Sylvie said. Well, that me all over always doing what people think is close to if not downright impossible, Naruto said, looking around while saying, now how do I get out of here as I need to tell Bachan about my unicorn. This way Naruto, I will show you the way, but I do have one request, said Sylvie as she led them to the entrance that was in the castle. Please take me as your guardian, and the others will want to do so as well if you find the secret chambers, that is, Sylvie asked. Sure, I don't mind, and for your information I will find the secret chambers. Now I am going to turn back into a human though. We can do the ritual that allows me to communicate with both of you telepathically tomorrow, Naruto said, and they both nodded. Oh, before I forget that in order to enter this chamber the password is me, Sylvie said, and Naruto nodded. When they get to a door, Naruto opened it only to find out that it led to Professor McGonagall's office as he had just entered her office, and said professor was sitting behind her desk grading papers looking at him. Then she said, well now Naruto, what are you doing in my office? Shouldn't you be with Hagrid? I can explain, Sensei, Naruto said. Then he explained that Hagrid was to find something that was killing unicorns, to him saving one, then becoming its owner, to finding the secret chamber of Godric Gryffindor, to meeting Sylvie, and she becomes his protector. Well, I see you've had an interesting night, so go back to your dorm and get some rest as you promised to do the bonding ritual tomorrow, but I am going to be there to assist you, understood, Mr. Potter, and I will take your unicorn to Hagrid and I will get him to make her a stable and pen for her, Minerva said, and Naruto nodded, then headed to his dorm. When he got to the Gryffindor common room, he was immediately with Hermione and Neville, who wanted to know what happened, so Harry told them and then asked if they wanted to witness a bonding ritual, and both said yes. By the end of the day, Naruto was so exhausted that he thought he had used too much chakra again due to doing a double bonding ritual, naming the unicorn, which was Brightstar, then helping Hagrid with the stable, and Pen also getting the horse talisman removed. Now he is laying on his bed looking at something when Neville came in and asked, what did you want to talk about, Naruto? Neville, I want an honest answer if you could. Would you want your parents back at tip-top condition? Would you take it? Naruto asked. And without so much of hesitation, Neville, of course I would, Naruto, more than anything. That is good to hear, Nev, so I am lending you something that is so powerful that there is nothing that it can't cure, heal, repair, or regenerate, Naruto said. Then he tossed him something. Neville, who managed to catch it, saw that it was some kind of stone with a horse on it, that said, thanks, Naruto, but what is this? That, my friend, is the horse talisman, and with it you can get your parents back, but you must keep it a secret, so because of that you will be taking Zazu with you, and when it is done he will be bringing it back to me so I can put it back inside of me. Okay, Nev, Naruto asked, and Neville nodded. Then they both went to sleep. It's been a few days since Naruto gave Neville the horse talisman, and Naruto was with Hagrid, was teaching the trio on how to look and take care of after all kinds of animals, and Naruto doing some business with Hagrid to look after Brightstar, Sylvie, over the summer holidays. Naruto has had something on his mind but couldn't think what it was. Then he realized what it was. He turned to Hagrid and said, Hagrid, you know the guy that gave you the dragon, don't you think that it was strange that he just happens to have one after all? I thought that only an expert can handle them, and even then that they can't go too far from the nest. Hagrid stood there and thought as he remembered the meeting, then said, you do have a point there, Naruto, but I don't think you need to worry. Naruto didn't look convinced, then said, I guess you're right, but answer me this, did you mention you pet Cerberus? Which I want one myself, mind you. Well, of course I did. It's not every day you hear someone owning one, Hagrid replied. I have a feeling that he told the guy something he shouldn't have, Naruto thought. With your luck, Kate, you're right about that, Kurama said. Well, that would be Hagrid for you. The guy may be the definition of the gentle giant, but he can't hold a secret to save his life, Lily said. And what else did you talk about, Hagrid? Naruto asked. I told the guy that the trick to any beast is how to calm it, like just play any kind of fluffy and he falls fast asleep, Hagrid said. Then he realizes what Naruto was on about, then said, I should not have said that. Herman looks at Naruto and says, no, Naruto, don't you think about it. Think about what Herman, Naruto asked innocently as the rabbit showed up in his eyes, then runs off to find Minerva. What a moron, Herman said, then turns to Neville and said, come on, Neville, we better go and make sure he doesn't get himself killed. Naruto finds Professor McGonagall in a classroom marking papers. He walks up to her and said, excuse me, Professor, but we might have serious problem. Minerva looks up and says, and what problem would that be, Naruto? The stony kind, Naruto replied, giving Minerva a hint. Minerva, getting the hint, waved her wand and placed silent charms and said, how would you know about the stone, Naruto? Not that you need it with the power of the dog. I know, but at the matter at hand, for months I believe that someone is trying to steal the stone, and Hagrid may have told him on how to get past Fluffy, Naruto replied. Why do you believe that, Naruto? The head of Gryffindor asked. Well, you know, was given a dragon egg a few days ago, Naruto asked, and when the professor nodded he continued, well, I thought it was strange that someone happens to have an egg to be at the pub where Hagrid goes, knowing you need a special license to handle one, a fully grown one, and another to handle the eggs and hatchlings. Then they talked about Cerberus, and Hagrid told him on how to get past his Fluffy. Well, you do have a point there, Naruto, and you know who it is, Minerva asked. Well, I can't say for sure, but I would say either Snape or Quirrell, Naruto replied. What make you sure that it's one of those two, Naruto? Minerva asked. We might not have the time, Professor, so I will leave a clone here and it will explain, Naruto said, shadow clone jutsu. But what the professor didn't know was that Naruto channeled his mother into the clone. Then he said, well, you either run out the door. The clone that hold Lily's spirit turned to the professor and said, hello, Professor McGonagall, it's been a long time, shocking the professor. When the shock passed, the professor asked, "Why do you sound like Lily?" Naruto. "That is because I am Lily." Professor Lily replied, then said Henge then turned into her true self. "You see, Professor, you know about the 10-tailed fox that is tied to Naruto?" The professor nodded. "Well, you see, the fox is able to sense negative emotions. Throughout the year he has been sensing something dark from Quirrell, and Snape just hates everyone that is not in Slytherin, and Dumbledore just seems to want to manipulate my little boy." "Okay, I can see why you think that, but can you answer me an important question?" the professor asked. "If it is how I am here, well, Naruto, Kurama, and myself think that just before Voldemort hit me with the killing curse, Naruto must have used the power of the sheep to pull my spirit from my body, then the rooster to place me in his body, but as he didn't know about me being there, we couldn't speak." Naruto's mother replied. "Well, that explains it, but how did Naruto find you?" Lily Minerva asked. "Well, for that I have you to thank for that, because of you horcrux chat you had," Lily replied, then said, "Now how about we get going? After all, we can't let students handle this, that the teachers should write." Then the duo started to head to the 3rd floor. By the time Lily and Minerva caught up to Naruto and his friends, they had completed the last challenge and Naruto had gone through the door. Meanwhile, on the other side of the door, Naruto was standing in front of the mirror that he found over Christmas, with Quirrell asking Naruto, "What does this mirror do, Potter?" "You tell me, Professor," Naruto said. "Well, I see myself holding the stone now. How do I get it?" said the professor. All of a sudden there was a third voice saying, "Use the boy." The professor turned around and said in a demanding tone, "Come here, boy." "All right, I'm coming. No need to get your knickers in a twist," Naruto said. When Naruto stood in front of the mirror, Quirrell said, "Now, boy, tell me, what do you see?" Naruto looked towards the mirror and saw himself reaching into his pocket and pull out the Philosopher's Stone, then stuck it back in his pocket. But Naruto, who didn't give a damn about the stone, said, "I see my mother laying on a bed sleeping as she has lost something." The disembodied voice said, "He's lying." "Tell me the ain't truth, Potter," Quirrell shouted. "Let me speak to the boy," said the voice. Quirrell got nervous and said, "But Master, you are not strong enough yet." "I am strong enough to talk to the boy, Quirrell," the voice said. Quirrell then undid his turbine when the turbine and had another face at the back. Then the face said, "Naruto, Potter, how nice to meet you again. Wow, I had heard about people being two-faced, but you take the cake." Voldemort, Naruto said, not really surprised. "You see what I have become, as well as what I must do to survive, to live off of another creature like a mere parasite," Voldemort said. "Well, if we'll make you feel any better, you're not the first parasite I've met." "Well, I just hope you aren't going to stalk me," Naruto said. "Unicorn can sustain, but it cannot give me a body. However, there is something that can, and it is conveniently in your possession. And don't you dare run," the Dark Lord said. Then Quirrell snapped his fingers, and flames circled around them. Then Voldemort said, "Join me in live or suffer a horrific death." "Oh, like you could kill me? After all, you couldn't kill me as a baby. What makes you think you could do it now?" Naruto remarked. "Well, I see you have what your parents, but tell me, Potter, do you want to see them again? All you have to do is give me the stone," Voldemort said. "As if I would do that, you two-faced moron," Naruto replied. "Killing Quirrell," Voldemort instructed. Quirrell launches himself at Naruto. However, just before Quirrell grabs Naruto, dodges. Quirrell then grabs him by the neck and said, "Like I said, dumbass, like you could kill me." Then the dragon talisman appeared in his eyes, but before he could use it, a sizzling sound and Quirrell started to turn to ash. And when Quirrell was ash, Naruto started to walk out of the put of the room, but he didn't notice Voldemort's spirit come right at him and go through him and out the door just as Naruto passes out. When Naruto woke up a few days later and saw Dumbledore standing after a little chat, all the while the headmaster looked in Naruto's eye, trying to read his mind, and near the end of the chat, Kurama suggested, "Hey Kit, the old man is trying to read your mind and suggest that you and the Weasley team become friends like he has throughout the year." "Oh man, I'm getting sick and tired of this crap," Naruto thought. Then he had a thought. "Hey Kurama, how about we do something that shows that coming into my mind is never a smart idea?" "Oh, what did you have in mind, Naruto?" Lily asked as she was worried about her son. "How about he sees an oversized fox plushie?" Naruto responded. "That might have been the smartest and only idea, Kit. Looks like that potential mate of yours is a good influence," Kurama said with a teasing tone as he catches what Naruto meant. Then he lets the school's headmaster into Naruto's mind just enough to see him. When Dumbledore saw Kurama, he exited Naruto's mind almost as fast as Naruto, using the power of the rabbit, then said with a worried tone, "Well, it's good that you are awake, Mr. Potter," then left the hospital wing. Later that day, Naruto was released. He was heading to the common to pack his things, but was caught by his friends, and Fred asked, "Hey Naruto, you know you said that one of talismans could heal you. Why didn't it?" "Simple put, I don't have the power of the horse at the moment, Neville does," Naruto replied while Neville looks ashamed. "Why did you give that power to Neville, Naruto?" Hermione said with a scolding tone. Naruto, catching the tone in Hermione's voice, narrowed his eye and said, "So he can get his parents back, and that power might do just that. And trust me, I have only known a parent's love for a few months, and I know my love for my mother isn't as strong as any of yours, but know this, if I will gladly give it up again for any of my friends, as there will be a piece in your heart that will be missing." Hermione, surprised by this, was happy with the answer, then asked, "So what was you up to before we caught you?" "Oh, not much, just heading to the common room to start packing my things ready for tomorrow." Neville stepped forward and said, "Well, you don't have to worry about that, I have already done it for you." "Really, thanks, Nev, so let's head to hall," Naruto said. When the train pulled up to the station, Naruto grabs his stuff and gave Neville Zazu, then goes and looks for his relatives and found at the entrance, and his uncle said, "Come on boy, we have things we want to do," and so Naruto hurried over to them. They went over to the car and they got Naruto's luggage in the boot and started to head home, or in Naruto's case, hell. After getting back to the Dursley residence, Vernon locks Naruto cases in the cupboard, then made Naruto move into the third bedroom that Dudley used to place all the thing that he had lost interest in or broke. When Naruto had cleared the room to a moderate state so he could sleep on the bed and move without hurting himself, he went to sleep. When Naruto was fast asleep deep in Naruto mind, Lily walked up to Kurama and asked him, "Hey Kurama, wake up." Kurama, who was dozing off, opened his eyes to look at his host mother and said, "Hey Lily, what do you need from me?" "I need you to show me on how to use the sheep talisman so I can talk to my sister," Lily asked. "And why do you want to do that? She hate your kind?" Kurama asked. Lily looks down and sighs and said, "I just want to know what happened. The truth is that she was happy at first, but after a couple of years she started to be mean about the fact I was different. I just want to know if it is how she really feels or if that we didn't see each other and we just grew apart." And with that, Kurama taught Lily on how to use the sheep talisman. Once Lily was out, she went straight to Petunia. Petunia Dreamscape. When Lily was in her sister's dreamscape, she was shocked to find that she was at an old-looking castle that screamed sorcery. Then she went to look for her sister, and when she found Petunia, and was shocked once again as Petunia was wearing clothes similar to what she wore when she was at Hogwarts. Then she went over to her and said, "Hey Petunia, long time no see." Petunia turns around shocked and said, "Lily, what or how are you even here?" "Well Petunia, I can say that I have no idea why I am here. There must something on your mind that involves me, as this is your dream," Lily replied, lying about the fact that she is alive somewhere and it won't be the best way to get answers. "That makes sense," Petunia mumbled. "So this is what you dream about? You want to be a witch?" Lily said with teasing tone, then in serious tone, "And here I thought you hated my kind." Petunia looks away as if she was ashamed of something, then said, "I never really hated you or the world that you entered." "Then why did it seem like you did hate all that practice magic?" Lily asked her sister. "It was to push you away," Petunia said. Shocked with the answer, Lily asked, "Why would you want to push me away?" "Well, for two reasons. The first, it's just that I wanted to be a part of it and be there for you. Then that greasy head bastard that you used to hang around before James." "What about Snape?" Lily asked. "Well, when you wasn't around, he was a right bastard to me, always telling me that you shouldn't be hanging with someone like you," Petunia replied. Lily wasn't happy with how Snape said, "Why didn't you tell me what Snape was doing to you, pet? I would have so ditched him. Nobody messes with my family." "So what is the other reason?" "Well, I think it was during your session year at Hogwarts. Mum and Dad thought I was asleep. I overheard them talking about you and I heard them say that you was adopted," Petunia said, shocking Lily, then spent the rest of the night chatting. When it was time for Lily to go, she said, "Well pet, I need to go." Petunia looked at Lily and said, "Wait, don't go. I still need to make up for all the years that I was mean to you." "And you will, Petunia, and you can start with Naruto," Lily said as she disappears. Real world. When Lily came out of Petunia, she went back to Naruto, and about 10 minutes later Petunia woke up, then swings her feet of the bed so she is sitting on it and said with a sigh and a depressed tone, "What a weird dream, but at least I feel better now that I talked to Lily again, though it is a shame that it was only a dream." Then she looks up and with a determined look and also in her voice said, "But she is right. If I want to make up for all the wrong I did to her, I can make it up to her, though Naruto, but how can I do it without Vernon getting angry?" Then she gets up and does what she would normally do. Meanwhile, Naruto, who was awake, tidying the room when his mother said, "Morning honey, how are you this morning?" "I am good, thanks for asking, Kachan. So how was your night talking to Aunt Petunia?" Naruto thought back. "How did you know that I talked to me sister?" Lily asked. Kurama was all Naruto thought back. "Naruto, I need you to do something for me and it is important," Lily said. "Sure, what do you need me to do, Kachan?" Naruto replied. "Well, for starters, I need you to find out who my birth parents are," Lily asked, shocking Naruto. When the shock was gone, Naruto, "Wait, you're adopted? What happened last night?" For the 10 to 15 minutes Lily told Naruto what happened last night. Then he summoned the ninja Shadowkins, then instructed them to find any and all information on his mother, then thought, "Well Kachan, they will be quite some time before they come back with the information." Began his summer. It was a few weeks before Naruto was due to go back to Hogwarts, and the only letter he got was from Neville, and that was to return the talisman and a note saying that he and his family was eternally grateful. Then he sent a Shadowkin to get the ingredients to get the talisman back inside of him, and his relationship with his aunt Saw slowly but surely was getting better, though she had to pretend that she hated him in front of Vernon. And he had discovered that he hadn't mastered monkey talisman, as he discovered that when in a panic trying to get away from his cousin he turned into a Cerberus, even though he got in major trouble with Vernon when he got home that night. And he found out he could turn into dinosaurs. It is Naruto's, and he is in his room with Hedwig, who was attacking the lock that was on her cage as she wanted to spread her wing and fly. And he said, "I know, Hedwig, you want some exercise, but as long as Uncle Team has the key there is nothing I can do, and I don't feel right turning you into another animal, so please be quiet." Vernon, who is expecting some important company, shouted, "Boy, get down here right now," and Naruto went downstairs and into the lounge where his mother's sister's family are dressed smartly, and Vernon said, "Now boy, you better keep that Y-bird quiet or else. Oh yeah, like you wouldn't be doing the same thing if you was in her position. After all, she is bored for being locked in a cage since I came back. Now I am going to go back upstairs before your precious clients get here so they wouldn't know that I exist," Naruto said before heading back to his room. Just as he got to the top of the stairs, the doorbell rang and he heard his uncle talk speaking. When we opened his bedroom, he saw a small creature jumping on his bed and heard his mother say, "What in the what is a house elf doing here, and one that doesn't belong to the Potters?" "Okay," Naruto thought, then said, "Excuse me, house elf, what are you doing here, and also who are you?" The house elf stopped jumping and looks around and says, Naruto Potter sir, such an honor it is, and I am Dobby the house elf. Okay, so why are you here? Naruto asked. I am here to warn you not to go back to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry this year, Dobby warned. Not liking where this is going, he thought, hey guys, what the betting that there is trouble this year. With your luck at attracting trouble, that would be a sucker's bet, Kurama said. I would have to agree with Kurama, Naruto, after all what happened last year, Lily said. So what is going on this year? Naruto asked. There is a plot, sir, a plot to make most horrible things happen, replied the house elf. What do you mean, what plot, and who's making them? Naruto asked. I can't say, Dobby granted, then started to headbutt his drawers. Then Naruto heard heavy footsteps, then he grabbed Dobby and threw him in the wardrobe just as the door opened and his uncle came in and said, boy, you just ruined my Japanese golfer joke, one more sound and you will regret it, also fix that door. Left before Naruto could say anything. Naruto opened the wardrobe door to let the elf out and said, now see here, Dobby, if what you say is true, then that is more of a reason to go back, as I will never leave my friends there and deal with whatever is going on, and that is my ninja way. So I appreciate your concern. Friends that don't even write to Naruto Potter? Dobby asked. Naruto catches what Dobby just said and said with a tone that said, tell the truth, wait, how do you know that none of my friends wrote to me? Dobby nervously reached behind him and brought a pile of letters and said, now Naruto Potter must not be angry at Dobby, as Dobby thought that if Naruto Potters didn't write to Naruto Potter, then he might not want to go back to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Thanks to Naruto's trained eyes, saw the writing on the letter that was on top and saw that it was Hermione's writing, then said, now Dobby, if you know what is good for you, you will hand me those letters now. No, Dobby said, and when Naruto went to grab him, Dobby went under him and went straight to the door, opened it and went downstairs with Naruto close behind him, then stopped at the kitchen door and spotted a cake, then he snapped his fingers. When the cake started to float, Naruto said, Dobby, don't you dare do it. Then Naruto Potter must say he will not return to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry this year, Dobby said. If my friends are in danger, I will not stand back, Naruto said. Then for Naruto Potter's own good, Dobby has to do what Dobby has to do, Dobby said as he snapped his fingers and the cake started to float over to the house guest. Naruto pushed the elf out of his way and went to grab it, then the cake stopped above one of them, and just before Naruto could grab it, Dobby snapped his fingers and the cake fell on the guest, and Dobby snapped his fingers. He finished. The next day, Uncle Vernon was putting bars on Naruto windows while saying, you will never see your freaky friends or that school ever again. Naruto had received a letter from Ministry of Magic saying that he hadn't been expelled yet, but the next time he will, and with that he decided to get that appalled. But what Vernon didn't know was in the shed in the back garden is where Zazu was hiding, and the door opened and Petunia came in and said, Loss, if she knew something or someone was there, it's okay, Zazu, I am not here to harm you. After waiting a few minutes, nothing happened. Then she said, somehow I know you wouldn't come out, so I brought a peace offering. Then she placed a handful of Zazu's favorite treat on the counter. Then after about a minute there was a small flask of fire, and she saw the most elegant bird she has ever saw. Said, my looka, you aren't you the most elegant I ever saw? That just shows that my nephew take great care of you. And Hedwig now came in close second. Once Zazu was finished with the treats, he went over to Petunia, rubbed his head on her hand, causing her to gently stroke him. After a minute of stroking, she said, now Zazu, this is important. Then shows him a letter and said, I need you to deliver this letter to one of Naruto friends. Can you do that? Zazu nodded his head and held out his claw for Petunia to hand him the letter, and when she did, he disappeared in a burst of fire. After a few days since Petunia sent a letter to one of Naruto friend, and we find Naruto at his desk reading his chakra book when he heard a noise of old car engine coming outside his window. Then he heard someone that Naruto knows say, well, must be the place, right? Well, the letter that Neville sent us did say that there would be bars on his window, but I thought he was joking. Came another voice he also knew. And before Naruto could ask what they was doing here, his bedroom door opened and his aunt came and walked up to the window and said, so you two here to rescue my nephew like that Neville boy said? Yes, ma'am, I am Fred, and the one that is driving is my twin brother George, Fred said as he was about to hand a bit of rope to either of them. When Petunia saw the rope, she knew what they was doing and said, no, don't come round to the front and pick him up by the door. That way Vernon wouldn't have to explain why there was a bar on the window and how it came off. After all, I know that you people like your secrecy. And with a nod they flew off. Then Naruto and Petunia went downstairs with Hedwig to grab Naruto's trunk. Petunia went to open the front door while Naruto went to get his school stuff, but found out that Vernon had placed a lock on the cupboard that used to be Naruto's bedroom, and as he didn't have the right tools to pick it, he turned to his aunt, who was talking to Fred and George, and said, hey Aunt Petunia, we might have a little problem. What now? Petunia said when saw that locked cupboard, then said, oh, you have got to be kidding, I can't believe he locked that cupboard. When Fred heard this, he said, allow me, then walked up to the cupboard while pull out a lockpick set and set to work, and in a matter of seconds it was open and got all of Naruto's school stuff out and onto the car. As Fred and George got into the car, Naruto said, see you next summer, Aunt Petunia, and thanks for the help, you don't get in trouble. Petunia pulled Naruto into a hug and said, don't worry about me, I can just cover it up with you being freaky. Then she released him and pushed him to the car and said, now go before Vernon or Dudley wake up to use the toilet or are hungry. And with that, then Naruto got into the car and George drove, fly off into the night sky. When the trio made it to the home of the Weasley home, it was morning. They snuck into the house, and before anyone could say or do anything, a woman came out of and shouted, "Where have you been? No note, and you to your father's car without permission. What would have happened if you had been seen or worse hurt?" Then after a quick explanation she said, "You two best hope that I don't put bars on your windows," then turned to Naruto and said, "Now it is nice to officially meet you. I am Molly now who want breakfast." Then she started to cook. When she dishing it up she was saying, "Now Naruto, I am sure that you and Ron are friends, so you can sleep in his room. No offense Mrs. Weasley, but we aren't friends after all. You could say that I am an empath, and I can feel that Ron's motive aren't just to be my friend, and I will not be friends with someone that will be mean to someone who was trying to help them." "Nonsense, Ron is a sweet boy," Molly said. "He might be, but there was an incident last year that almost cost someone their life because she was trying to help," Naruto said. "What incident are you talking about?" Molly asked. "Well, Ron said some mean thing about a girl who was just trying to help him as she was smart, and so she spent the rest of the day crying, but nobody know about how it happened, but a troll got into the castle, and when we went to warn Herman, the girl that your son made cry, the troll get into the girl's bathroom just before we got there and was swinging his club around trying to hit Herman, but luckily I have always been that thinking on my feet and somehow managed to get her away from the troll. Because I was clinging to the troll, he swung his club at his head to get me, but I saw it coming and jump up, but the troll didn't notice that I had jumped off and it knocked itself out," Naruto explained. "So the girl didn't die," Molly said. "That may be true, Mom, but if Ron hadn't said the thing he did about her, then Naruto and Neville wouldn't have to go and rescue her," Fred said. Then the boys was about to dig in. Ron showed, and when he saw Naruto he said, "What the why hell are you doing here?" "Well, first your brothers was kind enough to come and get me after receiving a letter from Herman, and now I am about to breakfast that your mother made for me," replied the ninja. When he took a bite out of the food, Kurama noticed something and said, "Hey kid, there is something wrong with a part of your brain." "There is which part?" Naruto thought replied. "The part that his love comes from," replied the tin-tailed fox. "And what is wrong with my son's love life?" Fox Lily asked. "Well, as you know, Lily, that I have been with Naruto since he was born in his past life, and until he knew I was here I paid close attention to how he thinks and feels, so I can tell if something is wrong so I can fix it, and from what I can tell is that it is being blocked and at the same time making a synthetic feeling of love," Kurama explained. "You mean like a love potion?" Naruto asked. "Yes, precisely that," Kurama asked. "Okay, I am going to eat like I know nothing, and while I do that, can you try and hold it back?" Naruto asked. "That I can do, but you know that I can't hold a feeling like love for long," Naruto, Kurama said. "And you don't have to, cause I was going to ask you if can you mess with my body tonight, to that no matter how strong the potion is it will not affect me," Naruto explained. "Oh, now I get it. You think that if Molly will spike your food and drink that I can do," Kurama said. It was noon and Naruto had met the father when the Weasley family got the Hogwarts list for what they needed for the year, and Naruto's was with them. They headed to Diagon Alley, but Naruto somehow ended up in Nocturne Alley but was saved by Hagrid, who was there to get something for Hogwarts, and he led Naruto back to the Weasley family, and along the way the duo met Herman. Then Naruto and Herman said their byes to Hagrid and went into the bookshop while Arthur and Herman's parents stayed outside chatting about the Muggle world. Inside the shop was unusual packed, and when the duo get to the Weasley family, who was at the front, just heard someone say, "Now ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce the man who doesn't need an introduction, Gilderoy Lockhart." As Gilderoy was posing for some photos he saw someone and said, "Well, I'll be Naruto Potter." As the cameraman moved to get Naruto, the latter quickly sent Chakra to his feet, and the cameraman was struggling to get Naruto over to Lockhart, and Naruto said, "Hey cameraman, if you know what is good for your health, let me go," and the cameraman was scared, let him go. Then everyone went on with their business. After the book signing, Naruto said, "Hey Fred, George, I am going need to go to Gringotts to deal with something important." "Okay. Sure mate, we will tell Mum for you, but what is it about?" Fred asked. "Nothing much for you to worry about," Naruto replied before heading to Gringotts. When Naruto got to the bank he headed to head cashier, and the cashier said, "Hello, what brings you here?" "Greetings, I am Naruto Potter and I would like to speak to my account manager Snapfist," Naruto replied. "Okay, one moment, I will send someone to get your account manager," said the goblin. Then he sent a goblin to get him. After a couple of minutes the Potter's account manager came up and said, "Greeting Mr. Potter, if you would follow me then we can start," and then they went to private room. Once there the goblin said, "Please wait, here is Director Ragnarok want to see," then left to get the director. After half an hour Snapfist came back with the Ragnarok, and the latter said, "Greetings Mr. Potter and thank you for finally coming to see us." Naruto looked at the goblin in charge of Gringotts confused and said, "I'm not to sound ignorant, but what do you mean?" Now the two goblins are confused, and Snapfist said, "What do you mean? I thought we goblins have been sending letters to you for the past year, so when you came here today we thought you finally responded." "I am sorry Snapfist, but I have not received a letter from Gringotts all my life, and the reason I came here today was to claim my right as heir to the houses," Naruto replied, then went on to say, "But we can also talk about why you have been trying to contact me first, as you have waited longer." "That is noble of you Mr. Potter. First is that after you left last year something came up that said that you had 3 spirits attached to you, and we are curious that they might harming you," Ragnarok said. "Oh yeah, I know about them. When I was here last year I was aware of one of them, but as the school year went on I came across a word that screamed dark, so I asked to the professor that was with me last year what a horcrux was. Then I had the spirit I was aware of look if I was one, and during the search he came across the second spirit, which is my mother, then confirmed that I was a horcrux. Now I am trying to find a way to get rid of it without killing me," Naruto explained. Ragnar was shocked to find out that the ninja wizard in front of him knew that he was a horcrux and knew that if not exercised properly it could kill him, but was suspicious about the other two spirits. Said Mr. Potter, I am not questioning judgment, but how can you know that the other two spirits are what you say they are? I can see it from your point of view, Naruto said, then began to think of an idea. Hey Kit, why don't you bring the two goblins into your Mindscape, Kurama said. That might not be a bad idea, Kurama, Naruto thought. Then he turned to the goblins and said, well, how about I show you? Ragnar looked at Naruto like he was crazy and said, how are you going to do that? Simple, I just bring you two into my Mindscape, Naruto replied. And just how are you going to do that, Mr. Potter? Snapfist said. Simple, Naruto said, brought both his hands up in fists, then said, all you have to do is bump your fists against mine. Not sure what to do, the goblins decided to do it and see if these two spirits are who Naruto claims them to be, and bumped fists with Naruto. Then as soon as their fist touched Naruto's, there went black. Inside Naruto Mindscape. When Ragnar and Snapfist both came to, they found themselves in what looks like Gringotts Bank. Then a door opened and Naruto walked in, followed by a woman that appeared to be late 20s, early 30s, and Naruto said, hope you like it, I made it so you two will feel comfortable while we conduct our business. Both goblins was shocked that a 12-year-old boy changed his Mindscape, as he called it, to help them feel comfortable, and Ragnar said, that is mighty nice of you, Mr. Potter, so I take it this woman is claiming to be your mother. Lily, not liking the accusation, said, now listen here, Director Ragnar, I am not claiming to be Naruto mother, I am his mother. Then she went on and say things that only the real Lily Potter and Evans would know. After Lily was finished, both goblins bowed and Ragnar said, I am sorry about accusing you are not who you claim to be. Lily said, that is all right, Director Ragnar, I understand. After all, you are looking out for someone who holds 6 most noble and ancient houses, and 4 of them have been around since the founding of Gringotts Bank, and all witch and wizards know is that the longer a house has been with Gringotts, the more care and loyalty they get. That is right, Lady Potter. Now can we see the second spirit? Ragnar said. Of course, this way please, Naruto said as he led them to Kurama. When the group of 4 reached the 10-tailed fox, the goblins was extremely intimidated by him, as he was about double the size of a troll or a giant, and when the fox saw the group he said, greeting Ragnar and Snapfist, I am the 10-tailed fox Kurama, and I have been with Naruto since he first birthed. Then went into little detail about how Naruto life was. When Kurama was done, Ragnar looked to the fox and said, show me his life in his past life. Kurama was shocked at what the goblin said and said, are you sure you want to see it? Ragnar stood firm and he showed it when he said, of course, after all it can't be as bad as you said it was. With a sigh, the Kurama said, very well, Goblin, I will show you. All you have to do is stand still. Then being very careful, he placed a claw at the goblin's forehead. After a couple of seconds, the goblin looked like he was close to crying, then turned to Naruto and said, can we get out of here? And Naruto and the goblins felt a pull and they found themselves in the real world. Unknown to Naruto, he has the director's respect and will gain entire banks when Ragnar tells the staff about Naruto and show them the memories. Real world. While the goblins gained their surrounding, Naruto created a clone that had Lily's spirit. Then Ragnar sent a goblin to set a ritual to remove a horcrux safely up, and while it was getting set up, Naruto, the goblins, and Naruto started on what Naruto came for. After a couple of hours, and now horcrux-free, Naruto left Gringotts' heir, though he left the rings in the bank and book from the Potter Vault about being an heir, and left a couple of enhanced clones to learn about potions with Ragnar's permission. Naruto got his stuff for school, and when he found the Weasley family, they was at a cafe waiting for him. Then they headed to the Barrow. Over the month, and Naruto has been reading his book about what a heir can and can't do, and saw that it was common practice for heirs to have marriage, and asked Lily if he has any, which she relied he does to Daphne Greengrass, and also a member of the Lacker family, and maybe to 1 or 2 more, as the Potters has many friends, and also the Shadowkins that Naruto had looking for. Lily's birth parents came back with an interesting piece of information. But just to clarify it, he went to the Gringotts and got the full test. It is the day that the students head to Hogwarts, and somehow the Weasley family was running late, and everyone but Ron and Naruto had gone through the barrier that goes to platform 9 3/4, and when Naruto goes and tries and goes through, he was met with a solid pillar, but he didn't have time to get his bearing when Ron went into him. Luckily, one of the station staff members saw the crash and went over and asked, are you two okay? Naruto looks up to the staff member and said, yeah, we're fine. Luckily, must have been my unlucky day for me to lose control of the trolley. Then my friend's brother loses control of his and goes into me. Must be well, as long as you're both okay, have a good day, the staff member said before going back to do her job. When the 2 boys got to the feet, and Ron said, what the why hell happened? Well, Ron, if I hazard a guess, I would say the barrier is sealed, Naruto said as he gets his and Ron's trolleys in order. As Ron was touches, the clock strikes 11 and he said, oh no, what are we going to do? The train is leaving. Well, I say that we wait for someone to show up, Naruto said. Hey Naruto, how about we use my dad's car, Naruto, and we could fly to Hogwarts, Ron said. Naruto looks at Ron shocked and said, Ron, I know you can't be that why stupid. Well, I am not going to sit around and do nothing until someone shows up, Ron said, then grabs his trolley, then speeds out the station to the car and loads it, and by the time Naruto get outside, Ron was already flying away. With a sigh, Naruto sat down on a bench that was nearby, looked at his 2 birds and asked them, so do you two say give it an hour, before writing to Minerva saying that there was a problem with the barrier. And both Hedwig and Zazu agreed. It has been a quarter on an hour when Naruto noticed two females. One was about the age his mother should be. She has a manacle, and the other was a few years older than him. Before Naruto could say anything, he heard Lily say, "Hey, isn't that Amelia Bones? Looks like she's been promoted. Go talk to her, Naruto." "Okay, but who is she?" Naruto asked. "Well, we became friends after Severus started to hang out with Draco's father, Lucius Malfoy, and we got closer after Severus called me a foul name that Sulfridius Pure's use for non-magical parents, though I am not so sure if I am a Muggleborn. After what Petunia told me anyway, thanks for sending your Shadowkin to find my birth parents, and when we graduated Hogwarts she became a magical cop called an Auror," Lily said. "Not a problem, Kachan, I am proud to do," Naruto thought to his mother. Then he got up and walks over to the females. When Naruto was close enough, he said, "Excuse me, but are you Amelia Bones?" The one with the manacle turned and said, "Yes, I am, and you are." Naruto gains a mischievous look and said, "A son of one of your friends since your days in Hogwarts that is assumed dead." Amelia looks at Naruto confused for a few minutes before saying, "I am sorry, but I don't have any friends that are assumed dead." "Oh, in that case allow me to introduce myself. I am Naruto Potter," Naruto said, causing Amelia to gasp. "Then what are you doing here? You should be on the train heading to Hogwarts," Amelia said. Naruto scratched the back and said, "How about we go someplace quiet?" And with a nod from Amelia, understanding that someone might overhear them, then leads him to someplace private with the younger girl following. When the trio got to a secure location, Naruto with a nervous tone said, "Well, about the barrier, you see, when I was about to go thought it, but it was sealed." The two females was shocked. Then the younger one said, "What do you mean I was sealed?" Naruto looks at her and said, "Exactly just as it sounds," and was about to say her name, then said, "Who are you?" "Oh, my name is Nymphadora Tonks, but call me Nymphadora, I will kill you," Tonks said. "Oh, I doubt you could do that, Nymphadora," Naruto said with a chuckle, and was shocked when he saw her hair changed color and said, "Cool trick, what else can you do, Nymphadora?" Before anything else could be done, Amelia said, "Are you sure that the barrier was sealed?" "Yeah, I am, cause all the Weasley family, but the youngest son went though just before me," Naruto explained. "And where is the Weasley?" asked Tonks. "The dumbass took his father's car and went after the train," Naruto replied. "Wait, you mean Arthur's flying car?" Amelia asked. "That's the one, and the reason I didn't go with him is because I didn't want to ruin my education, so I was going to wait an hour before sending a letter to Professor McGonagall saying that I might be late," Naruto said. "Any ideas what could seal the barrier to the platform?" Amelia asked Tonks, who shook her head. Naruto remembered the warning he got from Dobby, then mumbled, "This can't a coincidence." Tonks, who heard this, asked what can be, turned to Amelia and said, "I might have an idea." Amelia. "What is it?" Amelia asked. "An house elf," Naruto replied. "And what makes you think that?" Tonks asked. "Well, a few weeks ago a house elf showed up at Aunt Petunia's house and tried and persuade me not to go back to school this year, as his words were, 'There is a plot, sir, a plot to make most horrible things happen, and all summer then there is the fact that he was intercepting my mail from my friends, hoping that if I didn't get any, I would think that they had forgot about me, so I wouldn't want to go back," Naruto said. "Wait, about that time there was a report for underage levitation spell, but as it was their first time they sent a warning. That was you," Amelia said. "You're half right, but the one that did the magic was the elf, probably doing it to protect me in some weird way, plus there is the fact that I can do the spell without doing the spell," Naruto said. Amelia and Tonks looks at Naruto as if he was crazy, and the former said, "Nice try, Mr. Potter, but I doubt that is possible." Naruto Gus smirked, and both Auror saw a rooster appear in Naruto's eyes, and the manacle that Amelia started to levitate then went over and was placed on her other eye, and Tonks said, "Okay, that was neat. How did you do that?" "Sorry, but it's a secret, but I might tell you someday," Naruto said. "Naruto, let me talk to Amelia?" Lily asked. "Sure," Naruto thought, then said, "Shadow Clone Jutsu." This sudden action caused the Aurors get on edge, but was stunned to see an exacted replica of Naruto. "Henge, Naruto's mother processed," Clone said. When the smoke cleared, Amelia looked like she was seeing a ghost, then fainted. Tonks looked over to Lily and said, "Cool, how did you do this?" "Tell you after we wake Amelia up," Lily said as Naruto gently shocked Amelia. Amelia was woken up by someone shaking her. The first thing she saw when she woke up was someone with golden blonde hair and sapphire blue eyes, then remembered what happened before she fainted. Then she saw Lily and said, "You can't be here, you're dead." All Lily did was whispered something in her ear, and her eyes widened, then said, "Okay, you're Lily, so how are you here?" "Well, I will tell you how I am here, but you both need to swear not to tell anyone." "But you don't have to swear on your magic, mind you, I am not that cruel," Lily said. When the two Aurors nodded, she told them everything from who and what Naruto really was, to how she actually can't have kids, then to Kami giving saw how she and James was good people and decided to give her a chance to be the mother she was meant to be to his other powers. Amelia and Tonks looked like fish out of water when Thew shocked past. The latter said, "Let me get this straight. Naruto is a reincarnated ninja with a power like magic that, when used properly, can even control the elements and put people on an illusion." Naruto and Lily nods. Has 12 magical stones, known as talismans, and it is based on the Chinese zodiac inside him, and each one has a different power, some based on the saying around said animal. Gets another nod, and the only way to remove the talisman is though Kai magic, and said magic, something that even muggles can use if Naruto chooses to teach them. Again got a nod. With Kai magic, people can tell if people are good or bad by the color. Green is good and red is bad. Another nod. I need a drink and a sit down. "I hear you, boss," Tonks said. Amelia turned to Tonks and said, "Tonks, get Mr. Potter to Hogwarts. I believe we have taken too much of his time and we have to unseal the barrier and deal with the damage that what Mr. Weasley might have caused." And the close with Lily's spear dispersed and she went back into her son, and Amelia took out her wand and shrunk Naruto luggage, then placed it in a bag, then gave it to Naruto, then said, "Oh, and Tonks, you are to stay there until the new year and to let me know if there is trouble that would cause a house elf to do this. Let me know." "Right, boss," Tonks said while saluted, then lead Naruto to a place where witches and wizards used to get to the Hogwarts Express, and headed to the Three Broomsticks in Hogsmeade. Then from there they headed to Hogwarts. When the duo got to Hogwarts, they met with Professor McGonagall, who said, "Well, now isn't this been a while, Nymphadora? What brings you here?" "Well, Professor, I am here for 2 reasons, and they're both work. You see the barrier sealed up, leaving Naruto and a Weasley in the Muggle side of the station, and the Weasley to Arthur's car, and is flying here, so Director is doing damage control and would be in trouble if there is some serious damage to the secrecy of the magical world," Tonks said. "Why, that is bad. So do you know what sealed the barrier?" asked the professor. "Well, that is the other reason. Naruto thinks that it was a house elf that sealed the barrier as a way to protect Naruto, claiming that something bad is going to happen this year, so the Director is keeping me here until New Year, or if the trouble shows up," Tonks replied. "Oh, hopefully it's not that bad," the professor said. "Hey, Professor, before I go off and do something, can I ask you what happened to your daughter?" Naruto asked with a smirk. The professor was shocked, as there was no way that the 12-year-old boy in front of her shouldn't even know that she had a daughter. Said, "And how do you know that I had a daughter, Mr. Potter?" "Well, Professor, I had some of my Shadowkin do some background check as she asked me to do it," Naruto replied, then handed the professor the findings and said, "And this is what they found out." Minerva looks at the folder and saw that it has the boy's mother on it, so she opens it and read the first page and was shocked when she came across the same thing that made Naruto and his mother go into shock and said, "This can't be right. Yes, it is. You are the birth mother of one Lily that was adopted by the Evans family. You trust what the Shadowkin?" Minerva asked. "Yes, I do, Bachin, cause you see, shortly after I got the Mask of Terracuto, I had some look into why Dumbledore blocked most of my potential, and it turns out all because of some stupid prophecy that goes something like this: the one with the power to vanquish the Dark Lord approaches, born to those who have thrice defied him. Born as the 7th month dies, and the Dark Lord will mark him as his equal. But he will have power the Dark Lord knows not, and either must die at the hand of the other, for neither can live while the other survives. The one with the power to vanquish the Dark Lord will be born as the 7th month dies," Naruto replied, quoted. "So what does that mean, Whiskers?" Tonks said. "Well, from what I understand, that the one that will vanquish some death-fearing asshole will be born when the July ends, and whose parents have defied his 3 types before the child was conceived, and said asshole will mark the baby, and said baby will be his equal, and the last part is that one of them die, and I will say one thing, that is, I will not be die that easy just because some old guy believes that I need to," Naruto said. "And what about the part that says have power that the Dark Lord know not?" asked the Auror in training. "Well, that could mean anything from my chakra to talisman, or could be something else entirely," Naruto said. "So what are you going to do?" Naruto asked Minerva. "What I do best, cause a lot of trouble, Bachin," Naruto said with his foxy smile. All Minerva could do was smile at Naruto and said, "But I take it you did more than just relied on what your Shadowkin said, right?" "Right, I did do more. I went to Gringotts and got the inheritance test," Naruto relied. Then he said, "Hey, Bachin, I am going to Hagrid's and see how Brightstar and Silverly are doing, as I am sure Hagrid might have tried, and tell me something important. I also need to give him 2 vault cards. One is to his vault, as I am paying him to look after Brightstar and Silverly, and the other card to buy the stuff for Brightstar and Silverly and stuff to look after them. And also you don't have to worry about anyone finding out about you and me, as the only people that knows are everyone as well as Amelia." Then started to head to Hagrid's hut. "All right, Naruto, but you need to tell what happened at Gringotts," Minerva said. "All right, Bachin, and I also need to talk to you about something," Naruto shouted back. When Naruto got to he saw Hagrid giving Brightstar a bath and said, "Hey, Hagrid, how are you?" "Oh, Naruto, I am doing good," Hagrid replied, then said, "How come you never replied to my letters I sent you?" "Sorry about that, Hagrid. There has been a crazy house elf intercepting all my mail for most of the summer," Naruto apologized. "Oh, that sounds interesting, so tell me about it," Hagrid said. "All right, but you have to let me bath Brightstar," Naruto said. "All right, I suppose after all she is your unicorn, Naruto," Hagrid said as he handed Naruto tack and instructed Naruto how Brightstar liked to be bathed. Then Naruto told Hagrid about the elf. Once Naruto finished his story, he said, "So anything else I might need to know?" "As a matter of fact, there is. I was tinkering with Silverly with his permission and would have had yours, but because of the elf you didn't give it, and found that he could talk, and I was looking around Godric Gryffindor's chamber and found 5 discs," Hagrid said. "I am going to take a guess and say that these discs has something to do with Silverly," Naruto asked. "Got that right, Master," Silverly said, coming out of the paddock that Naruto helped Hagrid build, then said, "I will admit that I did forgot about them, so I will tell you about I get them after a little time had passed after I became Godric's familiar. Felt useless to I went to Godric and told him how I felt, so he took me to someone that might help, and as you know that I am an artificial being, I can be modified, and that is what Godric's friend did to me. Then he created the disc that hold 5 elemental elements, and if you insert them into me, I will gain control of that element." "Nice, so what elements do the discs have?" Naruto asked. "Earth, fire, wind, water, thunder," Hagrid said as he handed the discs to Naruto, then said, "Hope you're not mad that I did it without your permission." Naruto just waved it off and said, "Nah, I'm not mad that you did it, but as long as you had Sylvlies, then I am happy, plus you did try, not your fault." Had an elf was intercepting my mail, then he reaches into one of his pockets and pulls out the cards and said, "Here Hagrid, these cards are for you. One is for looking after Brightstar and Sylvly, and the one with Brightstar and Sylvly on it is to buy the thing that Brightstar and Sylvly need." Hagrid took the cards and said, "Thanks Naruto, but you didn't have to get me a new vault and card. I am happy to look after them." "I know that, Hagrid, but I felt like I was taking advantage of you caring personality. Also, they are mine, so it seems right to pay someone to look after them when I can't." Hagrid with a teary eye said, "Thank you Naruto for caring. Also, you should be getting a bank statement on how much you have and how much is in the care vault any day now. Also, if I do get any more creatures for you to look after, your pay will increase," Naruto said, and for the rest of the he and Hagrid talked about other things until it was time for Hagrid to get the fist ears and Naruto headed for the Great Hall. Naruto is sitting at his house table when then other students came, and when everyone was settled, Naruto was chatting to his friends about various things that they did over the summer when Hermione said, "Hey Naruto, why didn't you reply to any of my letters I sent for the first half of summer?" "You're same with me, apart from the letter that your aunt sent me using Zazu and the letter that I sent you saying thanks for helping my parents," Neville said. "No problems mate. After all, I had something that might have helped, so I did what I thought was the right move," Naruto said too, "and I am sorry about that. The thing was, a house elf was intercepting all my mail trying to stop me from coming back this year." Naruto. This news shocked Neville and said, "So somebody doesn't want you here this year?" "I wouldn't say that, Nev. He seemed like he was doing these things without his master's knowledge," Naruto said. "What make you say that, Naruto?" Hermione said. "It's just that he seemed more concerned about my safety than anything else, because he told me that something bad is going to happen this year and I shouldn't go back to school this year," Naruto relied. "Great, another year of breaking rules," Hermione groaned. "Oh come Hermione, you knew what you was getting into when we met in Dueling Alley last year. For some reason trouble always finds me," Naruto said. Before long, Professor McGonagall came in with the first years and the sorting ceremony started, and once the sorting was done, Naruto saw the headmaster and his grandmother leave and said, "Looks like Ron showed up." "And how do you know that, Naruto?" Neville asked. "Because I just saw Professor McGonagall and Dumbledore just left, and I know Ron done something stupid," Naruto said. Fred and George had heard what Naruto had said. "So Narukins, what did Ronikins do to get in trouble on the day that we arrive at Hogwarts?" "Well, as you know, we couldn't get on the train because the barrier closed before me and Ron could get thought, and he thought he would use the car to chase the train," Naruto said, shocking the Weasleys. Then they chatted about other things. Later, after dinner and all the houses was in the common rooms, when Professor McGonagall came in to collect Naruto to hear what happened at Gringotts, saw that Naruto wasn't in the common room but saw two of her grandson's friends and said, "Afternoon, Miss Granger, Mr. Longbottom, do you know where I can find Mr. Potter?" "I do believe he said he wanted to sleep," Neville said. "Then do you mind going to get him and wake him up if you need to?" asked the elderly professor. "Okay, Professor," Neville said as he got up and went up to the bedrooms. After 5 minutes, Neville came down with Naruto and said, "What can I do for you, Professor?" "Well, you did say you was going to explain what happened," the professor said. "Oh yeah, I did say that. Sorry, Professor, I forgot," Naruto said. "That all right, Naruto, now come," Minerva said. Then she lead him to her office. Once in the office, Minerva said, "All right, Naruto, please explain that made you think to go to the Gringotts to get full test." Naruto sat down and said, "Well, it begins at the start of summer. You see, Kacchan was telling me that Auntie was happy to find out that Kacchan was a witch, but as the years went by she began to hate Kacchan, so the first night there she used sheep talisman to have a chat with Auntie and found out that Kacchan was adopted and that Professor Snape was also being mean to Petunia, and as I was cleaning the Petunia's house like I usually do, Kacchan was telling me what happened the night before. Then she asked me to send some Shadowkin to try and find her birth parents, and so I did, and for a month and a half there was no news. Then one morning while I was round the Weasleys, the Shadowkins that I had looking for Kacchan's birth parent showed up while we was having breakfast." Flashback. Naruto was sitting down at the dining table having breakfast with Molly, Arthur, Bill, Percy, Fred, George, Ron and Ginny, who was trying to hide from Naruto for some reason, and Naruto noticed a dark shadow came into and left and went into the living room and thought they must have found something. As Naruto watched the shadow, he didn't notice that Bill also saw it, and the later said with a shocked tone, "What was that?" "What was what, Bill?" Molly asked. "I just saw a really dark shadow come in here and went into the living room," Bill relied, and Fred and George knew what Bill saw. Arthur, Molly, and all the kids that can use a wand without getting in trouble with the ministry got out their wands and headed to the living to deal with the Shadowkin, and Molly said, "You kids stay here, we will deal with whatever that thing is." Naruto knew he had to think fast. He knows the Shadowkins will not attack them, as he gave all 9 clans not to attack anyone unless they are provoked, and they will use lethal force on any attacker, and without thinking the rabbit symbol appeared in his eyes, and a split second later he was in between the Weasleys and a kneeling ninja Shadowkin holding a folder, and Naruto says to the Weasleys, "Stop. He is not here to cause anyone harm, he is only here to report on a mission I had him do at the start of summer, so put your wands away and none of you will be hurt." Molly did like what Naruto said, "Are you threatening us, Naruto?" "Of course not, Molly. The Shadowkins have orders not to attack anyone unless they are provoked, and they always use lethal force," Naruto said. Molly, not liking what Naruto was saying, said to convince Naruto that the being behind him was defending a creature that appears to be dark in nature to step aside, and how can we trust that they will not attack us? Naruto just smirked and said why not ask the twins, after all they did use some of them to pull pranks of last year, heck they even went into the Shadow Realm, though they did say that they don't want to go back. Fred and George came in and said it's true mum, unless Naruto or someone who is wearing one of the Oni masks says otherwise they will not harm anyone, and Molly reluctantly stood down and Naruto turned around and picked up the folder and read it, also made sure that none on the Weasleys was reading over his. Once he was done he stuck it under his arm, turned his attention to the ninja Khan and said thank you and you are dismissed, and with a little head bow the Khan went into his shadow. The shadow disappeared. Then Naruto went upstairs to put the folder, but what none of the Weasleys know apart from the twins was that Naruto wasn't going to put it in his trunk. After 5 minutes he came down and said, hey Arthur, mind if I use flu powder to go to Dueling Alley as I need to go to Gringotts? Sure, I don't mind you using our flu network to go to Dueling, but why do you need Gringotts? Arthur replied. Just need to confirm something, and I hear that Gringotts are the best, Naruto replied. As Naruto headed to the fireplace when Molly said, Naruto, when you get back you will have to tell us what that thing was. Actually I don't have to, Molly, as what I do is none of yours, Naruto said. Not like that the lady in front of him is telling him what to do and wasn't his mother or someone he cared about. Then said happily, well see you later, then disappeared in a sea of green flames. When Naruto arrived at Dueling Alley he headed straight to the bank and got in line. After a while he reached the head cashier, who said without looking up, greeting wizard, what brings you to Gringotts Bank today? Greeting, I am Naruto Potter, and I would like to have a test done and also talk to the Potter account manager please, Naruto replied. The goblin looked up and saw Naruto, said of course noble Potter, I will get account Snapfist for you, please sit down in the waiting area. Then the goblin jumped off his seat and hurried off someplace to get the Potter account. Wonder what that was about, Naruto thought. I would like to know what is with the noble thing, Kurama said. I think it might be to do with the fact you showed the director Naruto's memories from his past life, all the disturbingness that happened, and still came out still kind and considerate of others, and goblins have and are known to give titles to those that deserve it. Like if Naruto kills a really dangerous beast, then he will be known as Beast Slayer Potter when he come here, Lily said. After waiting for 5 minutes the goblin came over and said, I am sorry noble Potter, but account manager Snapfist is busy at the moment, but your meeting be taken by King Ragnarok as he has things to talk to you about and was about to send you a letter, so if you will follow me. And with a nod Naruto got up and followed the goblin. Then the goblin stopped outside one of the meeting, knocked, then waited for a come-in, and when it came the goblin instructed Naruto to go in, then went back to his station to open the door and walk in. On the other side of the room was the king of goblins, who said, greetings noble Potter, please have a seat. And Naruto does. Then the goblin continued, I am so glad that you visited us today. We at Gringotts was about to send a letter to you as we had found some unusual activities with your trust vault and also the cards you requested for. One ruby is Hagrid, one is to his vault with your request for payment for looking after your creatures that you somehow gained, and the other is for getting their food, bedding, etc. Naruto took the cards and said thanks Ragnarok, then he sealed them away before continuing, now before we begin your stuff, do you have a test that allows you so see who our grandparents are? We have only one test for that noble Potter, replied the Goblin King. Okay, what does the test do? Naruto asked. It is like the identification but more detailed, like one who your grandparents are, also titles you own and will gain, and tell you what abilities you have either born with or gained, also tells you any marriage contract you have, Ragnarok said. Cool, I'll take the test, sound cool to know what abilities I have, Naruto said. Right, that will be 3 galleons noble Potter, but no need to worry as we can take it directly out of your account, Ragnarok said, then instructed a goblin to get the test. Then he turned to Naruto and said, now while we wait, how about we get to what we need to talk about with your account? Alright, sounds good to me, but first can you please tell me what is with the noble Potter that I have been called since I get here, Naruto asked. That is your title that I bestowed upon you after your last visit, which I need to thank you for, but we can get to that later, Ragnarok said. Cool, but I am guessing my title and what you are thanking me aren't related, Naruto said. Quite observant of you and correct, noble Potter. The title is because I told and showed the goblins of Gringotts what happened when we went into your Mindscape, then we voted about giving you a title, then the rest is history, and as for the other thing, as we at Gringotts owe you our deepest thank you. Then he bowed. No need for that, Ragnarok, but do you mind telling me why you are thanking me, Naruto asked. Well, you see, during the ritual that removed the horcrux from you, it somehow sent a magical wave that resonated with some dark artifacts that should never have been brought here, Ragnarok explained. Well, glad I could help knowingly or unknowingly, Naruto said. No, then on to business. As you have become Gringotts' most important client, I have decided to change the manager of the Potter accounts as well as your other vaults to me, and so I decided to go over past statements and saw there have been some strange withdrawals and transfers, Ragnarok said as he handed Naruto the statements. Naruto looks at the statements and said, so what are you going to do about it, Ragnarok? Well, at the moment we are looking into it, but I am ashamed to admit that whoever is doing it, they have covered their tracks very well, Ragnarok said. Well, there is one way to find out, Ragnarok, Naruto said. There is, what is it, Ragnarok asked. Have you ever heard the term follow the money, Naruto asked. Ragnarok shook his head and said, I have not. What does the saying mean? Well, to simple put it is a way for police, a muggle version of an aura, to catch criminals like a thief, mob bosses, and power-hungry business owners that want to expand, Naruto replied. Sound like something we at Gringotts need to keep an eye on, Ragnarok said to himself, then asked, so how does it work? Quite simple really if the police suspects that someone is involved. They look at every possible lead that could help them, including looking at the bank statements to see if there has been any suspicious withdrawals or transfers, then they follow that money, Naruto explained. But how does that help us find out who is taking you money, Noble Potter Ragnarok asked. Easy, just place tracking spell on the money in the vault, then we wait for the next transaction, then we will have our answer on who is stealing from me, Naruto said. After hearing what the reincarnated boy's plan was, Ragnarok had a sly smile and said, you know something, that is properly the best idea I have ever heard, plus it might help the Auror out and we can make a profit. I will send a letter to the head of Aurors after we are finished here about a deal. Thank you again, Noble Potter, you have helped Gringotts, Ragnarok said. You're welcome, Ragnarok, Naruto said. While Naruto and Ragnarok was waiting for the goblin to come back with the test for Naruto, the duo was having a casual conversation when Naruto remembered something, said, hey Ragnarok, I have something that might help you and me with you getting mail to me without removing the spell that diverts all my Gringotts mail. This catches the goblin's interest and said, and how can you do that? Naruto gave the goblin a foxy smile and said like this, then did some hand seals, then said summoning jutsu. Then there was a poof of smoke, and when I cleared, Gamakichi stood there. Then he greeted Naruto. Yo Naruto, who are you? Then he saw the king of goblins and said, so Naruto, who is your creepy looking friend here? He looked like he could give anyone nightmares. I think I will let him introduce himself. Kichi, though I think it would be an idea you go first, Naruto said. Hello there, I am Gamakichi, next head of the Gamma summoning clan, the Toad introduced. Nice to meet you, Gamakichi. I am the king of goblins and the director of Gringotts Bank that you are in, and my name is Ragnarok, Ragnarok said. Gamakichi then turned to Naruto and said, well, Naruto, Pops has talked to the Gamma elders and they said they want to talk to the person that you talked about. Well, that good as he is right here, so you can reverse me and I will drag Ragnarok with me, Naruto said, and as he walked round the desk and placed a hand on Ragnarok's shoulder, then Kichi disappeared in the same way he appeared, and then Naruto and Ragnarok followed in the same manner. Mount Mayaboku. When Naruto and Ragnarok appeared Mount Mayaboku, Ragnarok looked a little dizzy. When it subsided, he looked around and saw a dull, rusty red toad, a brighter red color markings around his eyes and on his lips, and was about the size of Kurama, and he said, hey there Naruto, nice of you to come. Then he noticed Ragnarok, then said, and you brought something else? Then he gave Ragnarok his attention, then said, greetings being, I am the chief of the Gamma clan Gamabunta, and who and what are you? Ragnarok looked up to meet the toad's eyes and said, greeting Chief Gamabunta, I am what people in my world call a goblin, and I am their king, also the director of a bank for the magical folks in magical Britain, and my name is Ragnarok. So you're the race that Naruto told us about, said that you are noble in your own right, respects those that respects you, and perfect at handling money, so it is an honor to meet you, the chief toad said. And the same to you, to Chief Gamabunta, though I wish that Naruto had told me about you, Ragnarok said. Gamabunta laughed and said, don't take it to heart, Ragnarok, he has had a hard life that grown men crumble thanks to him holding the nine-tailed fox. Ragnarok looked at the toad confused and said, wait, I must have misheard you, but did you say 9? With that, Bunta nodded. Then Ragnarok continued, but I went into Noble Potter's mind a couple of weeks ago and met Kurama, but he had 10 tail. Naruto then stepped in before Bunta or Ragnarok say anything and began to tell them about when he met Kami. Flashback. Naruto took a few moments to think it though, then said with conviction in his voice, okay, I will do it. Kami clamped her hands together and said, wonderful, now on to the important bits. Then she waved her hand, then next to Naruto a little fox with 10 tails appeared. The 10-tailed fox looked around, saw Naruto and said, hey kid, what is going here? Naruto rubbed the back of his neck and said, well, here's the thing, Kurama. Naruto then Kurama what Kami had told him, and that's about it. Only you would get this type of offer, Kurama said, then turns to the goddess, then said, so what going to happen to me? Kami looked at the little fox, then said, well, that is your decision, Kurama. Well then, if that's the case, I want to stay with the kid, Kurama said. What if you come with me? Then there is no way to get back, and I thought you wanted to go home and be with your Biju siblings, Naruto said. And you are like a son to me. I might not have held you, but it was me you came to when you had problems, and I have watched you grow up. Kami, who had a smirk, said, oh Kurama, I am surprised you haven't noticed it yet. Noticed what? Yet, the 10-tailed fox said. Naruto took a long look at the fox, then noticed something, then said, Kurama, you have 10 tails. Kurama looked behind him and saw that he indeed did have 10 tails, but before he could say anything, Kami said, I know that you would choose to stay with Naruto, so when I summoned you I merged all the tailed beasts and made you the new 10-tailed, but unfortunately you won't be keeping the power as your world need the Biju to protect it in case something happens, and the ninjas can't handle it as you Biju are its guardians, and every world has something like this. Then she held out her hands, and in flash of light there was a lifeless dummy replica of Kurama. Then Kami waved her hand, and Kurama turned into a of light, and then it split in two. One went into the replica, then it disappeared, and the other one went into Naruto, and before Naruto could voice his concerns, the goddess continued, don't worry, I put 2 very special seals on the new guardian. One stops people trying to steal his chakra, and other one prevents him being sealed. In flashback. Well, that explains where the Biju went, only you can cause something that like Naruto. Bunta said to Naruto. Naruto just laughed and said, well, I have to find a way to annoy Bachin and Irasanin now that I am dead on that earth. The chief toad laughed, then turned to the goblin and said, anyway, I am sure that there have been people who was nice to him but ended up betraying him, and I know some legends about goblin greedy and nasty, no offense, King Ragnarok. None taken, Ragnar simply said. And I know Naruto has some kind of empath ability thanks to the fox, so even though he knows he can trust you, he has had to live with that kind of treatment. How would you turn out? Bunta asked. I see your point, and because of his empath powers and what goblins are by nature, Ita would be like noble Potter, Ragnar said. Now on to business, Bunta said, then turned to Ragnar and said, now Ragnar, Naruto told us that someone is diverting his mail from your bank and that he wants us to be your messenger. Well, Chief Bunta, I didn't even know that noble Potter had something like this, so I didn't know he talked to you about, Ragnar said. Mind if I talk to the Gamma Elders before we talk, Ragnar, Bunta said. Of course, take you time, Chief Bunta and Toad Elders, Ragnar said, and the 3 toads hopped away. After about 10 minutes the toads came back and 2 little toads hopped over. One was green toad with white hair styled in somewhat of a mohawk, very thick eyebrows and a small goatee, and the other has a green underside with purple marking around her mouth and the back of her body. The top of her head looks as though she is wearing a hairnet with hair rollers underneath, giving her an old woman look, and the green one said, greetings Ragnar, I am Fukasaku and this is Shima and are the elders of the Gamma clan. Greeting Elder Fukasaku and Elder Shima, have you made your decision? Ragnar asked. We have, and we agree to be your messenger, Ragnar, for 2 reasons. The first and the most important is we care about Naruto like we did with his original father, and that someone is trying to control the boy is inexcusable, as Naruto has told us how Wizard Bank works and is like a storage seal, and the boy might want something from the vault that might be important. And the other reason, simple put, we are more curious about the world that the boy is now a part of, Fukasaku said, and for the next 5 to 10 minutes the Gamma Elders and the Goblin King negotiated. Then Fukasaku handed Ragnar a parchment and said, when you need a messenger, just channel some of your magic and it will summon a toad. Now our business is finished, we will send you back. Both Naruto and Ragnar disappeared in the same way they appeared. Gringotts, Ragnar's office. The duo just appeared in Ragnar's office when the door opened, and the goblin that went to get the test for Naruto walked up to Ragnar and said, here is the test for noble Potter, your majesty. Ragnar took the test and said thank you. Then he turned to Naruto and said, now noble Potter, this test is like the identification test you did last year, but a bit more detailed. For example, the identification test shows the name of someone normal name like your did, but this test will show your name like normal but also shows your parents' true and given name, also shows your grandparents as well as your titles you have and gain and tell as any and all abilities or powers you have. Do you understand? And Naruto nodded. Then Ragnar said, now all we need for you to put a few more drops of onto the parchment. Naruto nodded and did as instructed. Name Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, Naruto Potter. Dob 1010155531071999. Father Minato Namikaze James Potter. Mother Kushina Uzumaki Namikaze Lily Evans Potter. Maternal grandparents Minerva McGonagall and Uncle Chan. Paternal grandparents Fleamont Potter and Euphemia Potter. Paternal ancestors Godric Gryffindor, Helga Hufflepuff, Rowena Ravenclaw, Ignatus Peveril, Linfred of Stinchcombe. Godfather Juria Sirius Black. Heir by inheritance House Uzumaki, Namikaze, House Potter, House Peveril, House Gryffindor, House Hufflepuff, House Ravenclaw. Heir by conquest House Slytherin. Titles claimed: heir to House of Potter, heir to House of Peveril, heir to House of Gryffindor, heir to House of Hufflepuff, heir to House of Ravenclaw, heir to House of Slytherin, Lord of Shadowkin. Titles to gain: Lord Potter, Lord Peveril, Lord Gryffindor, Lord Hufflepuff, Lord Ravenclaw, Lord Slytherin. Abilities: powers born: elemental manipulation, illusion, strength enhancing, speed enhancing, surface walking, parcelange, transformation, metamorph magi, werefox, empath. Abilities: powers gained: levitation, telekinesis, super strength, invisibility, super speed, astral projection, combustion, animation, healing, regeneration, shapeshifting, immortality, rejuvenation, heat vision, spiritual balance, Kai magic. When both Naruto and Ragnar looked at the parchment, the latter said, well, that is quite something, not in your teens yet and quite powerful already though. Can I ask you a few questions? Naruto, not seeing any harm, said, sure, ask away. Then I will ask the questions that I have. Well, I see a few things on here that I can't make heads or tails with, so what is the difference in the strength and speed enhancing to the ones you gained? Ragnar asked. Well, the enhancing ones require me to pump my chakra into my muscles, and how strong or fast I become depends on how much chakra I am putting in, and it needs to be constant flow, whereas the super ones, multiples ones owned by 10 to 20 times, Naruto explained. Right, what about the Lord of Shadowkin, and what is a Shadowkin? Asked the Goblin King. The Shadowkin are tribes of ninja-like, shadow spirit warriors from the Shadow Realm. While some are reminiscent of ninjas, most others simply look like red-eyed, blue-skinned creatures wearing black suits, Naruto said, then summoned one of the 9 cons. Okay, next question, what does surface walking mean? Ragnar asked. That is simple, if I add chakra to my feet I can walk on any flat surface, Naruto said, then demonstrated by walking up to a wall, then walked up it, then the ceiling, then down the other wall, then he sat back down and said, anything else? Ragnar. Last one, what is Kai magic? Ragnar. Well, it is magic that Muggle can use as they know how to, Naruto answered. Okay, that is all my question. Now for your questions, noble Potter, Ragnar asked. Okay, first question, as I am the heir to multiple houses, do I need to take multiple wives? Naruto asked. That is an excellent question, noble Potter, but yes you do, but you need to take no more than 2 wives per house, Ragnarok said. Okay, my next question is, do I have any marriage contracts? Naruto asked. Then he said shadow clone jutsu, then the clone said henge. Yes you do, Ragnarok said as he picked a parchment, reading it, then said now you have 3 outstanding. 1 was made by your paternal grandfather to the Delacour. We have 1 you as the oldest Potter, and Daphne Greengrass made by your father to the Greengrass between their oldest daughter and the Potter's oldest son before the Potters discovered they can't have children, and lastly there is 1 between you and a Ginevra Weasley made by Albus Dumbledore and Molly Pruitt. So that is why Molly has been putting love potion in your food and drink, Naruto, Lily said to her son. You're properly correct about that, Kacchan, Naruto said to his mother, then turned to the goblin and said, is there a way to dissolve the contract between me and Ginny? Ragnarok looks at Naruto, then shook his head and said, unfortunately, noble Potter, there is not. You see, the contract was made thanks to someone who thinks he is your magical guardian, even though that is false, but as he is a powerful wizard, so the magic that makes the contract powerful, and the only thing that can dissolve the contract is the head of the Potter house. Then could I dissolve the contract? Lily asked. Ragnarok said while thinking, then said, you might be able to, Mrs. Potter, as you are the wife of the late James Potter, so until noble Potter is of age you are the acting head of the ancient and noble Potter house, so do you know what to do? Lily nodded, then said, I, Lily Potter, wife of the late James Potter, acting head to the Potter house, dissolve the marriage contract between Naruto Potter and Ginevra Weasley. So mote it be. When she finished she knew something was wrong as she was out of breath and sweaty. Ragnarok looked at the contract and saw that it had been dissolved and said, congratulations, Mrs. Potter, you did it. And when he saw the stat Lily was in, he said, you look a mess, Mrs. Potter, though I can hazard a guess as to why you are like that. So can I, Chief Ragnarok? This is not my body, so my connection to my magic is not there, so I don't have it. However, because this is my son's body, there is a connection to my body. And the connection is strong enough that I can use my magic, but to use it takes its toll on this clone's body, Lily said. Ragnarok nodded and said, my hypothesis exactly, Mrs. Potter, you can disperse now. We goblin may have a nasty reputation, even we wouldn't want to piss of our most important client, and after seeing what he is capable of, I don't want to piss him off. Thank you, Chief Ragnarok, Lily said before the clone popped. Any more question, noble Potter? Ragnarok asked. I have 2 more. The first is, how do I activate the werefox genes? Naruto asked. My best guess would me get bitten by a werewolf. And the other question? Ragnarok asked. What is a metamorph magi? Naruto asked. It is a rare ability that allows someone to change their appearance at will, kinda like your henge jutsu, Ragnarok answered. Cool, Naruto said before saying, thank you, Chief Ragnarok, you have been helpful today. It is no problem, noble Potter, I will let Mrs. Molly Weasley know that the marriage contract has been dissolved. Think you could wait until I go back to school? Naruto asked. May I ask why? Ragnarok asked. Because the last thing I need is Molly putting more love potions in my food and drink, to the point that I am admitted to a magical hospital due to love potion poisoning, as I am not sure the horse talisman will help with that, Naruto said. I see your point. Okay, I will wait till you are back at Hogwarts, Ragnarok said as he showed Naruto out. End of flashback. After Naruto finished telling his grandmother about what happened at Gringotts, Minerva hugged her grandson and said, well, you seem to have an eventful summer. You could saw that, Naruto said. Now it makes sense you about Hogwarts. It's not the school that you own, but it is the grounds that Hogwarts is on, and just so you know, you don't have to go back to the Dursleys, Minerva said. Actually, I think it would be best if I did, as I would like Dumbledore thinks he can still manipulate me, and I want to make sure that Aunt Petunia is okay, as in no Marge is going over there, and she might say something about Kacchan that might set Auntie off, Naruto replied. Minerva was now confused and said, wait, Naruto, why would Petunia be annoyed over something that this Marge would say, as I was sure that she hated Lily, which started out as jealousy. A slight misunderstanding. True, she was jealousy that Kacchan was a witch, but one night Auntie overheard Gigi and Bachan say that Lily was adopted, and then there was the fact that some guy named Severus was picking on Auntie as she is a muggle. Snape and Kacchan was a witch and wizard, and Kacchan only found this out at the start of summer as she used the sheep to enter a sleeping Auntie, and they chatted and they made up, Naruto replied. I see, because Petunia doesn't know about your talisman powers. She doesn't know that Lily is alive, and so she thinks she can't make up with her, and because she thinks it is a dream, she finally let go of that jealousy, Minerva said before saying, now Naruto, off to bed. Okay, Bachan night, Naruto said as he got and headed to the door to head back to the Gryffindor tower. Naruto got to the door when his grandmother said, oh yeah, Naruto, what did you want to talk about? That can wait for another time, as it was about a marital room, Naruto said. Oh, I see, it is because of your marriage contract to Miss Greengrass Current, and Naruto nodded, and you want to at least get to know her first, right? After nodding, Naruto said, I may not believe in marriage by contract, but that does not stop me from trying to get to know the person and seeing if I fall for them, and I will tell them that I need a minimum of 6 wives. Minerva smiled and said, that's good, now off to bed with you, and as Naruto was heading to the door once more, he heard his grandmother say, oh, and another thing, I don't want you to look for a werewolf to see if their virus activates your werefox genes, okay? No need to worry, Bachan, I don't need to look for one, as I am sure I will meet one thanks to my kind of luck. The question isn't about me looking for one, it's when I run into one, Naruto said with his fox-like grin. And that is why I am worried. I just found out my daughter is somewhat okay, and you are my grandson, so off cause I am going to worry even if you are immortal thanks to the dog, Minerva said, and with a quick night from both parties, Naruto headed to the Gryffindor tower. When Naruto got into the common room, he was met with an angry Ron who saw Naruto and said, "You bastard, you got me in trouble." Naruto looks at Ron with a confused look and said, "Come again, how did I get you in trouble?" "You told on me about me taking the car," Ron said. "And how on earth was I getting out of telling Amelia Bones and Tonks where you went?" Naruto asked. "Well, you could have come with me," Ron said. "And risk of getting expelled? No thanks, I would rather get in trouble for being late than something that could get me expelled, so you got in trouble all on your own. So off as I am going to bed," Naruto said. It has been a few days since Hogwarts started the first term, and he is currently in the one class he was dreading, Defense Against the Dark Arts, or DADA for short, and when the door to the professor's office opened and the teacher came out, he said, "Hello, I am sure you all already know me, but I will introduce myself anyway. I am Gilderoy Lockhart, Order of Merlin, 3rd class honorary member of the Dark Forces Defense League and 5-time winner of Witch's Weekly Most Charming Smile." And all the girls are all signing in a heavenly way, including Hermione, which Naruto didn't seem to like. Kurama felt and saw that Naruto was jealous, said, "Careful, Kit, your powers might act up if you get even more jealous." While the professor was handing out some quiz sheet, he handed Hermione a couple to Hermione, who get a bit bashful, and the ten-tailed fox was proven right as the rat appeared in Naruto's eyes, and the skeleton that was hanging from the ceiling moved, growled, then stopped, scaring everyone in the classroom. But the professor, in order to take credit, said, "Nothing to worry about, it's just a simple spell that I know that can make skeletons move and act as if it was alive," then continued to hand the quiz sheets out. Hermione knew that it wasn't a spell that made the skeleton move, looked back at Naruto, who was rubbing his eyes, and when he was done, he looked over to her and she saw the rat flashing in Naruto's eyes. When Gilderoy finished handing the questions out, he stood by his desk and said, "You have 30 minutes, and when all the students had a quill in their hands, he said, "Start." Naruto read the questions and thought, what kind of questions are these? The Shinobi Academy had better questions, and they was still stupid. "I agree," Naruto, Lily said, as she has been seeing what Naruto's past life was like. "So, what are you going to do?" Kit the Fox asked. "The only thing I usually do with this kind of test," Naruto replied. "And what is that?" Lily asked. "Take a nap," came Naruto's response as he placed the questions to one side, crossed his arms, rested his head on his arms, and closed his eyes. After the test time, Gilderoy was looking through the quiz and said, "I am disappointed that hardly anyone knows that lilac is my favorite, but Miss Hermione Granger knew that my secret ambition is to rid the world of evil and also market my own brand, potions for hair care, although I must say that I am very disappointed in the famous Naruto Potter, as he not only didn't he answer a single question, but he didn't bother filling in his name. Now, son, why didn't you answer?" Naruto, who was still sleeping, didn't answer. Next to him, Ron was smirking as he jolted Naruto awake and said, "I didn't," at making everyone but the sum of the Slytherins. Professor Lockhart said, "I know you didn't do the quiz. Now I am asking, why didn't you even attempted to do it?" "Oh, you mean that sorry excuse of a test that deserves to be taken by your fangirls? Then I will gladly answer. I didn't think it was worth answering, as none of the questions in question is a dado topic. After all, what is knowing what your favorite color and ambitions do us if, when we face against someone who would be trying to hurt us?" Naruto answered before sitting down and receiving glares from most of the girls, but Naruto was unaffected by the glares due to what his past was like. Acting as if nothing had happened, Gilderoy said, "Now it is my job to arm you against some of the most foulest creatures known to wizardkind. Some of you might just face your worst nightmares." "I am having one of my worst nightmares right now," Naruto mumbled. "Now I must ask you not to scream," the professor said as he went to a covered-up cage, tapped it a little with his wand, and grabbed the top, pulled it while saying, "as it might provoke them reviling blue creatures with wings." Seamus laughed and said, "Cornish pixies." "Freshly caught Cornish pixies," Lockhart said, causing most of the class to laugh. "Please don't tell me he is going to do what I think he is going to do," Naruto thought as he steadily went for his wand. "I think he might," Naruto, Lily said. "If the dumbass does, then that is a special kind of dumb, and I would also feel sorry for you, kid. Out of the two you had, I would prefer Voldemort," Kurama said. "I would," to Naruto said. Then the professor opened the cage and the pixies all rushed out, causing all the students to panic. After a couple of minutes, the only people who was in the class was Naruto, Hermione, Neville, who was hanging from the chandelier, and the professor, who looked lost. One of the pixies grabbed Hermione. She said, "Let go of me," while shaking her head, trying to get the pixie to let go. "Hermione, stay still," Naruto said, and when Hermione stopped moving, Naruto swag a book he was holding and swatted the pixie, then said, "I have had enough of this." Then the rabbit appeared in his eyes. Then he grabbed the cage that rounded up the pixies. Once the pixies was in the cage, the rooster appeared in his eyes, then gently brought Neville down. Then the trio walked out the door, and Naruto was trying to convince Hermione that Gilderoy was a shit professor. It is the weekend, and the Gryffindor Quidditch team was heading to the pitch for practice when they run into the Slytherin team, and the captain handed Wood a note telling them that the Slytherin team needed, as they need to train their seeker with. Turned out to be Malfoy, who said that, "Right, I am the new Slytherin team's seeker, and that is not all that is new this year, and the team showed their new brooms because my father can afford the best." Naruto started to laugh so that it caught his friend's attention, who was waiting to watch the practice, and when they got there, Hermione asked, "What is so funny, Naruto?" Calming down a little, Naruto said, "Not much, just Malfoy telling us that he just paid his way onto the Slytherin Quidditch team," before laughing again. Getting mad at what Naruto just said, "Hey, I did not buy my way onto the team." "Really, would your father give the Slytherin team the latest broom if you didn't want to join the team?" Neville asked. "Of course not. Why would he waste money?" Malfoy asked. "That would be the definition of buying your way into the something," Hermione said. Well, nobody asked you, you filthy mud, Malfoy said. Naruto heard what Malfoy said, stopped laughing immediately, and there was a chill in the air, and Naruto walked up to Malfoy, but you couldn't see his eyes, and said, "What did you just, Hermione?" Malfoy smirked and said, "I called her for what she really is, filthy mud who doesn't even deserve to be at this noble school like all muds." Naruto grabbed Malfoy by his jumper, lifted him up, and Naruto looked at Malfoy dead in the eyes, which scared the latter, as Naruto's eyes wasn't his normal blue, they were red and slitted like a fox, then said, "Now you listen to me, and you better listen. Good, cause I will not repeat myself, okay? Never, and I never call Hermione a mud with me around, otherwise you will be in the infirmary." When Naruto finished, orange bubbles like substance was coming out of Naruto's skin and forming some kind of cloak. It burned Malfoy a little, but it was agony to him. Naruto stopped, and after about a minute he blinked, shook his head, then the cloak dispersed, then said, "Sorry about that, team, well I better disappear." Then he disappeared in a swirl of fire. Hermione quickly took off to look for Naruto, leaving both Quidditch teams confused before the Slytherin team remembered Malfoy was somehow brought by Naruto and getting him to the infirmary, leaving the Gryffindor team, and Neville and Wood said, "Hey, Neville, right," and got a nod. "So got any idea was that cloak-like thing was?" "No, I don't, that is the first time I saw it," Neville replied before running after Hermione. Hermione, who was running quickly, turned a corner and run into someone, and the collision caused both Hermione and the other person to fall on their asses. The other person said, "Blimey girl, what is the rash?" Hermione looked up and saw that she had run in Tonks and said, "Hey, you're the girl that brought Naruto here, and on recon for that warning Naruto received." "That is me, and you must be Hermione. Naruto talks about you sometimes." Was what was the rush about? Tonks asked. And so, Hermione told Tonks what just happened, and when Hermione finished, Neville showed up and said, "Found Naruto yet, Hermione?" Hermione shook her head and said, "No, Nev, I have not, as I run into Tonks here and just finished telling her what happened. So do you have any ideas where he might be?" Before Neville or Tonks could say anything, Professor McGonagall showed up and said, "Hello, Miss Granger and Mr. Longbottom, I was just looking for you too." "Why was you looking for us, Professor? Last I checked, me and Neville haven't done anything wrong," Hermione said. "I know neither of you have done nothing wrong, but I am sure both of you know why Kurama was in control of my grandson," asked Naruto's grandmother. Both Hermione and Neville looked confused as to who the professor's grandson was. Tonks was wondering who Kurama was. Asked, "Professor, who is Kurama?" "Oh, Naruto might not have told you about it, but he is something called a Jinchuriki, a human that hold a living being inside of them, and Naruto hold a ten-tailed fox called Kurama," Minerva said. "Wait, Naruto is your grandson?" Neville asked. "Yes, he is, and can you please keep it a secret?" asked the professor, and the trio nodded. Then she said, "Now come on, we will go to my office, and you can tell me what happened." And so Minerva headed to her office with Tonks, Hermione, and Neville following close behind her. When the group of four got to Professor's office, they saw Naruto on a chair passed out, and Hermione walked over to Naruto and mumbled what happened outside. Naruto then went to stroke a few strands of hair, but the moment she touched his head, her world went dark. Then she collapses, causing the others to panic. "Do you know what happened to Hermione?" Professor asked to nerves Neville. "I think I do, Mr. Longbottom. Someone or something pulled her into Naruto's Mindscape," the professor answered. "Cool, I want to know what a Mindscape and what pulled Hermione," Tonks said as she reached for Naruto's forehead, and her world went dark. Then she collapsed. "What are we going to do, Professor?" Neville asked. "Well, I want to know what happened that caused Kurama to take over Naruto, and there has to be something that you must want to find out about Naruto," the professor said. "Well, I am curious about the ten-tailed fox and what that bubbly stuff was," Neville said. "That good, Neville. Now how about we touch his head together?" asked the professor, and Neville nodded, and at the same time the duo touched Naruto. And like the two before them, their world went dark, then collapses. Naruto's Mindscape. When Minerva and Neville got their bearings, they was in an office with Hermione and Tonks, and before anyone could say anything, the door to the office opened and Lily came in and said, "Hi everyone and welcome to Naruto's Mindscape." Minerva walked up to Lily and, "Hello Lily, can you forgive me for leaving at an orphanage all those years ago?" "Of course I do. I know you was either going through a tough time or had a good reason to do it, Mother," Lily said before saying, "Boy, saying that feels weird." Minerva smiled and said, "I am sure it does, but can you please take us to see Naruto as we have something to discuss?" "Of course you are. Well, he is on his way to talk to Kurama about the Tailed Beast cloak, so I will take you there," Lily said. Then she lead the group to wherever Kurama was. The group just exit the building when Hermione asked, "Hey Mrs. Potter, what is this place? It looks like it is from Japan, the feudal era." "Please call me Lily, dear, and this is Konoha, Naruto home village from his past life," Lily replied. "Man, when he told me that his world was like feudal Japan, I didn't believe him, but seeing it tell me otherwise," Neville said. "Same with me too," Hermione said. After a little more walking, the group was almost on top of mountain that overlooks the village, and Tonks noticed something. "Hey Lily, is it always sunset here?" "So you noticed, Tonks, and there is a reason for it which you will see in a minute," Lily said as they got on top of the monument, and they saw the most beautiful anyone could see the village, and then trees around it set in a golden glow thanks to the ever-setting sun, and they had a look of wonder, and when Lily saw the looks she said, "I know, right, I had the same look the first time I saw it. This was Naruto's favorite place in his other life." Then she led them into a cave. They had been in the cave for a few minutes when the group saw 10 stone statues. One was appeared to be hanging on the cave wall, and it was a body absent of its limbs and wrapped up in a swirl with its head in the center with 12 octagonal-shaped stone with an animal carved and then in a semicircle under its head while the other statues was free-standing. The next statue was the most human-looking of the batch, which was clad in ninja-like clothing and sporting weapons such as shuriken, katanas, and had a label saying Ninja Con. The next statue was somewhat human-like, but it had pointed legs and blades for fingers with a label saying Razor Con. The statue after that was the only one that possessed wings and only one eye with a label saying Bat Con. The next statue after that was incredibly huge and muscular and looked the strongest and most durable of the lot, and the label said Sumo Con. The statue after that looked like samurai but dressed in black armor equipped with blades and with a tag saying Samurai Con. That statue after that was the scariest looking one out the lot, and it had 2 tentacle-like arms and the label said Squid Con. The next statue had a crab-like pincer arm and an arm resembling a claw, and the label said Crab Con. The statue after that was the smallest one, and the label said Mini Con, and the last one resembling praying mantises with a label saying Mantis Con. Then they heard, I am telling you kid, it is true that since your birth in this life, but I am not sure why after all Kami did made me powerless. After a few seconds Naruto had a thought and said maybe she just took you powers, but she didn't say that you was, so maybe if I can find or make something I can give you a body on the real world and you can see how wonderful this world is from your own 2 fox eyes, and if you are attacked then you wouldn't be defenseless. And that sounds like a plausible reason, Brad. I am surprised this place didn't heat up with that good thought you had you just now, Kurama joked. Well, I could turn your cave into a lava bed if you want more heat, Naruto joked back, and they both laughed before he was tackled from behind and faceplanted the ground, causing the fox to laugh even harder when Naruto said, Hey Herman. Naruto, what was that thing with Malfoy? Herman. Oh, that don't worry about it, Herman. It is or was quite common for people who have things like Fluffy behind me sealed into them, and it is called the tailed beast cloak, and I don't feel sorry about Malfoy getting a chakra burn, Naruto replied. Then 3 visitors looked and saw the gigantic fox and was terrified of it, causing the fox to laugh. After calming down and before Herman or Neville could ask Naruto or Kurama any questions, Minerva asked, Alright, can you tell me what happened and what is a chakra burn? Naruto then told his grandmother what happened at the Quidditch pitch and what a chakra burn was and the only way to get one, then went into what a chakra cloak was. When Naruto was done, Herman asked Naruto, why did you bet you get so pissed when Malfoy called me a mud? I can answer that as there are 2 reasons. The first is when someone has something like me sealed into them, they gain some of the animal's instincts and traits of that animal, like cats like the milk and foxes being tricksters and pranksters, what increases his natural wants that he got from Kushina, Kurama said. I kinda get it now, but that still doesn't answer my question, Herman said. I'm getting to that. The other reason is only Minerva knows this, but Naruto is a werefox, and even though the cells for it is dormant, he still has the fox instincts. Now think about this, Herman, as you are smart. When does a canine like wolf or fox get aggressive? Kurama said. Herman did as the fox instructed and began to think when a fox would become aggressive. Then she said, the only times that I can think of when a fox would become aggressive like that, the first few I doubt would be that intense, and the only time that intense would be in order to protect its mate. And there you have your answer, Kurama said. Wait, you mean to tell me that Naruto loved me? Herman said when she realized what the fox meant. Naruto heard what Herman said, got annoyed, said, Hey, I would appreciate it if you didn't talk like I am not here, Herman, and I do have feeling for you, just not sure how strong they are, so can we talk about this when we are in the real world and alone? Sure, Herman said as she is fighting back a blush and seemed to be losing the fight, causing everyone to laugh. For the next few hours the group chatted, then it was time to get back into the real world, so they said their goodbyes. Then the 4 visitors along with the owner began to fade. Real world. The group woke up and gained their bearings when Minerva said, Okay Naruto, Herman, and Neville, I will deal with Professor Snape, and Naruto, I want you to keep that temper under control, and I know it might be hard but you need to try. Okay Bachin, for you I will try, Naruto replied. Alright you lot, get on with what you was doing, Minerva said. When Naruto, his friends, and Tonks exit the deputy's office, Tonks asked, Hey Naruto, do you know when the threat would start? If I had to guess, it might happen on All Hallows Eve, Naruto said. Okay then, Tonks said. Then she went on her own way. It has been a few days since the incident at the Quidditch pitch, and later that day Herman and Naruto talked about Naruto's instincts and that he would need a minimum of 6 but no more than 12 wives, and as Naruto anticipated, Herman didn't like the thought of sharing, but after a couple of words by Lily in private she agreed while having her face look like a ripe tomato. And they then decided to be in a relationship, but at the moment they decided to keep it quiet and agreed to revile it when they need to. And at the moment Naruto is heading to the headmaster's office as he had been called there while being led by his grandmother. When they got there he saw the headmaster along with Malfoy and an older man that Naruto guessed was the team's father, as had the same type of superiority complex aura around them. Then Naruto said, Hey headmaster, how are you? Then he turned to Draco and said, Hey Malfoy, nice scar. Mr. Potter, do you know why you are here? Dumbledore asked. Properly has something to do with Malfoy new burn scare, Naruto said without caring what he had done to the boy a few days prior. Yes, it is. Can you tell me what happened? Dumbledore asked. I can't tell you much, Professor, but one moment I was laughing because I made a joke about Malfoy buying his way onto the Slytherin Quidditch team, Malfoy denying the clam. Then Hermione said something. Malfoy called her the foul name that Selfrighties pureed D-bags use. After that I don't know what happened. Is that next thing I know I was waking up in Professor McGonagall's office. Naruto replied while plying on the words a little bit. Well, I still say let me punish the boy, Headmaster. The boy need to know who he was dealing with, said the older Malfoy. I understand that, Lucius, but I can't let you simply punish Naruto over an accident, said the headmaster. Naruto heard this, smirked, and said, actually, Professor Dumbledore, he can't punish me no matter what. And why is that, boy? Lucius demanded. Simple, you see, Mr. Malfoy, the girl that you son called a mud happens to be dating me, Naruto said, knowing that there are some laws that allows him to defend his mate. Yes, when it is needed and not get punished by it, and as the Potters, all of Naruto's houses are the ancient and noblest there are, he is immune to getting punished. Lucius understood what Naruto was getting at, started to sweat a little knowing the same laws, then thought, so the boy want to play that game, okay, let's play, said that is well and good, but the Malfoys have the title of noble. That nice, Mr. Malfoy, Naruto said in an uncaring voice. Lucius not catching Naruto tone, so will you back down? Naruto looks at Lucius and say, not a chance. The Malfoys might have noble title, but the Potters have the title of the most ancient and noble. Lucius, upon hearing what Naruto said, looked like he had seen a ghost, and knowing he couldn't beat Naruto back down by saying said that is all good day, Headmaster. Then he turned to his son, come Draco. Then the duo left. When both Malfoys left, Dumbledore turned to Naruto and said, good work, my boy, but I still need to punish you for what you did, so for the next 2 weeks you will be helping Professor Lockhart with his fan mail. Okay, Professor, Naruto said. Meanwhile, in his mindscape, the fox was laughing so hard that he was almost crying. Now that is out of the way, I would like to ask you something, Naruto in private, Dumbledore asked before turning to Minerva and said, could you please wait outside, Professor McGonagall? The professor discreetly looked at her grandson, who saw and discreetly nodded, and the professor said, of course, sir, call me when you're done. Then she left. Dumbledore looked at Naruto in the eye, trying to get in his head, and said, now my boy, do you know anything about a marriage contract being cancelled? Naruto tilts his head in a confused manner and said, sorry, Professor, but I didn't know I had a marriage contract in my name, also knowing what the professor was trying to do. Oh, is that so? Well, shortly after I handed you to your family, I went to a good family that I trust and set a marriage contract between you and their daughter in securing your future, Dumbledore said. Well, that is nice of you, Professor, but unfortunately I don't know anything about the contract, Naruto said in a fake sad voice, then thought, hey Kurama, let Professor team in and let him see Kachin. And the fox did as Naruto instructed, and when Headmaster saw Lily, he went ghost white. When Naruto was this, he asked, hey Professor, are you okay? You just went pale as if you had seen a ghost. Dumbledore looks at Naruto and says, I am okay, my boy, thanks for the concern, you may go now. Then Naruto leaves. On the other side of the door, Minerva stood there waiting for Naruto to come out, and when he did, she asked, so what did the headmaster want? Oh, just wanted to know if I knew anything about a marriage contract being cancelled, Naruto replied. And what did you tell him? Minerva asked. That I have no clue what he is on about, Naruto replied, then said, well, see you in class, Bachin, then went off to find his friends. As the weeks rolled by with nothing really happening except Naruto and Hermione moving into private quarters with his grandmother's permission, and that is after getting Hermione's parents' approval and pulling prank after prank on Snape and using reverse counter spell chakra seal on Malfoy when he tries to mess with a Gryffindor, and getting pissed with the Dada professor as the lessons he wasn't really teaching, just telling tall tales, and while in detention all he did was reply to fan mail, and it was Halloween and Naruto was serving the last day of detention, ignoring the professor drone on and on about being famous when he heard friend Heir said to kill. What the Naruto said, looks around trying to find the voice but saw nothing. Professor Lockhart looks at Naruto and said, did you say something? No, Professor, I didn't say a thing, but what is the time? We have been doing your fan mail for a while now, Naruto said. Great Scott, you're right, it's been 4 hours, isn't it spooky on how time flies when one's having fun, said the professor. I don't know about that, Naruto said, then thought, can't believe it was 4 hours, it felt like 6 anyway. Did any of you two hear that? Can't say I did, sorry, Kit the Ten-Tailed said. I heard nothing as well, sorry, Naruto, Lily said. It's okay, that just means that I might have been the only one that could hear whatever that was, Naruto relied. You're properly right, Kit, Kurama said. Well, off you go, Lockhart said. As Naruto was heading back to the Gryffindor common room as he hated Halloween, he heard the same voice from earlier say, I small, and as the heir told me I must kill, and Naruto walks over to the wall and tries to follow it but runs into his friends and Tonks. Hey mate, what up with you rushing around? Tonks asked. I believe that warning is about to start, Naruto replied. What make you say that, Naruto? Because I am hearing this voice saying whatever it is being told to kill by an heir, and it seems to be coming from the walls, and I am going to guess that none of you hear it, Naruto said, heading to where the voice seemed to go with Hermione, Neville and Tonks. The trio shook their head and Neville looks at Naruto confused and said, are you sure you are hearing a voice that's not good? You can try and tell me that all you want, but we all know that I am always hearing voices that no one else can hear, Naruto said. Well, he does have a point there, Neville, so maybe there might be something going on, Hermione said. As the group turned a corner, they saw something that made them stop, as there was a small group of spiders heading out the castle. Before anyone could say anything, Tonks said, guys, you might want to look up, and then Naruto, Hermione, and Neville looked to what Tonks was looking at. There was a message on the wall written in, and Hermione said, the Chamber of Secrets has been opened, enemies of the heir beware, and it is written in. I know Hermione, some of my senses has been enhanced thanks to Kurama, Naruto said. Then something caught his eye and looked at what it was and saw that it was Mrs. Norris, and it gets worse. Hermione, the caretaker's cat, has been petrified. Then the students began to pass through the hall but stopped when they saw Naruto standing in front of Mrs. Norris, then began to murmur among themselves, and Naruto saw one of the Muggleborns about to take a picture, but was stopped. But Percy the Malfoy said, "Enemies of the heir beware." Then with a smug look then said, "You'll be next, Muds." Naruto turns to looks at Malfoy with his demon eyes and said, "Didn't you learn something the last time you said that in my presence? You haven't. I would gladly teach you another lesson." Before Malfoy could say anything, there was a gruff voice of Mr. Filch saying, "What is going on here? Make way, while making his way through the students." And when he saw Naruto, he said, "Potter, what are you?" Then he saw his cat, then said, "Mrs. Norris." And when there was no reaction, he said, "You killed my cat. I will kill you. I'm going to kill you." Before Naruto could defend himself, Dumbledore just showed up and saw the message, then said, "Everyone back to the dormitories immediately." And when everyone began to head to their house common room, then Dumbledore said, "Everyone except you 3 points, Naruto, Hermione, and Neville. I am also going to stay headmaster as I was with these 3 when they got here," Tonks said. "Okay, Tonks," Dumbledore said before turning to the Mr. Filch before saying, "Mrs. Norris isn't dead. She has merely been petrified, though how she is petrified I can say. It is a sham I wasn't here. I might know the counter curse," Lockhart said. "Why not ask Potter? He was the one that did it," Filch said. "I did no such thing. She was like that when we got here," Naruto said. "I can vouch for that," Headmaster Tonks said, hating that she now has to report this to Amelia. "If that's the case, then it is simply that Potter and friend was at the wrong place at the wrong time," Snape said. "Well, the world is about to end if Professor Snape is agreeing with me," Naruto said. Snape, however, continued as if Naruto hadn't said anything. "However, I find the circumstances are a bit suspicious because I don't recall seeing Potter at the dining hall. Can you tell us why that is?" "Sure, Professor Snape, I can do that," Naruto said before continuing. "First, I was in my last detention session with Professor Lockhart, and it went on longer than expected. After that, I was heading to the Gryffindor common room as I wasn't hungry. You are well aware that you must attend, as it is a cause for celebration, as it was on this night that Dark Lord was defeated," replied the potion master. Naruto was getting mad at the professor and said, "Oh, I am well aware that I must go to the celebration, but let me tell you something, Professor Snape, I don't give a damn about the celebration. It can my ass for all I care. Or did you forget that I somehow defeated the asshole that took my parents from me?" Before anyone said anything, Minerva said, "Well, let's call it a night before someone says anything they would regret." "Quite right, Professor McGonagall," Dumbledore said, then turned to the students, then said, "Now you 3 have to bed, though I would recommend caution to all." Then everyone went their own way to bed, while Naruto and his friends headed to their places. When Naruto said, "So Tonks, what are you going to tell Amelia?" "Well, I'm going to tell her that the warning from that house elf has starting with Filch's cat being petrified, and we have no idea what did it to her," Tonks replied. Then they came up to a tea section where Tonks had to go a different way. Then the 3 students then said, "Well, this is where I go, so see you tomorrow." After a quick night from the students, they headed their own way. Then next day, Transfiguration is starting when Professor McGonagall said, "Now class, today we will be making water goblets from animals like this." Then she pointed her wand at the bird, then said 1, 2, 3, Vera Verdo. When the bird turned into a clear water goblet, she said, "Now it is your turn, so who will go first?" "How about you, Mr. Weasley? Remember 1, 2, 3, Vera Verdo." Ron took his wand out and then did the spell, but as his wand was broken because of what he had done when the students came to Hogwarts, the spell was only half done. Then the professor said, "You need to get that wand replaced, Mr. Weasley." While the Minerva was heading to her desk, Hermione said, "Professor, what do you know about the Chamber of Secrets?" "I don't see why not," Minerva asked after looking at the students. Continued, "Well, as you all know, that Hogwarts School was founded 1,000 years ago by the 4 greatest witches and wizards of their time: Godric Gryffindor, Helga Hufflepuff, Rowena Ravenclaw, and Salazar Slytherin. 3 of founders wanted all witches and wizards, however one wanted to be more selective with the students. 3, guess who?" Ron said. "Salazar believed that magic should be kept in the magical families, or what you would call pures, and when he couldn't convince the other, he left. And as the legend goes, before he left, Salazar built a chamber somewhere in the castle known as Chamber of Secrets. Then he sealed it until the time of the true heir come to the school, and the heir can open the chamber and unleash the beast and purge the school of those that are unworthy of studying magic," the professor said. "Muggleborns," Hermione said. "So natural. The school has been searched many times over the years, and there has been no such chamber has been found," Minerva said. Professor, does the legend tell you what is in the chamber?" Hermione asked. "Unfortunately, it don't, but it does say that it can only be controlled by the heir of Slytherin," Minerva said. At lunch, Naruto and friends was outside talking about the chamber when Tonks, "So do any of you believe that there is a Chamber of Secrets?" "I know there is, Tonks. I also know that all the founders made one and stuck a creature in there," Naruto said. "So you believe that the heir is going to purge the school then, Naruto?" Hermione said. "Hey, I would do no such thing, Hermione, as I am the heir of Slytherin, even though it is by conquest," Naruto said. "Are you sure that you are the heir, Naruto?" Tonks said. "Well, yeah, it even said so when I took the goblin identification test and their full test, to the point that the Gringotts manager has taken over the Potter account, saying that as I am the bank's most important customer, he saw that he should become my manager," Naruto replied. This news shocked Tonks, then stuttered, "If I ask Naruto, but what houses do you have to even think that King Ragnarok to even consider taking over as a manager, let alone do it?" Let's see, there was Potter obviously, then there was Peveril, Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, Slytherin. Naruto answered. Naruto, are you telling us that you own the school, and is that why you need multiple wives so one becomes lady to the house? Hermione asked. I don't own the actual school, Han, but I do own the actual grounds of Hogwarts as long as I attend it as a student and keep it as a school after, otherwise I will lose the deed. And yes, it is. I asked Ragnarok about after the test, and he said that as I am the only known heir to the house, I need to take at least 2 per house. Naruto said. Well, that nice I guess, but how do you know that all the founders made a secret chamber and stuck a creature inside? Tonks asked. I know you have helped Hagrid with his duties, Tonks, so you have seen the stables near Hagrid's hut, right? The one with the unicorn and the artificial griffin? Naruto asked, which Tonks nodded. Then Naruto continued, well, the artificial griffin is Goddard, creature which I found in his secret chamber last year when me, Hermione, Neville, and Ron was sent into the Forbidden Forest with Hagrid for detention one night. So, anyone want to guess? George began to say. On who is claiming to be the heir? Fred said, taking over. I don't think it is anyone. Well, not intentionally, Naruto said. Oh, what makes you say that? Naruto. Tonks said. Well, when they went to Gringotts to withdraw money, they would have been notified about the change in status since they couldn't withdraw from the Slytherin vaults. Then, depending on whether or not they know I am the one, they would try and get it back one way or another, Naruto said. Tonks looks deep in thought, then said, you make an excellent point there. So what do you think it is? I think it is some kind of memory of some sort, Naruto replied after thinking of something. Is that even possible? Hermione asked. Who knows, we do live in a world of impossibility to normal people, Naruto said, then turned to Tonks and said, and if it is a remnant, that would mean that Salazar's chamber was open before then. The question would be, who is it? Mind asking Amelia about it? Sure thing, Whiskers, Tonks said as she gets up, then turns around and said, so Naruto, what do you plan to do with the beast if you find it? First, I will talk to her and see if she would become one of the guardians of the school. I know she is to be, not the pure that some phony legend claims her to be. Oh, and what make you say that? Potter, came an unfamiliar female voice behind him. Naruto looks around and sees a Slytherin girl in her second year with blonde hair and bluish gray eyes, then said, I will tell you if you tell me your name as you seem to know mine. Oh right, my name is Daphne Greengrass and everyone knows who you are, Daphne replied. Oh, so you're the no that Kachin and Tauken done the marriage contract for. Wait, that's you? Daphne asked after Naruto nodded. She said, I thought it was to the Malfoys as Draco has been harassing me about it, and when my parents told me after the first week of term, I thought that Draco went to his father who went to my parents. So what do you plan to do now? What do you mean, Dop? Naruto asked with his head tilted to one side, which made all the girls want to hug and pet him as he reminded them of a fox. Well, do you plan to force me stay by your side and to stop me from talking to other guys? Came the girl's reply. No, not at all. My only concern is to get to know you before you deciding to move into the private quarters with me and Hermione after getting your parents' approval and Professor McGonagall's permission. Touched that Naruto would put her feeling first. Daphne said, that is sweet of you, Potter. Now can you answer my question about what you claim to be a phony legend? Sure, and please call me Naruto, and to simply put, the whole legend doesn't make sense to me, Naruto said. Why is that, Naruto? Neville asked. Well, for starters, it is said that all 4 founders was friends, right? Naruto asked, getting a nod from everyone, so Salazar would know what type of people the other 3 founders was, so why make a school knowing that they would be against only those who are worthy? That as if it means pure S. Understanding what Naruto said, Daphne asked, wait, Naruto, do you think that there might be another meaning to what Salazar meant? Of course, I do, Naruto said before saying, it's like I tell you to take care of Sylvie, what you would do. Well, I would look after it, Daphne replied. But it could also mean to kill her like gangsters say when dealing with people. It could mean help them or kill them, Naruto stated, which caused everyone to now understand that Salazar might not have meant pure S when he said teach only the worthy. It has been about a week since Salazar's chamber has been opened, and Hermione had an idea on how to get more information and told Neville and the Weasley twins about it, and all agreed not to tell Naruto about it, even got Daphne to help. It is the first Quidditch game of the school year, and right now Gryffindor is losing to Slytherin by 60 points, and Naruto is in the middle of the pitch looking for the snitch, and when Malfoy flew over and said, all right there, Scarhead. I'm fine, but you should talk about yourself like that, Malfoy, Naruto said just before he saw a bludger coming towards him, so he moved out the way but kept an eye on it. The captain, keeper, flew over and said, you all right there, Naruto? The bludger turned around and headed towards Naruto, the keeper not seeing it coming, so Naruto activated the rooster and pushed the broom back, causing Wood to quickly grab it so he didn't fall off by the sudden movement of his broom, and the ball narrowly missed the broom and Naruto dived down and the bludger followed. After spending about 5 minutes, Naruto manages to lose the ball without the use of a talisman. Malfoy flew by and said, are you training to do ballet, Potter? Naruto looks up to Malfoy and said, why do you want to know, Malfoy? Are you going to do it and feel threatened if I do? And before Malfoy could reply, Naruto saw the snitch fly right behind Malfoy, and Naruto ducked in time to dodge the rouge bludger that took off after snitch, and when Malfoy realized what happened, he followed Naruto. After about a half an hour of chasing the snitch and dodging the bludger and a good laugh at Malfoy's expense and a broken arm, Naruto catches the snitch, winning the match, and dodged the bludger, but a quick spell from Hermione destroyed it, and Hermione ran over to Naruto and said, are you okay, Naruto? Not really, that why bludger broke my arm, Naruto replied, getting up. Don't worry, my boy, I will fix that arm right away, the Dada professor said. Well, too bad, I am going to the medical wing, so go away, Naruto said. Lockhart laughed a little and said, boy, you have no idea what you are saying, before rolling up Naruto's sleeve, pulling out his wand, then said Brachia Memento, then the arm flopped, then said when he realized what he had done, ah well, sometimes that does happen. But the main thing is you're not in any pain and the bones are not broken. Broken, there aren't any bones left in his arm, Hagrid said. I told you that I won't go to the medical wing cause I wanted to keep the bones on my arm, so you can now leave me alone, and the next time you do something like this I will kick your ass till you are black and blue, Naruto said, then gets up and heads to the medical wing. Later in the medical wing, the nurse came rushing in with a bottle with a skeleton on it, then said to Malfoy, stop making a fuss, Mr. Malfoy, you're fine, so you can go. Then went through a group of Gryffindor students and said, what was you thinking? Mr. Potter, you should have come straight to me. Broken bones I can heal in a heartbeat, but regrowing them, that's a bit more complex. Well, pours a glass and gives it to him and said, you are going to be in for a rough night as growing bones. Painful. Naruto takes the glass. Well, not like that. The nurse went with that statement, said, let me set something straight, Madame Pomfrey, I did want to come straight here and see you, but the Pampers Professor Dumbass wanted the attention by saying I have no idea what I was say due to the pain. But I have had worse than broken bones, so don't came here and moan at me for not coming to you. Moan at the asshole who doesn't have a medical licenses, and it can't be any worse than I've been though. Then drinks the potions, then cringes at the taste. When everyone was gone, including the nurse who went to look for Minerva to speak to her about Naruto, and she asked Naruto's friends to keep him calm and relaxed, and Hermione said, why didn't you use the horse talisman, Naruto, then you wouldn't be here. Daphne just entered the wing to see if Naruto was alright after the bludger broke his arm when Hermione asked her question, and thought, what is she talking about? I couldn't hide. A lot of people saw that bludger hit my arm, and as you know, I don't want too many people know of my abilities, and what they would know that I can heal any wound, then they might find out about the talismans, and if they find a way to remove them, then there might be a war over them cause of some of the powers, Naruto explained. But isn't that a bit dark, Naruto? Fred asked. Maybe, but don't forget I am a reincarnated ninja, Naruto replied. He's got you there, my dear brother. After all, I might do the same, George said. Naruto, what did you mean by what to regrow? That you might have been in more pain, Neville asked. Before Naruto could answer, Daphne made her presence known by asking, what are you all talking about, and what does these talismans that you and Hermione talking about in this reincarnation of a ninja? So, you heard that? Naruto asked. Yes, I did, Daphne said. With a sigh, Naruto said, might as well tell you now. After all, I would have told you at some point though this year. The talismans that me and Haim was talking about are 12 octagon magical stones, and each one an image of the 12 Chinese zodiac, and each one has a power like the one Hermione said. ID can heal almost all abnormalities of the body, and can also regrow limbs. Then went to explain the other 11 powers, was then said, and as for the reincarnation bit, Kit, bring them in here and then I can show them a mild day of your past childhood then that can take Neville's question and Daphne's question, Kurama said. That's a smart idea, Naruto replied, then said, how about I show you what I meant by the reincarnation and the pain? Then held his fist out and Hermione and Neville touched it and felt a familiar pull as their world goes black, trusting their friend's judgment taunts. Fred and George followed and Daphne done it, but is a bit hesitant, but a reassuring smile from Naruto convinced her to touch his fist. Naruto's Mindscape. When the group came to, they was in a cave, one that Hermione and Neville knew but didn't know where they was. Then Tonks asked, okay, does anyone know where we are? Is the last thing I remember was bumping fist with whiskers. Before Hermione or Neville could answer, a deep voice behind them spoke, I can answer that for you, Nymphadora. Don't call me, Tonks said, acting on impulse while turning around, but stopped when she saw two giant red silted eyes looking at her in the group, who was scared, including Neville a little bit, but Hermione wasn't scared as she knew what it was. Oh, and what would you do if I do call you Nymphadora? Nymphadora, after all, you are but the size of an ant compared to me, and you can't do much damage either, Kurama said while taunting Tonks. Now, Kurama, no need to scare them, came a female's voice from the shadows that three of them recognized, then said as she walked out into view, hello Hermione, Neville, and Tonks, it's nice to see you again, and it's a pleasure to finally meet you. Fred, George, and Daphne thought it has been quite some time I last saw you, Daphne, after all you was a baby back then. Not to be rude, miss, but who are you? George began to ask. And how do you know who we are? Fred finished asking. I am Naruto's mother, Lily Evans Potter, wife to James Potter, and how I know who you are, even thought we just met, is because you are inside Naruto mind, and what he sees and hears both me and Kurama experience, Lily replied, shocking. And who is Kurama? Daphne asked. That would be me, came the voice that they heard when they arrived, and the group turned to see the biggest being that had ever saw the mighty ten-tailed fox. Wait, before we do what we came here to do, mind if I ask you a question, Mrs. Potter? Fred asked. Sure you are. George can ask the question, even though I have a feeling what the question would be, and please call me Lily, after all you are friends with my son, Lily said. How are you here? We was told you was dead, George asked. That is because of Naruto. I am sure that some of you know what the unforgivable curses are, Lily said, which get a nod from everyone, so you know who the killing curse works. Getting nods again. Well, just before I was hit with the killing curse, Naruto used the sheep on me. Not to sound like an idiot, but which power is that again? Fred asked. That is the astral projection, in other words, making the spirit leave the body. Now that is done, time for you to see one of Naruto mild beatings in his past life, Lily said as a door appeared in the side of the cave wall. And the group went to it. After about 10 minutes the group came out all white as ghosts, and Tonks said, and you called that a mild one? How is it that Naruto grow to be so kind like that, to keep a promise to someone that then gets betrayed? It is because the moment even at a young age if he fell into his darkness, he would be what those pathetic humans claimed him to be, thus giving them a reason to kill Naruto, his chosen one, and the kid if too pure will forgive anyone and anything if he feels that it is not their fault. Hell, he even forgave me, Kurama said. What exactly did Naruto forgive you? Daphne asked. With a sigh, Kurama began to tell Naruto's friends and mates what happened to get the treatment. I am responsible, that he grew up hated and mostly alone cause on the day he was born his original mother Kushina Uzumaki, my previous host, went into labor, and her seal that kept me at bay was at its weakest cause. Unlike with males host, the seals on the females will get weaker when they are pregnant and will gradually get weaker. And it is at its weakest when they go into labor, but unlike humans with Bijus, when there was more of my kind would never leave a child without its mother, so we will willingly stay in the seal until the host it back up to 100%, and we will help the mother to pull though if it get complicated. But someone found out where Kushina was having Naruto, then while Minato, Naruto's father, took Naruto someplace safe, the man pulled me from Kushina, then cast a genjutsu on me, caused me to attack the village, and seeing no other choice, Minato decided to seal me on Naruto, and in a last-ditch decision not to be sealed again while under the genjutsu, I went to kill Naruto, but both parents jumped in front of my claw to save Naruto. Kurama, what would happen if a Biju left its host? Herman asked. They would die, with the exception of the Uzumaki clan. They are a nightmare to kill off, and watch out for their tempers, Kurama replied, then said, now I think it's time for you to go back to the real world, and they agreed. Said their eyes then began to fade from Naruto's mindscape. Real world. When Naruto's friends woke up, he said, so what did you learn? That the bone regrow will be the least painful things you have been, though, Daphne replied. The group chatted for about an hour. When Madame Pomfrey returned, told them to go as Naruto would be in for a rough night and needs his rest, so they left and Naruto went to sleep. It is late at night when Naruto woke up with a start. Cause was because he heard something and not meaning to spoke what in Parslatange. While looking around after a couple of minutes he decided to lay back down, but he felt something on the bed. When Naruto looked at what was on the bed, he saw the house elf known as Dobby, who said hello. Hi Dobby, Naruto said. Naruto Potter should have listened to Dobby and not come to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Dobby said Naruto Potter should have gone home, what he missed his train. Somehow I am not surprised that you stopped me getting past the barrier, Naruto said. Dobby looked down ashamed for what he did and said, indeed Naruto Potter must go home. Dobby thought that his bludger would enough to make Naruto Potter see that Hogwarts School is dangerous. With a sigh, Naruto said, look Dobby, I know you mean well, but as long as my friends are in danger, I will not just go home. It's just not who I am. One more thing, Dobby, you are lucky that I have the power of the dog, which grants me immortality. Otherwise your bludger might have killed me if it hit my head or knocked me of my broom if I was high enough. All of a sudden there was a noise from outside. Then Dobby said, listen, terrible things are about to happen at Hogwarts School. Naruto Potter must not stay here now that history is about to repeat itself. This caught Naruto attention, then said, wait, history's repeating itself, so one of my hunches was right that the chamber was opened once before. Dobby grants I should not have said that, then goes over to the bedside table, grabs the bottle of Skelegro, then hits himself with it. After manages to get the bottle away from the house elf, Naruto grabs Dobby by his tunic and said, when did Salazar's chamber last open? Also, is it an echo from the past or some other heir? Dobby cannot say, sir. Dobby wants Naruto Potter to be safe, Dobby said while patting Naruto's that was holding his tunic before snapping his fingers and disappearing. Before Naruto could ponder what Dobby told him, he noticed some shadows coming, so he quickly jumped in bed and covered his head when he heard Madame Pomfrey of my what on happened. We believe there was another attack, Dumbledore said. We also believe he has been petrified, Madame Pomfrey said. Minerva then saw the Muggle camera, then said, look at this, Albus, at a Muggle camera. Do you think he managed to get a picture of the attacker? Wedged the camera out of the first-year Muggle born, and when he opened the compartment for the film there was an explosion. Then the deputy said, oh my, what does this mean, Albus? Well, Minerva, what this means is the Chamber of Secrets truly is open, replied the headmaster, then said, now let's get some sleep and we can talk what to do in the morning. Then all the professors left. After waiting about 5 minutes making sure none of the professors came back, Naruto got out of bed and went over to the new Gryffindor, then said as the horse appeared in his eyes, I hope this works. Then he placed his good hand on the lad's shoulder, but nothing happened. Then he said, so if the horse doesn't work, then that means it isn't detecting any abnormalities. Then several shadows moved behind him and the ninja cons came out the shadows, and Naruto said, find me the entrance to Salazar's chamber, and with a slight nod the ninja cons went back into the shadows and the shadows went into the hallway. Then Naruto went back to his bed, then went to sleep. The next day when Naruto woke up, his bones had grown back. Then Pomfrey checked, then discharged him, then went to the Great Hall to join his friends. Then they went on with their day. At the end of the day, Professor McGonagall called Naruto to her office. Once Naruto said, hey Bachan, what can I do for you? Hey Naruto, are you aware about the attack last night? Minerva asked her grandson. Yes, I am aware. I was awake when you brought the first year into the infirmary, and then once you all left, I went to see if the talisman would work, but unfortunately it didn't. The talisman is powerful, but if it doesn't sense anything then it won't work, Naruto said. What do you mean, Naruto? Minerva asked. What I mean is that to the horse there is nothing wrong with him, so that means he has no abnormalities, so it can't fix him, Naruto replied. I think I get it, Minerva said before continuing, is this whatever this is, it hasn't used any sort of toxin or injury, so the horse talisman can't do anything. Hi, Naruto said. What about making a clone and using the sheep talisman and let the boy possess it? Minerva asked. Naruto sighed and said, as much as I would do that, I can't for two reasons. One is he wouldn't be able to access his magic and people might make fun of him because he can't use magic, and two, while he is occupying said clone, his spirit might copy chakra coils, then he might be able to produce chakra, and that might be bad for two reasons. One is unlikely but still a possibility he might use it for bad stuff, and two is the coils might be too large for his own chakra, and that can be fatal as it takes time to increase and he might not have that sort of time. After a couple of minutes of thinking, Minerva said, as much as I don't like having one of my cubs in the infirmary, I understand your reasons, Naruto, so what are you doing? I have a few ninja cons looking for Salazar's chamber, then talk to the beast, Naruto said, then was dismissed. It's been a week since the Quidditch that landed Naruto in the infirmary, and over that week he noticed that most of his friends have been acting strange but didn't mind. He had also learned that Tonks was a metamorph Magi and started to know how to use the ability, and Professor McGonagall is arranging a marital suit for Naruto and his fiancées and should have it ready during Christmas holiday. And right now, he is in a classroom with a dueling stand-in, and the Dada walks up onto the stage and said, can everyone see me? Can you hear me? Naruto, who is standing next to Herman, said, unfortunately I can. Professor Lockhart then said, in light of recent events, Professor Dumbledore had granted me permission to start this dueling club to better prepare you for what you might encounter in the future, like I have on numerous times, which I won't bore you with. But you can read about it in my books. Then take his expensive looking robe off and throws it to a group of girls, then said, now Professor Snape has agreed to be my assistant, and as the potion teacher was walking toward the Dada, teacher Lockhart said, now your potion professor has sportingly agreed to show how you youngsters how to duel, but never fear, you will still have your potions, Professor, once we're done. Naruto leans over to Neville and said, that's not what I would say it the other way round, getting Neville to laugh. After both professors done what they needed to do, they got into position, then Lockhart started to count 1, 2, 3. Before Lockhart knew what was happening, Professor Snape said, expel Aramis, sending the Dada professor flying. As the students was laughing, Naruto said, now that was worth coming here before laughing. Hermione looks concerned about the professor, said, shut up. Naruto then looked down the arena and said, do you think he's okay? Don't know and don't care, Naruto said, then went on to say he properly didn't know how to stop any attack, but when he gets up, he will act like he knew what Snape was going to do, then say he could have stopped it, though I am surprised that he know how to hold a wand. Then the Dada professor got up, he did what Naruto said, then Snape said, Professor, wouldn't it be proficient to let the students have a go and how to block not so friendly spells? Lockhart looked at Snape with a blank look, then said, that is a wonderful idea, Professor Snape, so what do you say, a student each? And before Snape could do or say anything, Lockhart walked up and said, Potter, you can go first. Before Naruto moved, he said, now why doesn't that surprise me? The dumbass picked me first. Then he heads to the end of the stadium. Snape said, okay, then I will pick one from my house, say Malfoy, then turns and walks away as Malfoy gets on the stage. Lockhart turns away with a worried look, then heads to the other end of the stage, and as he passes Naruto, he said, good luck out there, Potter. Thank you, Baka, Naruto said, then thought, dumbass, this type of thing is skill-based and I have that in bundles. Got that right, kid? Now show everyone here some of those skills, came the voice of the tin-tailed fox. As both Naruto and Malfoy stood in the middle, then Lockhart said, okay, let's begin, wands at the ready, and a few seconds later both duelists had their wands at the ready. While waiting for the Dada professor to instruct, then Malfoy said, scared, Potter. Naruto looks at Malfoy all confused and asked, what there to be scared of? All I see in front of me is wannabe wizard who can't hold his wand right. Then the professor said, okay, now I want you two to bow at each other, then turn around and take 10 steps, then get into position. Then the two duelists did as instructed. Then the famous professor said, now then I am going to count to 3, then you two will cast your charms to disarm your opponent, only to disarm. After all, the last thing we want is for there to be any accidents here. And yet you're here teaching, that's a big one just waiting to happen, Naruto thought. 1, 2, the professor said before Malfoy cut him off. Malfoy cut the professor off by casting Everett Stodum, then smirked. Naruto, who saw it coming, used his shinobi reflexes to dodge the spell, which caused the smirk on Malfoy drop. Then Naruto cast Rictussemper, and Malfoy, who seemed shocked, got hit and sent flying, and when he hit the stage, he almost the splits. Then Naruto said, you know, Malfoy, you are always talking how noble the Malfoy house is, but I don't see it. Snape, not liking how one of his top student was getting his ass handing to his roughly pulled Malfoy up and said in his normal tone, get up and show him how great the Slytherin house is. Malfoy looks at the potions professor and said, right, then cast Serpent Sorcerer, then out from his wand a King Cobra. Snape begins to walk over and says, no need to panic, Potter, I will bet rid of it. Professor Lockhart stepped forward and said, allow me, Professor Snape. Naruto looks at the professors and said, now need Professor Snape, I can handle this without any help from you, and you Professor Useless, don't you do a thing, cause things always seems to go from bad to worse when you get involved. Now, Mr. Potter, there is now need for that sort of language even though you are scared, Lockhart said. Naruto gains a tick on his head, then looks towards the Dada professor, and as he does, the pig talisman shows up in his eyes for a split second before then begin to glow a golden, almost scaring the crap out of. Lockhart then said, the last time you said something like that I ended up in the hospital wing too. Unless you want to truly see what I am capable of doing, I suggest you never undermine me again. One more thing, how can I be afraid of something this small when I have faced and battled something that is as big as the outside structure of the school? And the glow fades. Then he turns his attention to the King Cobra, who seemed like it was about to attack a Slytherin student, and said, I wouldn't do that if I was you. Upon hearing Naruto, the snake turns to Naruto and said in a feminine tone, "Well, now isn't this a surprise to speaker? Can I ask a question?" Naruto sits down and said, "Well, you just did, but sure, ask away." "Where am I?" the snake asked. "You are in Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry in Scotland. Now I know you must be pissed about being summoned, so if you want to return home, come here," Naruto said and stuck a hand out. "And should I refuse?" and Snake asked. "Well, one of two things will happen, if not both, then first one is the dumbass behind me who doesn't know a thing will most likely cast a spell that will wind you up even further, and the other thing is the asshole at the other end will kill you," Naruto replied. The snake seemed to be thinking, then asked, "So let me get this straight, if I come with you, I will live, if not I will get agitated and or die." Naruto nodded. Then the snake said, "How do I know that you will send me home?" Naruto gave the snake his famous fox smile and said, "I promise I will send you home, and I, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze Potter, always keeps his promises, for that is my ninja way." After thinking it though, the snake slivers over to Naruto and goes up his arm and rests on his shoulders. Then Naruto gets up, then walks out while hissing to the cobra, then Neville, Hermione, and Daphne all rushing after him, and what nobody knows is that Ron was sneaking away while mumbling, "You are going to get it now, Potter, and you are going to be expelled once I find out that you are the heir of Slytherin." In the hallway, the Hermione, Daphne, and Neville caught up to Naruto, and Neville asked, "Hey Naruto, why didn't you yell us that you're a Parsomoth?" Naruto shrugged his shoulders and said, "You didn't ask." Daphne looks at Naruto and said, "Look Naruto, we know that you are the heir of Slytherin, just not the one that attacking people. Now that everyone knows that you're a Parsomoth, they will begin to think that you are the heir of Slytherin, that attacking Muggleborns." Naruto just sighed, knowing what's to come, then said, "Wouldn't be the first time something like that has happened. Hopefully it wouldn't be as bad. One more thing, if that does happen, then you lot should stay clear of me." Then the rabbit symbol appears in eyes, then he rushes off to the owlery, leaving the trio confused by that statement. Neville looks at Naruto's girlfriends and asked Wonder what that was about. Probably something that happened in his past life. After all, we know Naruto was beaten as a child, but we don't know to what extreme. Hermione said. Then they went on with their day. Meanwhile, with Naruto, he was getting this set up to get Zazu to take the King Cobra. Asked, "Hey speaker." Naruto looks over to where he placed the snake. Then the snake said, "What did you mean by what you said to the others when you said wouldn't be the first time?" Naruto sighs, goes over to where the entrance and sits down on the top step and looks at the landscape, and the snake slithers over. The Naruto says, "Well, you see, this isn't my first life, it's my second one, and in my past life we have something similar to magic called chakra, which I still have, and with it we can do things that is just as amazing, but that's not the point, cause in my original wood we had 9 being called Biju, and they was nature chakra given form, and on the day of my birth my mother, the previous Jinchuriki of a 9-tailed fox called Kurama, had the fox taken out by someone. Then he had Kurama attack the village called Konoha, and because Kurama was powerful, the Hokage at the time called Minato, who is my father, knew he couldn't seal him in an inanimate object nor in someone that was older than a few days, as their chakra coils was set, and I was the only one that met the criteria, and so with a heavy heart he sealed Kurama into me, and somehow my status as a Jinchuriki became public knowledge, and until the night I became a shinobi I never knew why I was getting harsh whispers, having assassination attempts, receiving regular beatings, getting charged more for moldy food than normal, harsh glares, being talked about behind my back, and no friends, and if I did make one the friendship never lasts." Then he looks at the snake before continuing, "At least this time I will know why, and I can try and protect the ones I care about." The snake looks at the Naruto and sees the looks of determination, then said, "Speaker, I have changed my mind. I don't want to go back home, considering I never really had one to begin with, and it might be nice to have one." Then gaining a tone that Naruto knew all too well, as he had used this tone when he asked his Jiji about his parents, and that was, "Hope so. Mind if I stay with you?" Naruto looks at the snake, shocked that it just said that, then said, "I don't mind gaining another familiar," then picks the snake up and places it on his shoulders. Then he gets up, then heads to the Gryffindor Tower to try and find an Owl Order magazine and see if they have any containers that's for snakes. Then while he was walking he says to himself, "Oh yeah, you're going to need a name." Then in the tongue of snakes he asks, "Say, are you male or female?" The snake lifts up its head and asked, "What does it matter?" "Well, if you're going to be one of my familiars, then you are going to need a name, and how can I give you a name if I don't know your gender?" Naruto replied. The snake somehow gains a bashful look for forgetting about that, then said, "I see your point, and I am female." "Well, in that case I have the perfect name for you, and that it Anko," Naruto said. "Not that I am complaining, it's a fine name, but how is it the perfect name for me?" the snake asked. "Well, in my original world we can do something allows us to summon animals like toads, slugs, and snake, and there is a girl whose name is Anko who has a summoning contract with the snake clan thanks to her treacherous teacher called Orochimaru, and she was one of my first friends," Naruto said as a tear came from his eyes as he remembered the loves he had in his past life. "So let me get this straight, you are naming me after someone special from your past life?" the snake asked. "Yep," was all Naruto said, shocked by what the boy was doing by naming her after a friend that was special to him. Then said, "I would be honored to have such a name." As the weeks passed, there had been a couple new petrified students, and rumors spread that Naruto was the one that was the heir of Slytherin and attacking the Muggleborn students, not knowing that they was half right, and all the while being on receiving end of all the glares and whispers that Naruto knew all too well. As Christmas was fast approaching, Naruto noticed a couple of things. The first was Hermione and Neville acting strange, and surprisingly Daphne, but not sure what, and the other was the mail that Tonks was receiving from Amelia. Seems like Tonks was saying that nothing was happening, so when the student head home for Christmas, so did the Auror, to see if someone was really intercepting the reports. It is the night of Christmas Day, and Naruto couldn't find Hermione, Neville, or Daphne while in the, so he decided to sit in the Gryffindor common room and read up on some Kai spells, and while trying to find a location spell to find his mother's body, when a con turned up and the Oni Lord asked found Salazar's Chamber of Secrets. Getting a nod from the con, then asked including the entrance that's in the castle. Again getting a nod, then the con hands him a note which he reads, then he quickly writes a note, then hands it to the red-eyed ninja and said give this to Bachin. With a nod the shadow ninja takes the note, then fades into the floor, then noticed that Ron was spying on him from stairs, then went up not knowing what he has planned. After about 5 minutes, Professor McGonagall came rushing in and said, have you truly found Salazar's chamber? Naruto nods and said, well, technically Bachin the ninja Shadowkin did, then hand her the note the Shadowkin gave him. Well then, shall we go? I am kind of curious what kind of creature Salazar has, said the head of Gryffindor. Then they both head to the location, which happened to be the girls' bathroom on the second floor. When the grandmother and grandson got to the bathroom, the first thing they noticed was broken glass on the floor, and Naruto started to look for any clues that might lead them to the chamber, while Minerva saw steam coming from one of the sinks, goes over to examine it. Then she turns to Naruto and said, do you know what? There is polyjuice potion in this sink. Naruto looks at his grandmother and said, sorry Bachin, but I have no clue who would make that potion, then walked over to the sinks to examine them, then on one of the taps felt something on it, then traced it, then said, well Bachin, looks like this, the entrance to Salazar's chamber. Minerva momentarily looked shocked, then said, are you sure? When Naruto nodded, she said, now then how do we open it? After thinking for a few minutes, then said, hey Bachin, what do you know more legends about Salazar cause that might be key? No, I don't, sorry Naruto, except that he had an unusual power, replied Minerva after thinking of other legends about the founders. It's okay, I will just ask Sylvie what she knows about Salazar. After all, she was Godric's familiar, Naruto said. Minerva thought it over, then said, that sounds reasonable, but be quick, after all we don't know who the faux heir is, and the last thing we need is that person coming here while you are getting what we need to know about Salazar. Okay Bachin, and I can do quick, Naruto said as the rabbit symbol appeared in his eyes, then he was gone out the door that seemed to have not moved. When Naruto got to the paddock that housed Brightstar and Sylvie both seemed to be having their dinner, then he said, hey Sylvie, I am sorry for disturbing you while you're having dinner, but can I ask you a question about one of the founders? Sylvie looks up from her dinner and said, sure you can, and not worry about it, and I can hazard a guess on what and whom the question is about, as you have told me before, but didn't want to have the answer handed to you, but will come to me for answers about something. Damn right, after all, how can I get somewhere if it's not on my own prowess? Naruto said with pride in his voice, then went to ask his question. So question is, what unique ability did Salazar have that the other three didn't have? Sylvie just said the ability that Salazar Slytherin had was the ability to speak to snakes. So, he was a Parselmouth? Naruto asked. If that's what you call the ability to speak to snakes, then yes, he was, Sylvie said. Thank you Sylvie, you can go back to your dinner, Naruto said as then he run back the entrance to Salazar's chamber. Naruto stopped outside the girls' bathroom, then went in, and when he saw Minerva he said as he walks up to the sink, well Bachin, looks like good old Salazar was a Parselmouth when he got to the sink. He said open up, then it opened, he noticed it was pipe, then said stairs, then the pipe transformed into stairs. Just before he went down, grandmother and said, I think I should be first, Naruto. Naruto looks at his grandmother and said, normally I wouldn't argue, but I have to disagree on this, I need to be first. And why it that, Naruto? Minerva asked. Simple, we have no idea on what creature is down there. I need to go down as I can recover from any and all injury, and it is practically impossible to kill me thanks to the horse and dog talismans, plus I can notice things better thanks to be past life, Naruto said. Seeing that is an excellent argument, the professor said, I see you're right, but please be careful. Then with their wands up with the light charm they headed down to find the creature of Salazar. Once the duo was deep enough, the chamber closed, then a split second later Neville and Daphne came in, and Neville said, Hermione, do we have a fair bit to tell you? Go away, Hermione said. Then a ghost everyone had dubbed Moaning Myrtle came through the door and said, you two are going to love this, then laughed, wondering what the ghost meant. Daphne opened the door and saw Hermione was a cat. Then Hermione said, you two know that polyjuice potion is strictly for humans transformation. It wasn't human hair that got but cat, then was close to tears. Seeing Hermione close to crying, Daphne went up to Hermione and hugged her, then said, don't worry Hermione, we will be here for you. It's not you two I'm worried about, Hermione said. Daphne and Neville looks at each other before Neville started to laugh, then said, I know you're smart, Hermione, but that would have to be the dumbest thing I have heard from you. Do you really think that Naruto is that shallow that he will break up with you just because you might have turned yourself into a Nekomata? Even if he does, which I doubt it, then he would have to deal with not only his mother but Kurama. After all, he did explain once that there was 8 other tailed beasts before Kami made Kurama into the 10-tailed fox, and one of them was a Nico, and some traits will bleed in the Jinchuriki, so if the 2-tailed cat was sealed in someone, wouldn't they become something similar to a Nekomata? When realizing what Neville was saying, Hermione said, you're right, Neville, I should be ashamed of myself for thinking that. Now that Hermione seemed to be her normal selfish, Daphne said, good, now let's get you to the hospital wing. Then the three friends headed to see Madame Pomfrey. That all, folks, as Naruto and Minerva was heading in Salazar's chamber unaware of what just transpired. When they got to the bottom, they stepped on skeletons of small animals, and Minerva said, well, I don't know about you, Naruto, but this isn't what I expected, so when I go back up to the school I am going to send some house elves to clean these pipes. Naruto looks at his grandmother and said, you do that, Bachan, so which way do we go from here? Minerva looks at her grandson, and Naruto said, what did you expect? I am only going first because of my horse and dog powers. After all, I don't want my current living family member getting hurt or worse until Kachan is revived. Seeing where Naruto was coming from, Minerva looks around and said, okay Naruto, how about we take the one that behind you and we will stick to that one while looking in the side pipes until we find something. Sound like a plan to me, Naruto said with a nod, then headed the way with his grandmother behind him. When the duo passed a random pipe, the elderly professor looks in one and saw something, then said, Naruto, I see something, then steps aside to let Naruto in to see what it was. After 5 minutes, Naruto said, this must be the pipe, we need to continue our search, Bachan, and it's safe. As Minerva enters the pipe, she asks, what makes you so sure, Naruto? Because what you saw was a shed snakeskin and it's about 60 feet long, Naruto replied. As Minerva gets closer, she sees that it really is a snakeskin and said, goodness heavens, you're right about the length, Naruto, we must be getting close. Then Minerva picks a direction and they headed out. It wasn't long before the duo got to a round door that had 7 snakes that seemed to be like locks. Then Naruto said, you ready, Bachan, to be the first professor to step inside the chamber of Salazar Slytherin? Mixed feeling. On one, as the deputy head I am excited, but as a Gryffindor I feel I am intruding, as this has nothing to do with my house, Minerva said. Understandable, so when I open the door I will ask if you want to join me, but I will not force you to, as this is something I must do, Naruto said. I understand, Naruto, so open it when you're ready, Minerva said. Okay, Naruto said as he stood in front of the door, took a deep breath, then said, open up. Then a metal snake came out of the hinge and went round the frame and unlocked the other 7. Then once the snake was back in the hinge, the door opened. Naruto turned to his grandmother and said, so have you made your decision? Minerva looks at her grandson with a sad look and said, I have, and as much I don't want to do this, I feel you must go in there on your own, mostly because we have no idea what creature is in there, and if you have to fight it, then I will only be distraction, even though I know you won't die, but I can. I understand, Bachan, and I will try, and be careful in there, Naruto said, then heads inside the chamber. When Naruto got to the main chamber, he saw a pillar in the shape of a head, then said, that must be Salazar, then looks around and said, so where is the beast? Naruto, I think the beast is inside the head pillar, Kurama said. Okay, that's where I will start looking, Naruto said as he headed to the pillar. Once he was in front of the statue, he said, now let's open this thing up, and then in Parslatange open up. Then the mouth opened. Once the mouth fully opens, a feminine voice that came from the mouth, who dares enter the chamber of SS Salazar SS Slytherin? I am Naruto, Potter, heir to all, our founder by birth, Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, and Hufflepuff, and Slytherin via conquest on 31/10/2000, Naruto said. Is that so? Can you prove it? Came the voice. Then Naruto saw something move inside the mouth. Then out came the biggest snake he had seen in this world, but not the biggest he had seen. Then when the snake looked at Naruto, it was shocked when the boy didn't die. As she looked the boy dead in the eyes, then asked with a surprised tone, how are you not dead and so calm at seeing me? Naruto looks at the snake confused and said, should I be? Of course you should be terrified, because my eyes can kill all those who meets my eye, and look at my sizes, the snake said. Well, about me remaining calm about seeing you, believe me when I say you are not the biggest snake I've seen, and as for me not dying, well, I have 12 power artifacts, and one of them is immortality. And as for me proving that I am who I say I am, well, at the moment I can't, but give me the day after tomorrow and I will take you to Gringotts to verify I am who I claim to be, Naruto said. And how do you plan to do that, the snake asked. Like this, Naruto said as the monkey appeared in his eyes, then shot a beam of light towards the snake. Then the snake was covered in the same kind of light. And when it died, there stood a Japanese girl about 19 or 20 years of age. Then she examined herself. She has fair skin and dark hair that is tied into 3 buns, with 1 on the front of her head and 2 on the back. She wears a long, loose-fitting white robe that has green trimmings around the sleeves and neck area. When she finished, turned to Naruto and asked, what did you do to me? Simple, I turned you human so you can go where you want without worry about killing anyone, but don't worry, but I can turn you back to your original form at any time, Naruto said. And I take it this power is also from your 12 artifacts, asked the snake in human form. Yes, it is so. What's your name anyway? Naruto said. Oh, my name is Tagorihime, said the now identified Tagorihime, shocking Naruto. When the shock passed, Naruto said, well, aren't you full of surprises, having a first appear to be Japanese, and you have a Japanese name also? Before you tell me about that, can we leave, as my grandmother is waiting outside the chamber, and I am sure she would like to know that as well. Sure, Tagorihime said. Then the Naruto and the snake headed to the entrance to meet with Minerva, who was waiting. When the duo got to the entrance and saw Minerva sitting on a comfy chair while reading a book, and Naruto said, hey Bachan, then they stared to head out. Minerva looks up and saw her grandson and Tagorihime. She said, thank Merlin, you're all right, Naruto, and did you find Salazar's beast? Naruto nodded and said, sure did, and here she is. Then points to Tagorihime. But how can she? Minerva started to say before realizing something. You used the monkey, didn't you? Naruto once again nodded and said, sure did, and she was a really big snake but seemed bigger. I see, Minerva said with an unsure tone, then turned to Tagorihime and said, so who are and what are you? I was the familiar to Salazar Slytherin and one of the 4 protectors of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, and Tagorihime is my name, and as for what I am a basilisk. The deputy stopped dead in her tracks and said, "Did you just say a basilisk?" Tagorheim said, "I did, though soon I will be an elemental basilisk." "What's that, Tagorheim? Also, why do you have Japanese origins?" Naruto asked. "Well, when a basilisk lives for 1,000 years, they gain an element, one of the 10 basic one, which is earth, wind, fire, water, light, dark, metal, thunder, wood, and ice. And the reason why I'm Japanese is because it was a Japanese egg I hatched from and the toad that helped and ate, and my name is from Salazar's mate, who was a first-gen witch," Tagorheim said, shocking the Transfigurations professor even further. "Well, didn't see that one coming. Salazar Slytherin fell in love with a Muggleborn. Oh, the irony," Naruto said, trying not to laugh. Tagorheim heard what Naruto said, turned to the professor, and asked what did Naruto meant by that, and with that Minerva told the basilisk all the legends about Salazar that said that he was a pure-ed asshole who didn't like Muggleborns. When Minerva finished, the basilisk was pissed and shouted, "What, they are all lies." While it was true that Salazar did say that to let in nobles, but it wasn't because they was pure asses, was because common folk kids didn't know how to read and write, and it was him, though, of letting the common folk in at 11 to learn to read and write, then the rest at 13. And as for the rivalry between Gryffindor and Slytherin, was because both Godric and Salazar was twin half-brothers, shocking the professor once more. Once the shock was gone, Minerva said, "But how can Godric and Salazar be half-twins?" Before Tagorheim could answer, Naruto said, "I can answer that, Bachin. It's rare, but it can happen when the mother has with 2 or more men around the same time as her egg is released. While the guy's semen is fighting, the egg might split in 2, then well, you know the rest." Minerva become a little down and mumbles, "I should have known that." Naruto pat his grandmother on the back and said, "It's okay, Bachin, you probably did but forgot about it." Minerva looks at Naruto and said, "You're probably right, Naruto. Now let's get out of here." And after 5 minutes the trio got out thanks to Tagorheim, then headed to the professor's office. They were about halfway to her office when Daphne spotted them, then said, "Neville, over here." Then she came over with Neville not far behind. Then she said, "Professor, you need to go to the hospital wing now." "What's wrong?" asked the professor. "It's Hermione. She did something to a potion that she wasn't supposed to," Neville said. Minerva gave the 2 students a stern look before saying, "Well, get a move on, and on the way, you can tell me if this has anything to do with the polyjuice potion that is in the girls' bathroom that is on the 2nd floor." "Yes, it does, Professor. When the attack on Mrs. Norris," and Naruto not really having an alibi, some of the students believed that it was him, and so Hermione and Neville wanted to prove to people that it wasn't him, and so Hermione thought of a way to get into the Slytherin house without being noticed, but it required the polyjuice potion. But unfortunately her hair wasn't human, it was a cat, Daphne explained on the way to the hospital wing. "I see, even it was for a noble cause. You 3 are still in serious trouble, which I will decide tomorrow," Minerva said. "We understand, Professor," Neville said. When the group got to the hospital wing, Professor McGonagall said, "Hello, Poppy, what can you tell me about Miss Granger?" "Well, apart from the botched polyjuice potion which turned her into a Nico, and I am sure want intentional, isn't that right, Miss Granger?" said the Mediwitch. "Of course this was unintentional. What will Naruto and my parents think?" Hermione said to the Mediwitch before turning to the head of her house and says, "So, Professor, how was your trip to Salazar's chamber? Find anything useful?" Shocking the 3 other people in the room. "Well, I can't say anything for your parents, but I think they are you, and now you might be able to understand Crookshanks and other cats like me being a Parselmouth," Naruto said, making his presence known to his girlfriend. "Yes, it was enlightening to say the least." "And how do you know we found the chamber?" Minerva asked. "I was in the bathroom when you 2 came in and opened the chamber, and it closed just before Daphne and Neville came in." Before Naruto or Minerva could say anything, Daphne said with a whiny tone, "What you mean to me, both me and Neville was just mere seconds away from seeing the Chamber of Secrets." "It appears so," Naruto said. "So, did you find the beast?" Poppy asked. "We did, and I am still shocked with what she is," Minerva said. "And what did the beast?" Neville asked. By this point Tagorheim was getting annoyed, then said, "Hey, can you please talk like I'm not here?" Everyone except Naruto and Minerva gave the late teen-looking girl, and Madame Pomfrey said, "And why would we be talking about you, my dear?" "Because I am the beast of Salazar Slytherin," Tagorheim said, shocking the Daphne and the Mediwitch. "But how can that be? You're human or appear to be," Poppy asked. Naruto puts his hand up and said, "That would be my fault, Madame Pomfrey. You see, I have 12 magical artifacts embedded in my body, and one of them is shapeshifting." Then to demonstrate, the monkey appeared in his eye, then he changed into a panther, then into a velociraptor, then changed back, then said, "As far as I can tell, and thanks to the goblins at Gringotts, I can turn into any animal that is magical, muggle, or extinct. You will be telling me about these artifacts and what they can do later, Mr. Potter." "Understood," Poppy said, and when she saw Naruto nod, she turned to Tagorheim and said, "So what creature are you?" "I am a basilisk, soon to be an elemental basilisk, and my name is Tagorheim." Tagorheim replied, shocking everyone that is not a McGonagall. While everyone is in their state of shock, Naruto was chatting with Kurama. "Hey Kurama, do you think you can help Hermione about with being a Nico?" "What are you getting at, Kit?" Kurama asked. "I think I might know, as you were once a Ninetales," Lily said. "Yes, we both know that," Kurama said. "So, wouldn't he have the some characteristics as a Kitsune?" Lily asked. This got Kurama thinking it was true that when a tailed beast sealed the Jinchuriki does become something similar to mythical creature, then said, "Now I see where you're coming from, Kit, but to tell you the truth, I don't know if I have anything about Matotabi, the 2-tailed cat's Jinchuriki. You might after all have. You when you became the 10-tailed you gained their powers, so you might have gained their memories," Naruto explained. You're probably right, kid, I just never thought about it, never need to look, so I will head into the mind of your mate, then tell her that I might be able to help her gain control but not to get her hopes too high, replied the 10-tailed fox. You do that, Kurama, Naruto said. Kurama was about to touch the sheep talisman that was in the dragon statue when he stopped and said, "Oh Kit, one more thing, Kit, while I am gone you need to keep your temper under control." Why is that, Naruto asked. Because my chakra or magic can be brought out forcibly when you are angry, but I can stop that flow to some extent as the chakra is mine, so as I'm not going to be here, I can't stop the flow, Kurama said. So, until you get back, I need to avoid the pureed assholes that thinks that they're better than everyone, Naruto said unknowingly out loud, gaining a confused look from everyone as they wonder what he was talking about. Current kid, also you're aware you just spoke your last sentence out loud, Kurama said. Well, I do now, Naruto said. Well then, so long, Naruto, Kurama said, then touched the sheep talisman, then his spirit left his and Naruto's body. Upon exiting Naruto's body, his astral body was orange and was about 10 centimeters tall and had 10 tails, and everyone but Madame Pomfrey whom said, "What is that?" Kurama floated over to the Medawitch and said, "I am the 10-tailed fox, a being made from chakra and has been sealed in Naruto for 27 years, and Kurama is my name. Nice to meet you, Madame Pomfrey," then flew into Hermione. Poppy then said, "All right, Mr. Potter, what's going on, and you better tell me everything. And while you're at it, you can tell us what you meant by what you said," Minerva said. Then Naruto Poppy, he was reincarnated ninja that held a power similar to magic which was called chakra, and about the 12 talismans and what they was capable of and the muggle magic, and explained why he wants to keep it a secret, then turned to his grandmother and said, "And Bachin, what I meant by what I said is that as Kurama has all the tailed beasts, including a 2-tailed cat, and it is a known fact that when a tailed beast the Jinchuriki gain traits similar to that beast, like I have traits like a kitsune because I am Jinchuriki to a fox, so if someone has the 2-tailed cat sealed in them, then what do they become? They become something like a Nico," Minerva said, "but how can that be tied to what you said? That's where it gets complicated and dangerous. As Kurama gain all the other tailed beasts, he might have their memories, so if he does have them, then he might help him over there," Naruto said. "Well, that's sweet of you, Naruto, but get to the point," Daphne said. "You remember at the start of the year that Malfoy gained that scar? Well, I did that, as he called him that nasty word that the pureed douchebags use for muggle-borns," Naruto said. Thinking back, she said, "I might not have seen it, but I heard a stupid rumor that you had an orange cloak that came out of your body like bubbles, and all you did was touch him and it burned him." Well, that rumor is right. That cloak is something that all Jinchuriki has, and it's called the Tailed Beast Cloak. It's something that is we can call forth when we have the Biju's chakra at our command. Or we call it forth though anger, but that the problem is we become a beast driven by anger," Naruto said. "I see, but how does that become dangerous?" Neville said. "Well, the Biju can stop the flow to an extent and can lessen the effect," Naruto said. "Wait, so that's why you said as the beast spirit isn't there, he can't stop its magic when you get mad and can't lessen the effects it has," Madame Pomfrey said. "Current, that is why until Kurama get back I need to pay close attention to my anger and avoid pompous assholes," Naruto said. "Language, Naruto," Minerva said. "English, Bachin," Naruto said, getting a laugh from the student and a little chuckle from the staff. Minerva then said, "All right, you three off to bed." Night, Professor came the 3 students, then the 3 left. Once the students left, Minerva to the basilisk turned human and said, "Tagorihime, you can sleep in here as long as Madame Pomfrey doesn't mind that, as otherwise Naruto will turn you back and you can go to Salazar's chamber until Naruto proves he claimed to be, then it's back to the chamber." "I understand, Minerva," Tagorihime said. "I don't mind, Minerva, but you have to tell me what you mean by when you said when Naruto proves what he claims." Poppy said she assigned Tagorihime a bed for 2 nights. "Sounds fair," Minerva said, then told Poppy that Naruto is the heir to all 4 houses. 3 of them is by birth and Slytherin by conquest. That all, folks.